to the in terms of the build up, not as violent as you have in Nigeria. No violence, like, except the fact that unusually we've had Donald Trump surviving an two assassination attempts, in the build-up to this election. Other than that, and then you have allegations. Some of them have been proven to be conspiracy theories. Some of them have been proven not to be true. But in some other instances, there's been lots of worry for many people, many political watchers, as to some issues about election integrity, but they're not widespread as you would have in Nigeria. But generally, it's been a very frenzy build up to the election. America is on edge. You've had people repeatedly saying this is the most consequential election in American history. But then as a journalist and as a student of political history, I've had those terms also used severally before. 8 years ago, when Donald Trump first stepped into the scene, people say that time also that was the most consequential election in American history. They're repeating the same now. People have said, Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. People on the right, also the Republicans, have also said, if you allow Democrats to win this election, this country will go down the drain. Some very fearful rhetorics being pushed around all over, but you can, to a certain extent, to a large extent rather, agree that this is a very critical election in America's democratic history. The consequences, the implications will be far-reaching, and in this conversation, I'm sure we'll talk more about what the voters are looking at, and why sort of personality like Donald Trump has been able to garner the kind of support is garnered, and why even Democrats and a lot of people also outside of the world are, do I say worried, are still concerned as to why the election is neck and neck. If you check the polls, it's neck and neck. It's a two-horse race, and you can't really separate as of now. A lot of people do not know if it's going to be Kamala Harris or it's going to be Trump. Depending on which polls you're looking at, either of them can win on election day.
Right.
And I should add also that, there's been a lot of interest. Over 75 million Americans have voted already in terms of early voting and absentee voting. That's huge. That's huge. I mean, that's not a record, but then that's a huge number of Americans voting, and the turnout for this election is expected to be around, say, maybe the 60% mark.
Right. Quite, I must say, even outside of the U.S., many persons in Nigeria, all over the world, it's the U.S. we're talking about, by the way. But let me come to Olushola. The mood appears to be set. Both politicians talking tough. In this matter, Femi reminded us of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And of course, many of these things has been happening. Let me ask you, at your end, you're in Illinois. How has it been, the election preparation?
Well, just like Olufemi said, the election is going to definitely be very historical, and no doubt about it. The whole world is looking forward to the outcome of the election. But I listened to the first question you asked, and just like election everywhere is the same in so many ways. We are humans there. The people that are Americans, the native, the immigrants are humans. And due to the influx of the immigrants over time, different opinion, ideologies, now the American democracy is actually changing. It's going through a lot of reformation. And to me, a lot of ideologies from both left and right is beginning to clash. That's why the coming election is neck to neck. And however way the outside world perceive it, there is a dominant narrative, which is usually pushed or moved by media, beliefs over time. So everybody have their rhetorics and belief about Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. But day-to-day conversation I've been having with people, what I notice is this: it's not just going to be an election as usual for some Americans. Everybody's beginning to realize we don't need a political leader. We don't need a politician. We need a leader. And looking at the other side of the spectrum, a lot of people have beliefs about Donald Trump's character, which I believe is the major issue. But it's at a point in history that most Americans are changing views. They're not looking at one issue on top of the other. When you are given two candidates for an election, you are definitely presented two options. So you either have to make choice between the lesser evil or the better one, but that naturally control the outcome before you go to the poll. So we have both candidates, and there's been a mixed reactions and opinion about that. On one side, people believe Kamala is coming out weak in experience. The concern is about the international politics and security and border crisis. And on the other side, you have a crazy one who people believe you cannot doubt his competency, no doubt. We have dominant narrative, just like I said. I believe that Donald Trump's have stability in some key areas. The reasons why a lot of people are changing their views from the blue to red. To me, recently I've met with a lot of people with different views. I had a conversation with an Indian guy yesterday at work, and I was simply telling me a different thing, but it wasn't like that 3 months ago. Yeah.
All right, still staying with you, Shola. I'd like us to focus more on these two contenders. You know, we have said that it's going to be a two-horse race. Donald Trump, Kamala Harris. Aside their personality, their career track record, political track records, let's speak to what they are giving to the people, or what they are pitching to the people. Their policy statement. What would you say is the policy statement of these two, like the driving force of their campaigns, and what people are looking forward to if either of them, or whenever either of them becomes the president?
Yeah, I think that question is for me, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, good. This is it. At this point, a lot of Americans are concerned about key issue, just like I said. And unfortunately for the Democrat Party is becoming a resistant party. The personality, the idea of Donald Trump is coming out big, and unfortunately they've not been able to articulate and explain much about their plans and policy. Kamala Harris have said one or two on different occasions that his administration or administration rather will not be much different from Biden, and she was unable to explain where our plans and policy will meet the American people. Now, on the other side, when you look at Donald Trump, a lot of people believe you don't like Donald Trump, people don't like Donald Trump, but a lot of people believe they add stability in some key areas during the Donald Trump regime. So people want to see the border crisis resolved. People want to see the global role of leadership, especially where the United States of America is coming in. They want to see stability in this principle of multilateralism. Another aspect that is really key to people is economy. And if you look at these three key areas, Donald Trump didn't really perform worst when he was there. A lot of people believe there was much stability when Donald Trump was in power than from 3 years and a half ago, Biden and Harris administration.
Okay, same question for Femi. Let's go to the key policies these two contenders are bringing to the fore, you know, on economy, on security, on border issues, immigration, abortion rights, and all that. What do you think you can call the main policy statements these two contenders are using to push themselves for the seat?
Well, you know, the economy is number one on the minds of most Americans. You know, all those surveyed, all those polled, most of them return economy has been the number one thing on their mind. Yeah. Now, if you disaggregate the data and break it down, perhaps you have more women looking at abortion rights and all of that. And I mean, just like Olushola said, the economy is also the reason, one of the reasons alongside immigration, why Donald Trump is strongly in this race. Like he said, most Americans, even those who do not agree with Donald Trump, with his character, with his, disposition, with his, I mean, the man lacks the diplomacies for that office in terms of conduct, in terms of attitude, in terms of his choice of words. It's not, it's not diplomatic. He doesn't speak like a typical politician. He speaks like someone who's outside of the establishment. I mean, who doesn't give a damn about how things are done. But that said, during his 4-year term, most Americans, up until COVID happened, believed that they had a better life in terms of the economy. The American economy was stronger, and international relations-wise, United States played a key role in maintaining world peace. Unlike the fact that many people expected that Donald Trump was going to lead the world into World War III. As a matter of fact, during his time, there were no wars. America was not prosecuting any war outside of the country. I mean, that was surprising, but it speaks to, what he promised that was going to make America first, was going to, and actually took a lot of very daring decisions that time on the internationals. And that was when he recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. That was when, Qasem Soleimani, the commander of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps in Iran, was killed, and many people felt that was going to tilt the world into World War III. That was when he also did the Abraham Accords, helping Israel to normalize relations. A lot of Middle Eastern countries that have not had good relations with Israel for several decades. So he made quite a number of consequential diplomatic moves at that time, and perhaps it helped him to maintain world peace. Remember that time also he met, perhaps the first time an American president was meeting the leader of North Korea. They met at that time. So a lot of people remember those things, and now compare that to what's happening under the Biden-Harris administration in terms of world peace. The Gaza war is in there. There's a threat of a major escalation in the Middle East between Israel and Iran, and could degenerate into a regional war in the country. And on the economic front, like I said earlier on, a lot of Americans look back with fond memories of how things. I've also spoken to people who say, inflation is going through the roof. They can barely afford what they used to afford before. Grocery bills rising astronomically, that their paychecks cannot keep up with what they earn, even including seniors. So that's really a top concern for most Americans. That those who do not like Donald Trump, who ordinarily would not want to vote for him, especially because of how he comported and conducted himself on January 6, 2021. A lot of people, had issues with him. A lot of people have said, if that did not happen that day, perhaps, this election would have been a walkover for him. But notwithstanding, they're saying we need to consider the fact, about our economic power, about our purchasing power. Donald Trump seems to be a better economic manager, but it's also beyond that for many people, women. So if you look at the data amongst white women, amongst the younger voters, Kamala Harris is doing extremely well. He's doing very well. But amongst white male, even black male, you'll be surprised that Donald Trump is doing very well amongst that demographic also. So it's neck and neck, and these are some of the issues topmost on the mind, and these are also what they've been campaigning with. Donald Trump, he's been hammering on the border crisis. It's called Kamala Harris the border czar, talked about how she mismanaged and messed up the border issue. He's asking, are you better off 4 years ago? Though, as a political analyst, as a journalist, I feel that would have been a better message for him if he was the traditional politician, if he paid attention to his handlers, if he actually follows the script. I mean, the debate he had with Kamala Harris, it wasn't until when he kept talking about that it seemed to have some traction. But, trust Donald Trump not to follow the script, to be the unconventional politician. If he had stayed on that messaging and asking consistently, are you better off 4 years ago? then and all of the controversy. I mean, the controversy at the MSG Arena about, that comedian making a crude joke about Puerto Ricans has dominated conversation in the last few weeks. That shouldn't have happened. But Kamala Harris also, a lot of people are looking at, if Donald Trump comes in, will he become a dictator? Will America descend into, a state where politicians and leaders begin to use state apparatus to oppress opposition? That's what Trump claims the Democrats are doing against him now. There's a new term for it. It's called lawfare. And that's what they've been doing, taking him to the courts over flimsy charges and all of that. So it's a lot. And Kamala Harris also has been campaigning on, making America better, also on improving things and building on Joe Biden's records and all of that. And from the dizzying height of July 21, when she stepped into this race and Biden dropped out, she had huge approval ratings. She had better ratings than Biden, but then she's not been able to see off Donald Trump in the poll. So he's still neck and neck.
All right. Staying with you before I come to Olushola, but let's look at some of the things that have happened, but because of time, we just pick some of them. The assassination attempt on him twice, by the way, there are some persons that feel these have been, staged just to curry favor, people's sympathy. But many persons will say, what does it tend to gain? This is America. If actually it does that, maybe it will be found that at the end of the day, can it really do this? Especially when you're talking about, talking with so many persons that are one side. The war situation in the Middle East is another one in which, Biden is all the way supporting Israel, especially the situation in Gaza, some of the other wars that have sprung up on this matter. There are some population of Americans that feel, yes, Israel is our ally, but they feel the support the America as a nation is giving Israel is too much because Israel has gone berserk. That's the language in some quarter. So how is this going to affect? Talk about the people that have been speaking in support. Of course, artists, musicians, entertainers have pitched their tents with different persons, and of course, especially so as well politicians as well. Talking about former President Barack Obama, he has been very, very vocal. In fact, to use the Nigerian language, he has put it on his head, the way we say it around here. So some of these key issues that has happened up to this time, then the supporters, politicians, entertainers, speaking on behalf of, wherever they have pitched their tents, and some key issues, especially the war in the Middle East. Will this be a decider, or is it just one of those things?
No, of course. It's part of what will, inform the eventual choice of voters. Both candidates have made, several stops at Michigan, for instance. Michigan hosts the largest concentration of Arab Americans, so a lot of Muslim votes, at stake there. Incidentally, and quite surprisingly, there's a lot of Muslim folks who were also supporting Donald Trump, back there. I think there was one of America's first Muslim mayor or Arab mayor endorsing him in one of the cities there. And there's also a lot of them who are saying because of Biden and Harris's handling of the Gaza war that they're not going to give their vote. In fact, there was a couple of 6 weeks or thereabout ago, I remember there was a conflict at one of these rallies between some black supporters and some Arab supporters of the Democratic Party, when some of the Arab supporters were saying, let's go and support some third, candidate. And by the way, there are not just two candidates running in this election.
Sure.
For every American election, there are other, fringe parties and candidates there. So some of them wanted, we can trust Kamala Harris, and we can trust Trump. We'd rather give our votes to a third candidate, and that's essentially wasting your vote for some of them. And then some of those black folks felt, no, these are time. But like you said, the issues are more than the international matter. Like I said about the abortion, and for a lot of Nigerians who wonder and surprised at how Trump is able to still have that much support. And I've also seen debates. I was forced to write an article about these about a day or two ago as to the diaspora voting pattern, especially for Africans and Nigerians. And many people are so surprised. Why are some Nigerians who are here also supporting Donald Trump or voting Donald Trump? The issues are beyond the issues of immigration. The immigration is topmost even on the minds of Americans. A lot of them are not happy with the border crisis. I've spoken to a number of people, both whites, black, Latinos, and they were surprised at the number of immigrants also supporting Donald Trump, because many of them feel we can't continue to have these. From the perspective outside, you feel it should be pro-immigration, but immigration also, if you break it down, comes in different forms, and this is also part of what is informing other people. I've seen people who are legally here, who legally migrated here, who say, can you imagine that those who come in illegally enjoy the state more than those who come in legally? I mean, these are issues that people outside may not understand. There are certain benefits that even American citizens do not have access to or do not enjoy that illegal immigrants enjoy. I did a presentation last December, and I found out that for the month of December alone, close to 300,000 people came in illegally through the southern border. This is one of what is, constituted a very big challenge for Kamala Harris and Biden. A lot of Americans saying we can sustain this. Some of the cities, especially Democratic cities, are overwhelmed, facilities overwhelmed. There's been rising crime. There's been also controversy as to the level of the crime. Trump keeps saying they are trying to play down the crime numbers. The Democrats are saying, it's a lie. The immigrants are not responsible for it. And some say, okay, if you want to come legally, and then apply as you should,
right,
to so all of that. So there's also those who feel there are issues about LGBT, there are issues about parental rights, all of those issues, form what will inform the decision of the voter eventually.
Right, and quite key. Maybe if time permits, I will talk about some of those things that, we are trying to find a countdown and draw, if actually we can, a comparison with what happens there, because some of those things, parental rights, by the way, that is fast looking like it's been lost in some guys in the US, is what some persons are talking about, and even some of those are people that are there, to say those things being categorized as being extreme, the abortion right issues as well. And some of those, sexual preference and tendencies in which would ordinarily around here raise eyebrows, maybe, if time permits us. But let me come to Lushola, but let's talk about the state right now. Of course, we have the blue state, the red state, in which they know where their tendency is, where these states are linked. But talk about the swing states, how will they, they are the traditional, just like I said, the blue and the red states, but the swing state, will it be a key decider? That's why they are called, swing states, that whoever win this state, maybe stand a very great chance. We're talking about Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and the likes. What role would they still maintain that deciding factor, in your opinion?
Thank you for that. I love that question, but in my opinion, there's still going to be a major decision factor, rather, because it still all boils down to their outcome. These are states that make their own choice of who they want to be the president to be. So the outcome of those states are very important in the outcome of the U.S. election. But nevertheless, going back to or by what Olufemi was explaining, I think presently in the U.S., if there's any conventional method or system that produces results, it still don't matter at the moment. People are still presently undecisive. Tomorrow is election day, and I can tell you at the moment, people are not still tilting to one side or the other decisively. A lot of people are still going through that vacillation period in their mind. And I also believe it's going to be the outcome from those key swing states as well. Because if you look at it, the issue of the US is more general at the moment and unbelievable. People are switching interest because politics is about interest. People are beginning to embrace Donald Trump. That is what you wouldn't believe will happen some times ago. I watched some interviews this afternoon, and some people are still of opinion that if another candidate come from a Republican, that they wouldn't take to consider him, but they will have preferred Mike Pence or Rubio or other guys in the Republican or Mitt Romney instead of Kamala Harris. Now, it's all about the projection they have about Donald Trump, how they found him to be, in quotes, a crazy person, but not totally incompetent. And that is where the decision coming now from the swing states. They're looking at who is going to be competent to turn the table around. The Abraham Accord in the Middle East will have been the best tool to approach this recent escalation in Gaza, Israel, Ukraine. Is a different factor on its own, but the Americans are experiencing a different one that it wasn't there before. Rights are being rearranged, and all this started under 3.5 years of Biden-Harris administration. So from the swing states, nobody wants to see all of that happen. This is a general concern, and I also believe those states now can wield more power and influence to make that decision if they want to go for Donald Trump, because it's a general concern. And I would like to raise this. I'm not here to report, and I'm not here to throw support behind, but just like it's my opinion, from my experience. I remember 2021, I was in New Jersey. I was living in New York, but I work in New Jersey. And I have my affiliation with so many of these United Nations agencies, and the military exit, the U.S. military exit from Afghanistan was a disaster, chaos. Now, contrary to what the media portray, I was given a role as one of the officials, like the welfare officials at the UN camp at Douburg in New Jersey, and I saw not just through the border, flying them down to the U.S. soil, the amount of influx of Afghanistan families, children that Biden brought to the United States. And I mean, they all go to some of the sanctuary states or cities, and most of them now are being given more preference, privilege than the people that are working and paying tax to take care of those people. So this is a concern, whether I'm in Illinois or whether
Olushola, if I may butt in, the U.S. has always played this big brother role, isn't it? Why is it a problem now?
It's a problem now because, see, let me tell you how it's a problem. If I'm an American, I mean by birth, I'm going to see things differently. It's funny when you have strangers invade your territory, all in the name of immigration. And let me let you know one thing, we're humans, we live on Earth, we have scarce resources. You cannot continue to have influx of things into an existing system. It's going to be weighed out eventually. There's still going to be, if you stretch everything, there's going to be a limit to how much you can accommodate. So the U.S. system, to me, I believe, have been infiltrated with different ideologies from both left and right.
All right.
Different people coming to move agenda and influence the system in the U.S. But what the Donald Trump supporters are viewing now is how we want to take back our country. Now, the white Americans, I mean, non-Latinos, non-Hispanics, are still about 57%. They are still the most populated people in the U.S. And most of them, all of them, if not all of them, most of them have the capacity and rights to vote. Now, compared to the black community, that a lot of people still have to deal with felony DUI cases that do not put them or place them in the position to vote. Now, even the Latino community, even all other racial groups in America. Now, but these whites, however way you describe them, that believe we are the one to uphold the core of American ideals, I think they are waking up. And most of them are dominant in all these swing states.
All
right, so Shola, would you say that, I mean, away from that particular issue, let's talk about the interference of foreign nations in this particular election, especially the campaigns. There are some there are news in some quarters that countries like China, Iran, Russia, add some influence in the build-up to the election, propagating misinformation, disinformation in favor of a particular candidate. I'd like you to, debunk or confirm that, if that's actually happening.
Definitely, that's happening, and that's definitely going to happen. This is the United States of America election, and every parties are involved, all countries are involved, and the China, the Russia, they are not just involved, they are interested, they have major stakes. And I also believe, if you look at the build-up of regional wars and a lot of things going on, a lot of things are on pause because people are waiting for the outcome of this US election. It's going to take a different turn, depends on the candidate that emerges the winner of the election. But the way election hacking or influence or manipulation is, to me, is quite different. It all depends on the United States of America, the system, and the way they are able to counter whatever interference is coming from the international community. But I want to let you know, definitely, there's going to be an interference into the election. You don't have to even talk China. It could be any small major countries that are used. Any one of this, it could be anywhere the base is set up. But all over the world, everyone is involved in this US election.
All right, moving over to Femi. Now, there are people that say that we might have a repeat of what happened in the year 2020 if Donald Trump does not clinch that seat. Because they say Donald Trump is not contesting against Kamala Harris, but against election fraud. And one or two times, Donald Trump has made reference to what happened in 2020 and has not totally considered defeat. He still feels he was robbed of that election in that year. Do you think we might have a replay of that if Donald Trump, doesn't get the ticket, doesn't get the seat this time?
Well, I mean, it's a major worry for many people. Donald Trump is evidently a bad loser. Like I said earlier on, perhaps this election would have been easier for him if January 6, 2021 didn't happen. His messaging, his narratives have been around the fact that the election integrity is compromised. He and those on his side have been arguing, and, to some extent, makes sense for voter ID to be introduced in voting. America is such a weird place. You look at some things that should be the norm elsewhere in the world that, are not the norm here. For instance, about that voting, a lot of Democrats have pushed back about introducing voter ID because they believe, Republicans have argued that non-citizens are voting. It's not like in Britain where you have Commonwealth citizens voting, allowed to vote. And that's not the situation. If you're not a citizen, you're not expected to vote in the election. There's been one or two confirmed instances of non-citizens. I think there was one case of a Chinese guy that was reported in the media, that voted and that was not supposed to vote. But many other Democrats believe this is not an issue. But Republicans and Donald Trump have crafted messages and messaging and narratives that there's an effort, a plan to compromise the integrity of this election. And some analysts believe he's just trying to prepare the ground for that kind of, denial that happened in 2020. But it must also be said here that the media, I'm a journalist, I'm a media researcher. The media narrative, the media reporting of both candidates have been starkly different. The media is maybe understandably pro-Biden. except for the right-wing conservative media. Many of the media, most of the Trump news are negative. I mean, Jude is also very conservative anyway. There's a lot of negatives around him. He talks off script, he makes some very controversial remarks. But then if you check, sometimes some of them will need to come back and correct some assertions they've made and all of that. There's this different standard that he's held to, and that maybe the other candidate is not held to. But the kind of messaging narrative is pushing, it suggests that he's preparing his candidate and not to accept. And that's also a major concern for many people who say democracy is under threat. He should do the needful. If he loses this election, he should just go away peacefully. Donald Trump has not accepted or agreed to that. He's always saying, well, if the election is conducted peacefully, there'll be no issues. But then he's not... as you would expect of a statesman or a politician to say, okay, I will take this, whichever result comes out, I'll be fine by it. But he's always giving a caveat. If the election is conducted peacefully and with integrity intact, I'll be fine. So, and another thing I should mention, is the fact that the Democratic Party, and Olushola made reference to it the other time, the Democratic Party seems to be having lots of issues connecting with male voters, white male voters, and in some instances, black male voters. You remember Obama had to make a complaint about the fact that black male are not supporting Kamala Harris like they did for him. And that also led to sort of a backlash at some point. It speaks to what some have also described as an over-concentration of the Democratic Party, and indeed the liberal left, on women, and some sort of delegitimization, in quote, of the male gender. It's also part of what Donald Trump has hammered on. I'm going to take men out of women's sports. That resonates with a lot of some people, who are saying, why should we have male? But there's all of these ideologies, some of these liberal ideologies are also not resonating well with the male, whether white or black. Is one of the reasons, alongside economy, that the Democratic Party is finding it hard. I mean, this election should be a walkover for them, considering the kind of character and the kind of person that Donald Trump is.
All right, with a benefit of hindsight, how would you measure the quality of the contenders that we have now? I mean, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Some people are of the opinion that these two contenders are not really the best America should have offered the people at this time. So I'd like you to, compare these two candidates to previous candidates that we've had.
Well, I mean, if you ask me personally, so I should say that before you can rise to the top in American politics, you must have some stuff. You must have the gift of the gab. You must be able to articulate, your points very well. The American electoral process, political process involves lots of debate at every level, whether it's school board election, at the local, at the county level, everywhere. A lot of, you need to be able to articulate your point. But that said, if you ask me personally, this is not the best that American society can produce. I mean, take your mind back to Obama, Mitt Romney, the quality of the debate, even Obama, McCain, the quality of the debate, the quality of what was put us. You clearly know that time that right versus left in terms of ideology, conservative, liberal ideologies, right here, right now. In fact, some of these, you'll be surprised that the waters are muddied, sort of. It's the lines are getting blurred, because you'll be surprised some very conservative ideals are even pushed by the left. Some very liberal ideals are also being pushed by the right. There's some, there's still, the principles are still the same, but then it's not as clear as it used to be. And the kind of debate, there's a lot of violent rhetoric, virtual, and all of that that's not been there before. American politics is very, very tough. You throw your heart into the ring, there'll be research done on you, there'll be checks, and what you said 20 years ago will be brought back to use against you, but not even to this level. The kind of hate, the kind of Trump surviving two assassination attempts. Trump claims that it's because of the messaging that the left has used about him being a threat to democracy, and that's why they've actually encouraged some people to want to go after him. So I personally, I may be wrong, but I feel that this is not the best American society can actually produce.
All right, same question to you, Olushola. I'd like you to give your opinion on that, the quality of the candidates we have now compared to previous candidates or contenders that the U.S. has produced.
Oh, yeah, sure. I want to agree with my brother. This is not the best we can have. Just like I said, the election or electoral process will provide option. And when our option is narrowed down to two people, we have to make choice between those. But the outcome is already controlled. So we are going to choose between two different people. And you're not going to have alternative to have the third candidate to pick, just like the way the electoral system operates. Nobody understands or knows about the independent party. And also, they're still going to end up with either Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. But looking at the difference between the two of them, the strength, just like they said, the SWOT analysis, that's one thing that triggered Trump followership and support in the recent time. Because Trump is not a person who comes with the best character, but people seem to figure out in him the capacity they need for a change. The time is for a leader, not just a political figure, to take over.
Yeah.
And in contrast, Kamala explained very, very well that our tenure may not really be different from the predecessor she had. Now, if you look at it also, she's not coming with much equity. She's not coming with much capitals that's required for an American president. It's a tough system. They're going to scrutinize you. That's what Donald Trump have been able to overcome and survive for so many years. And that's quite funny. Just like Olufemi said, America is a very weird place. You'll be so surprised. As much as we have a very strong system here, a lot of funny things still happen. But the system is much stronger to swallow everything and figure everything.
We should go. Yeah. Let me take you up, and I think that's a parting shot. Would you like to make a call on this one? Kamala or Donald?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Okay, that if I'm going to vote, who am I going to vote for?
Who do you think possibly might emerge?
I cannot say.
All right.
I don't want to get that. I cannot say. It's still very, very
tight, right?
Unsure.
All right. Thank you very much. Let me come to Femi. But I will ask you the same question. But I want to 30 seconds. If you can draw a parallel, the countdown to these elections. If it's in Nigeria, what could have been happening? Tearing of posters, destruction of billboards, talking down religion, ethnicity, and do we have that same semblance over there? And is there anything we can learn in 30 seconds, Femi?
Well, I mean, just like Olushola said, there are a lot of weird things happening, and you would see to some extent some of the things that happen also in the third world countries. I've seen instances where people destroy. I mean, not the big billboards that you have in Nigeria. Maybe just a small sidewalk. Posters that people maybe I don't just like this person. I just take it off. But not on the scale that you witness in Nigeria. Schools will not be. The nation will not be shut down on election day. Yeah, I mean that should be stressed. Some schools in my state, schools will be shut down because most of the schools are polling centers where people will go. So for the safety of the kids, they'll be at home tomorrow. I mean, my kids will be here, but otherwise, the nation will move. People will go. I'll be going to work. People will go to work. Everybody will work. Not like in Nigeria when you shut down the economy, for that period. So no tearing of posters, no police arresting opponents a night before election. No militarization. At most, every polling station we have just a police officer just to oversee things. It may not even happen in some other states. The Connecticut, here in Connecticut, there are police officers in almost every polling unit, but they're not carrying arms, not squads of armed to the teeth. soldiers combined, DSS, NSA, what have you, patrolling the street. That's different. I mean, that's not going to happen. And as part of the call, I know you're pressed for time. Just like Olushola said, it will be foolhardy to stick your neck out at this time. We can go either way. It's good to prepare your mind. It could be a Trump presidency, could be a Kamala Harris presidency. You can go either way. But I feel personally that this should have been a walkover for Kamala, but for those issues. And it should also be a walkover for the Republican Party if it wasn't Donald Trump. Because on the strength of performance 4 years against what happened during Republican, it was COVID that messed up Donald Trump. That guy would have won the second term. COVID messed him up in terms of performance. Olushola repeatedly talked about competence. He has a questionable character. He had issues, a convicted felon, but in terms of competency, many Americans feel it was a better man to lead the country and, as they say, make America great again. So it can go either way.
Would like to thank you especially Femi Olanipekun, journalist and political analyst, for your analysis, your takes, your submissions on the show this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And of course,
you for having me.
To Olushola Adewumi, thank you also, United Nations Association Chicago City Ambassador. Thank you for your presence on the show, your analysis, and your submissions. It's a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you.
All right, and we wish the United States of America the best, and like they say it, may the best man or woman
in this case
win.
Yeah.
All right, that's the show this morning. Thank you for riding with us. We make a return tomorrow for another interesting edition of Morning Spring. It will be election day tomorrow in the United States of America, where the people will go all out to vote and put in who they want to, go on with the affairs of the state for the next 4 years. Until tomorrow, my name is Evelyn Ohiole. Have yourself a good day.
Okay, I like the way you say until tomorrow your name will be Evelyn. So after tomorrow your name will be
might change. You never can tell.
All right, trust us to come with a very robust edition tomorrow. We'll be having live guests in the studio to take us further in this conversation and what it means for the rest of the world. Femi Ojo is money. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Ahmadu Bello, a Prince Royal, was born 6th of December 1910 at Raba Village, Sokoto, northwestern Nigeria. His father was a district head and heir apparent to the Sultanate throne from the house of Usmanu Danfodio, a religious and social reformer who brought the Habib dynasty under the Fulani Caliphate in the beginning of the 19th century. Ahmadu Bello raised the bar of political consciousness in participation when, in 1944, he engineered the establishment of the Northern People's Congress (NPC) as the first political party in northern Nigeria and the rallying point for politicians in the region before independence. History will not forget Ahmadu Bello for his charisma and policy, which provided easy passage for his kinsmen to English elder statesman and down of Sokoto 100 Naira as owner of independence. In springtime identifies Akbo as watershed character in history.
Since assuming the mantle of leadership in Osun, the state of the Living Spring, Governor Ademola Adeleke has left no one in doubt about his avowed commitment to the overall development of the state. The footprints of his transformative agenda span through education, transportation, health, staff welfare, social infrastructure, among others. Let's bring updates. A weekly diary on Rave 9% FM and Western Spring Television, Channel 190 Star Times DTT, will extract Governor Adeleke's development agenda for your listening and viewing pleasure. From bustling markets to the agricultural initiatives, from the testimonies of civil servants and retirees to the cheers of artisans across the state of the Living Spring, you will discover how Governor Adeleke's administration is driving economic growth of state. Stay engaged. Update. We have ongoing projects, initiatives in care, education, art, and state. So every Wednesday on West Rave 91.7 FM at exactly 2:30 p.m. You can follow us on all our social media platforms at Western Spring Television and at Rave 917 FM as we tell the story of how Governor Adeleke is shaping Osun into the beacon of development and opportunity.
Living Spring Update is a production of the Office of the Spokesperson to the Governor, Governor's Office, Osogbo.
I am Josh Too Funny. I'm a comedian and I like to make people laugh. Fly up. But it's not funny that we're losing our unique gorillas. We only have around 100 left and they are threatened by habitat loss and traps set for bushmeat. So please say no. Nature protects us all.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever-sounding current event. Coming down to the globally arising happening. To the successful. Fast. Build facts. Not what you across borders. Expected as it is. Except misheard. This is the news as it is.
It's Spring on Western Television here on Spring Trend. What we do is to speak to trending issues on social media. Talk about situations trending, people trending, and we'll get to take reactions. My name is Evelyn Ohiola. I do not do this alone. Femi Ojo is right here. Welcome on board, Femi.
Thank you very much. As you said, there are trending issues on social media. I just remember how some people used to say, right?
No.
It's a social media.
All right, let's get right into it because we are pressed for time at this. Right here. Very first story. Huge congratulations to Kemi Badenoch, who has been announced and elected as the elected leader of the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party now has a new leader, person of Kemi Badenoch, who is actually of Nigerian descent, by the way. She's fully blooded Nigerian. And, when Nigerians are doing well outside of the country, that's when you see Nigerians come on social media and say, we are proud of you. This is our own. Yes, she's Kemi. Yes, she's this and that. But, of course, this has gone with some sort of controversies from people, especially in the UK, people that feel or believes that she is not supposed to be, she's not the best person to be elected or to have become the leader of the Conservative Party. But let's take reactions. At this time, Paulette Walsh says, I've never voted Tory, but this is the most hopeful development in the UK politics in a long time. A conviction-focused leader who knows what a woman is and cuts through all the nonsense. UK politics just got very interesting, and you can see the applause emoji there. Helen Staniland says, very good. And Alex says, making life difficult again for me. I was going to vote #reform, but I really like Kemi. From what I do know, she holds my values strong. Good to smell conservative again. And Leo Patga says, this will be very interesting. Kemi led a good campaign, but now we'll need to decide what direction she will take the party and where we stand on the political spectrum. Jenrick and Badenoch both being on the final ballot ensured a shift to the right. The real test will be in tackling pressing issues, a clear strategy on immigration, decisive action on the cost of living, and a commitment to protecting British sovereignty. These are what people want and what will be tested in the next general election. So Kemi Badenoch took over from Rishi Sunak, who was the former Prime Minister of the UK. And, some Nigerians, aside the congratulatory message, some Nigerians feel she threw Nigeria under the bus just to prove a point in the UK, trying to make your country look bad, so you can garner sympathy votes or this thing. But it is what it is. Your thoughts very quickly, Femi.
First of all, congratulations to Kemi Badewa Badeno.
All right.
All right, because when your kinsman is doing well, of course, you got
and it's
support.
not an ordinary feat.
It's a big deal,
Yeah,
actually.
it's a big deal.
You know, this is more like the party leader. Not like more.
She's just
the
a
party
step
leader
closer
now.
to becoming
So
the prime
if,
minister.
yeah, so if election holds the next time and she's still with that party, she stands a chance of being the PM. So that's a very, very big deal.
Yeah.
You know, but the kind of situation you can see her being the party leader here. When you come to Nigeria, I like to draw comparison. Will Kemi Badenoch whoever be a political party leader, you know, in Nigeria? Although we don't run the same kind of system, but that is good. Although some persons raised eyebrow about her stance, especially on immigration, and what she has said in some forum about, some countries, including Nigeria, so to speak. But then she has a first conviction, and it's about the UK, firstly, for her. So, in as much as Olukemi or Adekemi or Yeshukemi, she's UK. This time, she's an English person. So, we wish her all the best. And, that's a good representation, at least. Somebody of color, a woman doing so well, not, an example of every vices that we usually see. So, I think Nigerians, people of color, can really show themselves and say, we're there as well. But then about her views, maybe now that she's more nationalistic in the capacity she's holding, we get to see what she'll bring to the table.
All right, all the best to Kemi. Let's get right to the very next story this morning. The Oyo State governor spoke, in a very video where it says the 2027 general election will be between the ruling All Progressives Congress and the Nigerian people. He stated this at the weekend during the commissioning of the late Olusoji Adagunwodo Zonal Secretariat of the party in Ibadan, the state capital, adding that his next political agenda will be determined solely by himself. Some speculations that the PDP might actually push him forward as the presidential candidate from 2027, but when asked that question, he said he doesn't know yet, and if there's going to be any of that, he would be the one to determine that solely. Yeah. But reactions. Olura File 1 says, I cannot trust these people. Something is fishy in this act. Governor Makinde that worked for Emilokon during 2023 election is the one that is now saying this. I can't believe it. APC at work already. And Bitbox says, LMAO, and the winner is already written down and kept in a safe place. Don't talk this about that. Come on. The people are yet to vote. In fact, people are even yet to even make statements of, I want to run. We like running. And Daniel Rega, my guy, it's been a while. It says, in 2027, there may be 2 or 3 problems. INEC transparency, politicians will decamp, and Nigerians may overlook their incompetence again, voting out of sentiment. Religious leaders. The 2027 elections is between Nigerians and sentimental Nigerians. Tell me your take very quickly.
That's a many persons didn't see Seyi Makinde these guys before, like an all-out politician. But I think he has grown in the ranks, and that's politics talking to say in 2027 it will be about APC and Nigerians. Where is their own party? They won't be on the ballot.
He said it's not between APC
Let him calm down.
Because of what
he knows what he's doing. Is it Nigerians that will be on the ballot? Let them put their party in shape. If actually it was a part of the people who has, let me mind the use of words, who has gotten that party to where it is right now. And by the way, he even said it at the zonal commissioning. The commissioning of the zonal headquarters of their own party, the party they worked against. We learned again now. Samuel Oton was there, part of the G5 people. They call themselves the Integrity Group. Their class captain is in Abuja. So let him rest, okay? We don't even want to think about 2027. Nigerians want to be alive to even see that time. Yeah. You can see how politicians are thinking. They're thinking about the next one. They're not thinking about you and I to really do what is needful at this time. When 2027 comes, Nigerians will know who they are supporting or they are running again. If Nigeria as a people will be on a party, we will know by that time. But for now, we want to be alive Today is November 4th, right?
Yeah, 4th.
And these are the issues. What's the price of things? That's what Nigerians want to. Him and his brothers and the class captain in Abuja and everybody, let them rest. Let Nigerians just breathe.
Let Nigerians breathe. Let's go on to the third story this morning. The Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 elections, Peter Obi, has stated that anyone claiming to receive credit alerts through priors should be investigated for potential theft. In a clip from his interview on the Honest Bunch podcast released on Sunday, Peter Obi emphasized the importance of hard work and productivity, stating that God cannot bless someone who is sleeping. In his words, God can bless hard work. God can bless productivity. God can bless an industry, but God cannot bless someone who is sleeping. Anyone who tells you that he has gotten a lot from praying should be arrested. He has stolen somebody's money. Simple. And this particular statement and the video has gone viral. A lot of people, it has actually gotten backlash from some netizens. And also he spoke about vigils. And I remember the whole, between him and this Mike Bamloye's son, Joshua Bamloye, where Joshua says, vigil is not your issue in Nigeria. I mean, if you cannot talk to club people that go to club overnight and all of that, why are you always coming for the churches? But then Peter Obi actually spoke about productivity. We have to be more productive in the country. There's no way people will sleep in church from Monday through to Friday and you expect a miracle. It doesn't work that way. But let's see reaction at this time. Peter, his namesake, Peter Chinonso says, Peter Obi is wrong again. Oh my, I thought I was going to support Peter on this one.
No, it's normal. Peter's not the hero.
He's questioning the power of God, being that he's also a believer of Jesus Christ. What God cannot do does not exist.
Wow.
And Prince Will _Light says, whether it's possible to receive money through prayers or not is not important. What's important is the message he's trying to communicate, which is being productive, innovative, and industrious. Jesus Boy 123 Edu says, I do not agree with Peter Obi on this. However, people need to work. God works in mysterious ways. And Talkby _Luatosin says, convert night vigils to night shifts. What will they be doing at the night shift? Where are the factories? Rishi. All right, so your thoughts. What do you think?
In fact, let me be clear on my thought this morning. I think to a large extent, what P.O. said is very true. Let's be productive. God blesses in fact, in Yoruba, it's called Ibukun, right? Blessing is Ibukun. Unta Bukun means there must be something existing that has now been, been enlarged. No matter how little, you must be doing something. I agree. That you can't be sleeping and you expect blessing, except that you add weight. Maybe that's the only blessing. That's the addition. For you add weight, your cheek will be full.
Well, some people believe that there are miracles. I mean, you can pray, be sleeping, and someone that has long forgotten you remembers you and sends you
don't
money.
do that as a lifestyle. Not that when you are just sleeping occasionally or taking your normal rest. That's what I'm saying. If what you do is to wake up in the morning, loiter around and sleep, and you're asking for blessing, that would be more like you are joking. I think that's the thing. But no, there is a way you can pass your message without really robbing debt. And this is what I mean. Night vigils are not bad, actually. The thing is it a lifestyle? Is it where people waste away? That's what we are saying. If actually you go to 21 days of vigil, and during the day they are supposed to be productive, you are now sleeping.
I think that's what he says. I mean, having vigil
you are
from
wrong.
Mondays to Friday.
You will not go to work.
Yeah.
They'll give you a job you will not do. And you now go and do vigil and be praying for miracle money. I think maybe his expression has let him down. He didn't really clarify. So because if actually it's about vigil and vigil, further and that, God give me money. Oh yeah, lift your phones up, we get miracle money. And then you get home, they are supposed to, in as much you are going for vigil, it's a sacrifice. Something must suffer for that. Either your sleep time, wash your face or sleep a little and go back to your work. You are sleeping only to wake up 6 p.m. and you carry your olive oil and everything and you go to church again. You are wrong in that one. Yeah. But as for miracles, for me personally, miracles are real, but miracles are not magic. We all have a part to play. Yeah. There is a God that blesses. He still works in mysterious ways, but you don't have to be lazy.
I mean, the Bible says faith without works is
completely
dead. By the way, why is it that people that have actually graced this particular podcast, the Honest Bunch podcast, will never live without controversy? Peter will be attending this particular podcast.
I think that's the aim. I think that's the aim for the guys that do it.
The internet on fire again.
If everybody says whatever is right to every hears, it won't trend.
All right, let's go to the next story and the final story this morning. So we learned that in Lagos State, a particular chairman in Ajeromi Felodun local government of Lagos State has actually changed some street names, from some street names to indigenous names to assert the Yorubaness of Lagos. There's this Lagos is no man's land. So
Lagos for Lagos.
The Ajeromi Felodun local government wants to prove that Lagos is for the Yorubas, and we must assert that. And you can see this is to notify the general public that the old names of the aforementioned streets have been renamed. The council wishes to inform the public that the names have been replaced with new ones. You can see Old Street, Imoeze Street now. New street named Laiwala Oluwa Street, Oyikere Street, now Yeye Retiola, George Street, now Daddy Shoki, Uzo Street, now Kalejai. I mean, you can see the names are all there. And let's take reaction. Etima Jonathan says, from my limited knowledge of town planning, streets are always named after people who developed the area first. So erasing them after their contribution to developing the area, isn't that some sort of ingratitude? And then he __ says, with everything happening in this country, in our street name be this local government chairman problem. And Amgrati says, Lagos is a Portuguese name. They should remember to rename the state too. And Don TV says, does it change petrol pump price? No. If you like, rename everything. It's of no benefit to citizens. It's just a nomenclature. I don't know what that is.
Whatever this means. So.
But then there was a particular comment I said, if you like, if you're on a bike, you now say you want to go to Ibukuoluwa Street, when the name, the bike may know it is Umweze Street. You're on your own. You got lost. What do you think? I mean, I felt this was not necessary, even if you really want to assert the fact that...
I have my opinion on it. 3. Number 1 is this. That somebody said, out of everything affecting this nation, is this what this person can do? By the way, local government chairman doesn't have business with the country, only with his local government. Actually, pump price, the local government doesn't have power over that, or chairman. Number 1, let me say it is, let's see, because I know people apply for streets to be named after them. Do they have the money they pay? I think they do. There's a way you apply. And there's some, people that are the first in a particular place who have helped the community, fine. But it's not bestowed on people as a honor. They apply. And if they apply, they pay. Is there a renewal that these people have failed to pay? Because we should not just see everything on the basis of tribe and religion and people are trying. Because and that, if actually we can have that place again, it's not only Eastern names that are there. This is Osho Drive. Osho is a Yoruba name. Renamed to Musba Oluwa. So these are some of the, let's ask this question. It doesn't have to be anything that looks like something and then we try to say, oh, they're after us again. That victim thing, is there a fee they are supposed to pay that they have not paid and that particular thing has been retrieved? That's the thing. Number 2, was it official in the first place? That's another. And number 3 is the fact that these things are happening. The division, that the 2023 election brought is too enormous. That everything that is released will just be seen through the prism of tribe and tongue and everything. But then let me make that caveat as well. Because of what some persons in Lagos are banding around, especially those that are close to the government, if this thing happens, it will always give that.
And of course, the names of the street they were changing are all in Yoruba.
Although there is Dadishoki Street, or Dadishoki is not Yoruba as well.
Is a nickname.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm only saying we should investigate it before concluding. If it's just because we want to assert the dominance of the Yoruba for Yoruba, Lagos is Lagos, is no man's land, then this being petty. And if somebody has an official document to show that I got this, I applied for it, I've done what I should do, they should head to the court and fight this actually. But because this is Nigeria, And of course, Nigeria was here. Nigeria will continue to be here if these people agree. But that is what we are saying at this time. Let's investigate the matter. And that's my own answer.
All right, good one there, Femi. Thank you for your analysis this morning. And that's where we draw the curtains this morning for Spring Trends. We'll make a return tomorrow for another interesting time. Until then, have for yourself a good day. My name is Evelyn Ohiola.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West, and Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girls got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be shown on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190 on Archive.
Evelyn Ohiole,
Hi.
King Eve. How are you today?
I'm good, I'm fine, I'm alive.
I really feel like she's not giving the right answer to the question. When one asks you, how are you? And you said, you're saying, I'm alive. It's very annoying, seriously. How are you? I'm fine. I feel I'm fine would be the right answer instead of I'm alive. Not that I asked you if you're dead before.
Go and check all these 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, everybody, they are extraordinarily sexually active.
I feel is being unnecessarily hyper when it comes to the issue of sex, because we talk about other topics and he feels so reserved. He really doesn't have anything much to say when it comes to other stuff. But when it's the issue of sex, I believe he's being unnecessarily hyper. That's when I have to pick an issue with him. I mean, it's just being unnecessarily there when we're talking about sex. Just like a child, his mom just got him his favorite chocolate or ice cream, very happy, doing as though if he doesn't have sex for a day, he's going to die.
When it comes to finance, women also support their husbands financially. You need me emotionally. You need me spiritually.
Cassie is an amazing person, but I hate the people agenda. I need you spiritually, I need you mentally. I can get these things anywhere with money. If you go by the topic was, who does marriage favors the most? I know how many jobless women they marry every Saturday. They are saying it favors you, favor. Are they vague so?
Growing up, when I was in the world, we've heard of
Right, you know.
Well, MC Too Much said he likes saying when I was in the world, and the last time I checked, well, it looks a bit innocent facially, but deep down, he's actually out of this world. We're all in the world now. As long as you're alive, you're in the world. So MC Too Much, I beg when you talk about that. I don't want to hear that. Next time you talk, I kiss my words.
I think I have a problem with you saying ladies are champion, and that's the problem. Always trying to attach too much importance to that gender.
It's giving insecurity, it's giving low self-esteem, it's giving a blatant display of egoism. Because at the end of the day, a man who is secured in his worth, a man who is confident of who he is, will not really be disturbed as to whether women are being referred to as champions or not. I mean, at the end of the day, Joseph's a really great guy, but whether he likes it or not, women are champions.
Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Hello, and welcome once again to your show. We call it Pertinent Questions. This is Western Spring Television, Agumbeleu Oshobo. The questions we hope to raise on today's edition of our interview program will focus on entrepreneurship. I said entrepreneurship. The simple definition of who an entrepreneur is that he or she is a person who makes money by starting or running business through financial risk taking. Our guest is here. He will give us a more implied definition. And my guest on the program today is an accomplished entrepreneur who has spent over 21 years of diverse experience across many, call it multiple industries, and you may be right. A first-class degree holder in chemical engineering from University of Lagos. Yes, Akoka. And then listening to that, one may find it difficult and wonder why this very prolific academic has veered or moved on into entrepreneurship. In the course of the program, he might have cause to explain, but then let's welcome him into our midst. I speak of Mr. Bolaji Jegede. You are most welcome to this program. Pertinent Questions.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy and privileged to be on this show today.
Thank you very much. If indeed you are privileged, let's have a warm handshake. I am Adeto Isheshitu Alamu, your anchor for the program, and for the next 45 minutes or so, we should be discussing issues, about entrepreneurship. You are once again welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, I want to say that this program is in two parts. We will spend the first part looking at what I might want to call concept definitions, and then zero in during the second half of the program to discuss some of your pet projects and what have you. So let me begin by asking, what is entrepreneurship and who is an entrepreneur? I gave a little understanding of my knowledge of it, but you are in the field. What is entrepreneurship? Who is an entrepreneur?
So basically for me, entrepreneurship is just the science of running a business of your own. So you're an entrepreneur when you are able to come up with an idea and see that idea through into a viable business. And by entrepreneurship, it also means that you are a problem solver, because the basic essence of entrepreneurship is your ability to actually run a successful business, solve a problem in the community, create jobs by employing people and contributing to the society.
Is entrepreneurship profit-driven or human development centered?
So entrepreneurship is in different categories. There are some people who call themselves capitalists, and they are driven by profit. There are some of people who call themselves social entrepreneurs, in which case they have more human face to what they do, in which case whilst that you are trying to make profit, you are also human in the way you conduct your business. So largely entrepreneurship is profit driven, but it could also have a human face to it.
How is entrepreneurship facilitated in our country, locally and internationally? You know, everything we do in the developing world is often times very different from how it is supposed to be done in the developed countries. So how do you facilitate entrepreneurship in our land?
So when you look at Nigeria or Africa, entrepreneurship has become very difficult because what needs to be on ground to help entrepreneurs is just almost not there. And what do you really need as an entrepreneur? Oftentimes, what you need is funding. And funding is very difficult to come by in Nigeria. And this problem is also similar to in many African countries. And so the bedrock of entrepreneurship is problematic. So it makes the journey always very difficult for young Nigerian or African entrepreneurs. Whereas in Nigeria, if you were going to get a loan for business with any of the commercial banks, you're probably going to be getting a loan at about 35% interest rates. That way, you cannot run any successful business with that kind of funding, because how much can you really make? You're just going to be working for the bank. In Europe, you can get loans as low as single digit, 5%, maybe even less. So in the developing countries, those in entrepreneurship are really, it's like a camel going through the eye of the needle.
Okay.
You really need to be an entrepreneur at heart to really survive.
It means in that way you must not be, you must be human development centered, not necessarily profit driven.
So you can be.
I'm asking.
Yeah, you can be any of the two. It all depends on your orientation and what drives your entrepreneurship enterprise.
Okay.
So you can be profit driven and you can be human centered. You know, so it depends on your personal leaning.
Okay. The expression entropy is all about the way of measuring the lack of or order in a given system. Entropy. To what extent does entropy affect entrepreneurship in our country?
So when you talk about the state of order, and you're talking about entrepreneurship in Nigeria, you cannot really say that it's a chaotic situation, because the things that you need to actually survive as an entrepreneur is not there for the most part. Funding is a problem. In Nigeria today, power is a problem. And when you are running a manufacturing business, for example, almost any business, you need power. Power is now very expensive in Nigeria. You need fuel, PMS for the most part, or diesel, you know. Those are extremely expensive now. And that's perhaps one of the reasons why there's protests going all over the place now. So everything you need to run your business has become almost 4 times the cost. Rents are high, so you want to rent an office, it's high. So everything is chaotic in Nigeria. So when you say entropy, there's no equilibrium. Everything is chaos, as it were. So to navigate that kind of chaotic situation, you need to be really very smart as an entrepreneur. And you have to be very determined, because entrepreneurship is an extremely difficult thing to do in Nigeria or in Africa. So if it's not your calling, you're going to chicken out. And we've seen that happen all over the place.
You have mentioned smart. One needs to be smart. You've mentioned in the course of your answering my questions problematic, and you have also talked about problem solving. If I galvanize all these together and I ask, can the entrepreneur afford to be overcautious in a third world country like ours?
It's going to be, in my experience, it's going to be very important to be cautious, not necessarily over-cautious, because entrepreneurship has its dynamics, and the situations change with time, in which case you have to be also very, present to see the change coming, predict the change, and be able to, flow with the trend. So when you look at the way things are happening now, 10 years back, there wasn't so much technology driving businesses. Now you have technology driving businesses, and people have had to change the way in which they run their businesses. Now, 10, 15 years ago, not so many businesses were online, but today, if you're not online, you're out. And so as a business, you have to be very present, very aware of the changes in the environment, so you can adapt your business, and so your business doesn't die. Today now, there's the boom of the artificial intelligence. And now people are also looking at how do we incorporate artificial intelligence into our business to be able to cater for the millennials and the Gen Zs, so that your business can remain valid and running. So that's why you can't be overcautious, but you have to be actually cautious to a level that you're not losing money, you're not wasting money, but you can actually take advantage of the situation on ground to increase your profit margins.
Well, to what extent, you mentioned artificial intelligence and things like that. Are these new millennium introductions not a threat to the society you want to assist as an entrepreneur? You want them to be gainfully employed, but artificial intelligence has a tendency to drive them out of the job.
Okay, so artificial intelligence in itself is an amazing thing, and like every other thing, artificial intelligence also has its own drawbacks. It has the advantages and disadvantages. So when you look at some productivity tools like ChatGPT, it makes life very easy for you as an entrepreneur, or even as a student or as a career person. So things that could have taken me sometimes 2 weeks can take me 1 hour or 2 hours using AI tools. So AI tools can help your business gain leapfrog. So the tendency really is that, which is on the draw side, on the drawback side, is that with artificial intelligence, people can lose their jobs because now machines can do what 10 people can do. A machine can do it very fast, So you may not need as much people anymore when you begin to engage technology in your business. So that's a drawback. So how do you then solve that drawback? Is that people then need to also understand that in a changing climate, you also have to adapt your skill sets to what is now required. So if AI is going to be here for a while, so it's advisable that people begin to learn those technologies so that you can distinguish yourself in the workplace. So if you actually, truthfully, AI is not going to take away some jobs, but new jobs are also being created. So the question is, how do you as an individual become versatile enough to learn and stay on course? So, when initially, maybe some 20 years back, when the whole idea of computing came in and the people were using typewriters, right? So, but everybody had to adapt to using of computers and phased out typewriters. So if you were not ready to adapt, you just get thrown aside.
The world will leave you behind.
Exactly. So AI is going to create new jobs, so that we need new people with new skill sets. So the idea is going to be to learn those skill sets and make yourself valuable in the new era.
Okay. There is another concept I want you to define and perhaps explain. What is energy renewal? What is involved in that effort at renewal?
Okay, so when you talk about renewable energy, so energy the idea of renewable energy is energy that is low in carbon emission. So traditionally, we have the crude oil, PMS, and all of those kind of energy sources that generate a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And those emissions have a way of causing what we call the climate change. And so over decades now, technology in renewable energy have been developed. So when you have the solar power systems, you have the hydro energy, you have geothermal energy, you have wind energy, those are renewable sources. And you call them renewable because the source of those energy are always with us. So solar energy, for example, the sun is always there. And when you use this kind of technologies, they don't emit carbon dioxide that is affecting the ozone layer and is causing global warming. So that's why these days, countries around the world are trying to diversify away from fossil fuels into renewable energy. We're talking of hydrogen now and those kind of energy sources, biomass and biogas and natural gas.
The life we live today as a people, as a nation, and indeed the entire world is very development conscious. How much social development crusading are entrepreneurs doing or carrying out in a country, a third world country like Nigeria? How much of it?
Yeah,
and how impactful has it been?
So some entrepreneurs are doing well, trying to do something we call the corporate social responsibility. And by that, we mean that as a business, we set apart some amount of our profits to helping the society. So you're doing projects in underserved communities. And we have examples of people who are doing amazing things in those areas. So I don't know if I can mention, you have the Tony Elumelu Foundation, okay, for example. They've disbursed over, I think, $100 million to young entrepreneurs all over Africa in the last maybe 6 to 10 years. They are doing amazing well. So many of those young people have gone on to run organizations that are now employing people. The last time I was listening to Tony Elumelu, and he said that about 400,000 jobs have been created through that effort, across Africa. The Dangote Foundation is also doing a lot of amazing things, but a lot more people can do more. But when you see the difficulty to which people are doing entrepreneurship in Nigeria, most organizations are finding it difficult to even break even or make any meaningful profit, let alone trying to then put money into the community. So if entrepreneurship and the barrier to entry is reduced significantly, companies can make more profit, and you can have more companies doing corporate social responsibility, and so many communities can actually be impacted by these social development efforts. But I think there are quite a number of people doing well in those areas, but there's a lot more that can be done if entrepreneurs are able to actually make money than lose money, which is what we are seeing these days.
You mentioned a short while ago, if the barriers to entry could be, is it reduced, or how did you put it?
Yeah, it can be reduced.
Reduced. What do you mean by that?
So barriers to entry. So now we talk about funding. And if you want to start a business and you go to any of the commercial banks and they're telling you they're going to getting money at about 35% interest rate, that's already impossible. The banks helping out these days are banks like the Bank of Industry and the Bank of Agriculture, who still have rates around 10% and maybe 12% in the Bank of Agri. So that at least is better, but it's always best that we get things like single digits interest rates. That's on one side. The other side is the multiple taxations that businesses face in Nigeria. So you have so many layers of taxation, and that becomes prohibitive. You can have, in some states, you can have almost 6 kind of agencies levying you, and it becomes problematic for someone to run a business when you're paying so much tax. You begin to hear radio tax, television tax, beginning here, local government taxes. You're paying. There's payee. Yes. There's income tax. Yeah. Then if you're in the oil and gas industry, like some of the things that we do, you have the NSITF. You have all sorts of things that you have to pay for.
Suffer renewal. I mean, ownership renewal. What do
you know? At the same time, as a company, you're also expected to pay, contribute to the pension of your staff. You're supposed to put your staff on HMOs. So how do you do that? How much are you really making that you can put your staff on HMO, pay their pension, pay your payee, pay your income tax. Income tax is probably around 30-something% now, maybe 30 or thereabout. So you pay payee. So it's like you're working for the government. So that's why people are cutting corners.
All right.
You know, now you are trying to pay import duties at the port. The rates are astronomical. People can't buy cars anymore because the rates on used cars are now so high. Maybe around 35%. I gathered the last time. So people can't buy cars. So businesses are suffering in Nigeria, and we hope that the president and the administration now and the governors can really do a lot to help entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, especially MSMEs, are the ones that create jobs in any economy, and we create the most jobs. And if we are having so much problems that we cannot take money at single-digit interest rates, we are facing multiple taxes at all levels. We are facing some of the law enforcement agencies have become
lords.
And I mean, you just have some of different agencies come to your offices and be asking questions. Before you know, the people from the Ministry of Work, Ministry of Labor will come. All they are coming to do most of the time is you must give them money. Before you know it, another agency is there. So it's a very problematic situation, and people are losing jobs because the truth of the matter is that if I'm not making profits, people can't keep their jobs. And so the government needs to understand that if you're not solving all these problems, then the government is not doing what it should be doing as governments. Businesses need to be supported. When you go to China, I have more than 20 Chinese partners across our business divisions. And in China, the government helps those businesses to survive. And that's why they're expanding massively. But in Nigeria, it's as if the government is killing businesses. And look at what is happening to Dangote now. He has spent $20 billion to build the biggest single refinery in the world. And people in government, for their own selfish and best interests, which we don't understand, will not even allow him get the crude oil he needs.
Okay.
So
it's been solved now.
It's
been solved
in some way, but I hope it's been solved.
The government says he's entitled to paying in naira.
So that helps, and we should thank the president for intervening. But we know that there's a lot of undercurrents.
Yeah. Okay. Let's leave that for another time.
Yeah.
We are all Nigerians. It's in our DNA. You never can tell. I don't even know whether I should call you an engineer or a mister. That's why I've just said Bolaji, because you are a professional engineer, chemical engineer, and today you are into entrepreneurship. So I say, Bolaji Jegede, we will be back. This is the first part. We will go on a short break, and when we return, we will look at some of these things your organization has been doing.
Thank you.
Viewer at home, I have been in a chat with Bolaji Jegede. He is an entrepreneur and a chief executive. We will be back. The show remains pertinent questions, and we will keep on asking him very many pertinent questions as they affect his work, entrepreneurship. welcome to the show, and which is hosting Engineer Bolaji Jegede, a business manager, consultant, project manager, trainer, social developer in many aspects. Before we went, I was telling the viewer that this is a man who has left his 40 and is now into real business. Let me ask you, a chemical engineer, holder of a first-class degree in that field, what pushed you out of your 40 and now you are into entrepreneurship?
Okay, so for me, entrepreneurship is something that I believe is my calling. I believe that's what I'm born to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I started entrepreneurship while I was in the second year in the University of Lagos. Mm-hmm. And when I started, okay, I read a book, The Richest Man in Babylon.
Okay.
And that book stirred up something in me that began the entrepreneurship journey. And so in my second year in the University of Lagos, studying chemical engineering, I began to think that, okay, it's like I love what that book talked about and how you could grow your income. And I started thinking around what I could do. And so I think the first thing I did then was that I went to get a distributorship of a mosquito repellent. Mm-hmm. They used to call it Odomos.
Okay.
So when you rub it on your body, mosquitoes won't be able to bite you. And in the University of Lagos, because we're very close to the lagoon, so there's a lot of mosquitoes, and people read, you know, at night, and it's a lot of mosquitoes. So, and that's entrepreneurship. You have to be solving a problem, and so mosquitoes was a problem. So when I got that distributorship, so I would go from lecture theaters to other lecture theaters, selling it in the night when people are reading, you know. So people would buy it and they use it, you know, and they solve a problem.
Effective.
It was effective, and I was making money doing that, and that became very exciting, you know. And that I went on and on. By the time I was graduating in the University of Lagos, I already had 5 businesses on campus. I had the photocopying center in my room, in my hostel. Then I had another one in a girls' hostel. So I partnered with one of my classmates to be running it in our room, and we're sharing the profit 50-50. The one she is running in her room. So later I also started. I realized that when I was getting to the 300, 400 level, we're doing what we call programming in engineering. So I went to go and learn how to program. That time was still Fortran programming, C++, those kind of very old ones now. And so I went to go and learn it, and I knew it very well. I started what we call the BJ Programming Institute. So my classmates would come to my institute to come and learn. Okay. So at that time, I would charge them about, I think, 5,000 each. So before I knew it, I had more than almost 30 people in my class. Mm-hmm. Training for about 2-3 weeks. Yes, students, my classmates. Yes, yeah. So, you know, so I was on that institute, training people. Then, of course, many of them too, because they probably wouldn't even know it. So I would still have to solve their assignments for them, and they will still pay me for that. So later on, I started forex trading. So I was training people in forex, you know, and then later, I have about 5 different businesses I was running on campus. But I also had the presence of mind to be able to also focus on my academics. Mm-hmm. So I was still able to come with a first class. Mm-hmm. And when I was also graduating, I was the entrepreneur of the year. You know, so, and I was still the 3rd best graduation student in the faculty of engineering. Right. You know, with a CGPA of 4.8 out of 5. Mm-hmm. So I was able to blend academics and entrepreneurship, you know, from university. So that's what I've been doing since I left university. Mm-hmm. You know, I had a scholarship to Cambridge University for my master's degree. Okay. You know, so I went to Cambridge University, but I realized that although I knew I could succeed academically, but I was more interested in entrepreneurship. Yeah. So when I got to Cambridge University, I was on full scholarship, and by the second term, I just didn't like the classroom environment anymore. It wasn't what I really wanted to do. So I dropped out of Cambridge University, and I left England. I went to Ghana to set up an oil and gas company. You know, so that didn't even pan out well. I lost all the money, and I came back to Nigeria, started all over again. You know, so there's all that roller coaster, risk taking, and that's what I enjoy doing. You know, so that's how I started the entrepreneurship journey from the university. Okay. And now it's 21 years.
Okay.
And we're doing some amazing things.
Okay, we will get to some of those amazing things shortly. Foundations do not necessarily make money, do they? What you call foundations?
So what you call foundations, they are typically not for profit. So it doesn't mean that they shouldn't make money, because they do make money. They make money enough to be able to continue running the foundation and continue to do the amazing work they do. But they are not profit driven, and that's the difference.
Now, imagine a Nigerian foundation not being profit driven, especially younger ones like you. You are not talking of the Dangotes who have gone through the mail. Yes, they have it. How they got it, we don't know, but they have it. They may lose. What lessons do you draw from some of these ones who have already established?
Okay, so
and the challenges they went through too.
Okay, so running a not-for-profit organization, or what you call a foundation, is something you do. So businesses do it when they have made money, so that they can use that, some of their money, to give back to the society. Some people run foundations as their own business or as their own calling, right? So typically and ideally, foundations should be not for profit. But it is not to say that they will not earn money, because if it's an organization, so you have staff, you have overhead, you have to pay for your light, you have to pay for your vehicles, you have to maintain your properties, you have to pay your rent. So they must be able to make money and to be able to solve all those things they need to solve, and also why they're also, doing amazing things in the society. So what people do typically is to apply for grants. So there are a lot of development partners, the United Nations, the EU, there are all sorts of development partners that allow foundations to apply for grants, and they get grants to do the program they are doing. And so that's the ways in which you can do it. So that you are getting grants, or you have a business, then part of your profit, you put that into community development through your foundation.
You are an accomplished entrepreneur. The story you have just told us, dating back to your student days, got to a point you were even employing, your student, your classmate, course-mates became your students in that institute you set up. Currently, you are the convener of Osun Vision 2035. Make Osun great for all. What brought this about?
Okay, so Osun Vision 2035 is one of the initiatives that I came up with to help Osun State, to transform Osun State into an economic powerhouse in Nigeria and Africa by 2035.
That's some 11 years.
That's some 11 years time. And the idea is to be able to maximize the opportunities that Osun State actually presents. So in the area of tourism, in the area of economy, in the area of technology, in the area of entrepreneurship and leadership. So the idea is to, so what that initiative is going to be doing is that we have about 8 strategic objectives or initiatives that will crystallize into making Osun State that powerhouse that I hope that it can be. And that, of course, we involved a lot of key players, entrepreneurs, the young people of Osun State, government, key stakeholders will have to, rally around that initiative for it to be a success.
Okay, you mentioned you have about 8 objectives.
Yes.
Is food security one of them?
So there's the agricultural revolution, and that's where the food security actually comes in. And Osun State is geographically positioned in a manner that Osun can become the food basket of Nigeria by 2035, and that's the objective for under the agricultural revolution of the Vision 2035 for Osun State. That Osun State should be the food basket of Nigeria by 2035. And that's very possible.
I'm very interested in that. Yes, you said that's very possible. Perhaps I should allow you to tell us how
so
possible and how practical.
So when you look at Osun State, we have a lot of arable land, and there is no local government in Osun State that does not have 1 or 2, 3 crops that they produce. Now we have a lot of fish farmers in Osun State. We have a lot of people in piggery, in farming, in all sorts of agricultural endeavor. And the idea really is, if we are able to galvanize stakeholders around those people and create the enabling environment to make agriculture, attractive to young people, it's possible to actually make Osun State the food basket of Nigeria. And that's what we're going to be doing, because we're going to be launching the vision itself in November this year, November 11 to 14. And the theme for that summit is going to be making the food security summit, as part of the agricultural revolution, making Osun State the food basket of Nigeria by 2035. And so we have invited, it's going to be a summit and international exhibition that brings together stakeholders in the agriculture sector. There are people coming from abroad to also exhibit, and it's going to bring agricultural technologists together, policy makers, entrepreneurs, investors, diplomats, all key stakeholders within Osun State, within Nigeria, and even internationally, because we're inviting consular generals of the different embassies, who will also in turn be able to share our ideas with investors from their countries. Already now, some Chinese are telling me they want to come and exhibit. We have people in the UK that are telling me that they want the details, if they can get some UK companies to come and exhibit. It's likely going to be the biggest agricultural expo in the history of Nigeria, by the way we are planning it.
Okay, it's your baby.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Then I have to pause there, because maybe we have to find a way of bringing you back so that you can pay for the services here.
Yeah, we are very happy to do that.
What I'm doing now is just to learn from the ABC of entrepreneurship. So we keep that onto another day before November.
That's fine.
But then you are also the convener of Youth Action for Nigerian Development Initiative. That concept, what is it all about?
Okay, so the idea of the Youth Action for Nigerian Development Initiative, that was the very first initiative that I put together under the foundation, the Pabio Stone Foundation. Mm-hmm. And the idea was to actually, when I look at Nigeria, it's largely a youth population. Mm-hmm. And so the idea was for me to be able to, how can we utilize the energy of the youth to bring about national development? And so what I began to do was to do youth-led programs to bring the youth together in areas of entrepreneurship, leadership, primary health care, education. So I sectored the Nigerian economy into the key areas that could bring about development. And we began to run programs for young people. And so the idea really was for me to see, when I was setting that up in 2015 or 2014, thereabout, the idea was for me to see, how can I contribute to the development of Nigeria? And that's what's always uppermost in my mind.
Couldn't you have started from one small, maybe your state? Talking about Nigeria generally, makes it a little bit more
like a big scale thing.
Yes.
So the idea is quite futuristic.
Okay.
So when we say Nigeria, the idea is where we want to get to in the future.
Okay.
So oftentimes the programs we've been running has been in Osun State, in Lagos, and it can only, so this initiative can only spread to Nigeria when it's adopted.
Yes.
Far and wide.
Talking about adoption, there is a concept. They adopt a community concept that your foundation is also looking at.
Yes, so the Adopt a Community project.
Yes, what is it?
Now, so why did I come up with that Adopt a Community? So, I've been doing community development since I was in my 300 level. I said I started business in 200 level.
Yeah.
In 300 level, I was already giving bursaries to other students.
You yourself?
Yes. So
this guy must be rich then.
No, so I'm not actually rich.
No.
I'm not actually
that's
okay. So I'm rich.
Mood.
No, yeah, I know. So I'm actually rich. Talking in faith, right? But I'm the kind of person that I can say I give for a living.
Yeah.
So I can have 100 naira now, and I can give out 80 naira. And that's what drives me. So so what drives my entrepreneurship is the things I really want to do in the foundation. So I do the business I do because I want to use the money I make to do humanitarian things. So I'm actually more invested in the foundation, but the business I do it because I can solve those problems in the nation. And so that's why so they adopt a community. So what did I realize? So I realized that I've been doing community development work now maybe for over 15 years. So I realized that I do things in different communities. So sometimes I feel like I can't really see what I've done, but we've done a whole lot. And so what I want to do with Adopt a Community, what I'm doing with it is now when we adopt a community, we concentrate our activities on that community. Okay. So we have a test run that we're doing right now in a Lala community in Osun State. It's in Atakumosa West local government. And we have been with them for 3 years. So what did I do? It's a farming community. It's a cluster of about 26 communities. And they have a king, the Bale of Lala community. And so what I did, I went to the community and I spoke with the king. I understood what they were doing. They were farmers. And they told me, they said, look, we don't see, government has not reached us. It's like we're in the dark. And that we were happy if you're going to be able to help us. So I said, okay. And then I took them to the Bank of Agric, because I'm a consultant for the Bank of Agric in Osun State and also the Bank of Industry in Osun State. So I took them to the Bank of Agriculture, and the Bank of Agric graciously started giving them funding for their agricultural businesses. So right now, they've gotten about 3 rounds of funding from the Bank of Agric over the past 3 years, and they're doing very well in their agricultural, but they can do better. Because now I'm trying to look for even some other cheaper funding for them. That's not the only thing we have done. They had a problem with water. They have only one borehole in that community. And so they had a generator that powers the borehole, which had gone bad. So they have to trek kilometers before they could get water. So they were calling, the king was calling me that this water problem. So I told them that the foundation will get them a generator when we have funds for it. Because we have funds, but we are doing a lot of things. And for the past over 15 years I've been running the foundation, I've never gotten a dime from anywhere. I've always used my money because I just enjoy doing it. But now I realize that it's impossible to do the much work we want to do without support. And now we'll be seeking for support. So I have to, so we don't buy the generator for them. And I said, I just told my wife, so I begged my wife, I said, look, please, I'm going to inconvenience the family. The community needs a generator and I have to give them our generator. So my wife agreed, thankfully. Thank you to my wife. And I took my generator and I went to give it to them in the community. So now they could pump water, the community can have water. And when you see the joy in the face of the people, I mean, that's what keeps me going, really. You know?
Have you replaced what Madame allowed you to send away?
So to the glory of God.
No, I'm asking that question.
No, yes.
Have you replaced
it? I have replaced. God has replaced it.
Okay.
Because funny enough, 2 weeks after that, I gave them a 6.5 kVA generator. It was bigger than what they needed. So I said, okay, let it power the Primary Health Care Center, the palace, and the water system. So 2 weeks after, my father just called me and said, oh, but he has 3 generators. Do I need anyone? And that's what he gave me 1 generator. Funny enough, it was exactly 6.5 kVA that my father gave to me, so and it's new.
God. The God factor.
And that's the God factor. Amazing things that happen.
So before we pack it up, round it up completely, I'm interested in this La community, isn't it?
Yes.
Apart from this, what kind of impact would you say is being made on this group? Do we see the potential of that small enclave becoming a food basket as you?
No, absolutely, and that's the goal. So when I was talking about the Osun State being a food basket of Nigeria, the idea is to actually approach it on a community-based level. So Lala, for example, is an agriculture, a farming community. So they produce maize, they produce cassava, they have cocoa, and they do pepper and tomatoes. So we are going to, already now I'm talking to some investors. We're going to be setting up a factory in Lala there. Already, I mean, because of the things I've been doing there, the king already gave me about 5 plots of land to build the factory, and I'm not paying for that.
Okay.
So we thank the La community, who is also giving back to us, So we're going to have that processing facility in Lala that will be converting maize to maize flour, converting cassava to gari, and that
I'm
the
interested
workforce.
in tomato.
So the tomato is a tricky one, but it's something that we're looking at in the long term.
Yeah.
Right now, we already have off-takers for those things. That so anything coming out of Lala today, we have off-takers for everything. The challenge we're having now is getting funding for them. So the challenge with the Bank of Agri funding that they've had is that when the funds come in, because of this approval and bureaucracies all over the place, when the fund is coming, it doesn't come by the time they need it.
Okay.
So even returning becomes a bit problematic. The cycle is very bad. So what I'm trying to do for them now is I'm going to take a loan myself, except we get support, which we hope we can get. And then I'll take the loan myself so I can pay the bank and I'll loan the money to them at the exact time. So they get the money, I give them money at the time they need it. I'll be paying the bank myself, and then they will pay with interest, same interest, but it's now convenient for them. They're not under pressure. Right now, they are always under pressure to repay the Bank of Industry. So I'm going to absorb that pressure, and I'll be paying back the Bank of Industry or wherever I get money from my own money, and they can actually focus and have a clear head on their business. And that we can grow that community. And that's what we intend to translate in different communities of Osun states and to achieve that 2035 dream in the agricultural revolution part of the vision.
Well, Engineer Bolaji Jegede, I suppose you come from Ijesha land.
Yes, I do.
Yes,
I'm from
Jegede.
I'm from Erioke.
Okay.
I'm an Ijesha man.
Okay. I'd like to appreciate your coming.
Thank you very much.
I put in a call just less than 72 hours, and you have been able to be here. So thank you very much. As I did promise, in November, hopefully we'll bring you back here, and that time you'll be also willing to do public relations for this organization.
Absolutely. The station is a friend of myself.
Okay.
The MD is like an uncle to me. He's like the CEO is like a mentor to me. He supports everything I'm doing, whether it's the Vision 2035, whether it's even the Vision 2050 that I have for Nigeria. He's always supporting everything that I do.
Thank you very much.
It's really a pleasure being here.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be in Lagos this morning. Yeah. I had to just shelve that trip to be here.
You can still get to Lagos today.
I believe I can do that.
To the viewer at home, I have been speaking with Engineer Bolaji Jegede, a business manager, consultant, a project manager, trainer, social developer, and he tells me he's also into public speaking. We will discuss that much later on because this is broadcasting house. He is also an entrepreneur, chief executive officer of a private initiative called Pabio Stone Group, Foundation for Rural Development. He has been our guest, and I want to appreciate him for coming. I want to believe that you also had some very useful lessons to learn, particularly in the first half of our presentation that dealt in concept definitions of what entrepreneur is, what's renewable energies and things like that. That has been our story. Adetoye Shishituolamo is my name. Next week, we will be here again with another guest. Thank you very much. Goodbye for now. Until next week. So long.
Nínú àwọn ìran àti ẹ̀yà tí ìbejì ti wọ́pọ̀ sí jùlọ lágbàáyé ni ìran Yorùbá jẹ́. Yorùbá sì máa ń ṣàjọyọ̀ àwọn ìbejì gẹ́gẹ́ bí olú ọmọ. Pàápàá nínú àwọn ìpèdè tó ń ṣe àfihàn oríkì ìbejì, ẹ ó máa gbọ́ wíníwíní lójú orogún, èjìwọ̀rọ̀ lójú ìyá ẹ̀, ọ̀bẹ kìí ṣe bẹ́kìṣà, ó bẹ́ sílé alákìísà, ó sa alákìísà donígba aṣọ. àfijù ọmọ tí gbàdọ̀bálẹ̀ bàbá ọ̀kan bá bí èjì ló wọlé tọ̀ mí wá. Yorùbá nígbàgbọ́ wípé orúkọ ẹni nìjánu ẹni, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wọ́n sì gbàgbọ́ pé orúkọ ọmọ a máa ru ọmọ. Ìdí nìyí tí Yorùbá fi máa ń ronú jinlẹ̀ kí wọ́n tó sọmọ lórúkọ. Ètò akọ́mọlédè ló ń dé sójú ìwòran yín láti iléeṣẹ́ móhùnmáwòrán WSTV ìkànnì 150 channel 190 lórí StarTimes. Yorùbá dùn púpọ̀, Yorùbá ò lè kú, Yorùbá ò lè parun. Tiwa làṣà, tiwa lèdè, tiwa nìṣẹ̀ṣe akọ́mọlédè. Ìlú Abẹ́òkúta gẹ́gẹ́ bí orúkọ rẹ̀, ìlú tí a tẹ̀dó sábẹ́ Olúmọ. Ó jẹ́ ibùgbé àwọn ẹ̀yà Ẹ̀gbá àti Òwu tó jìjàǹgbara lọ́wọ́ Aláàfin Ọ̀yọ́ àtijọ́. Láàrin ọdún 1775 sí 1780 ni akọni Lísàbí Àgbòǹgbò Àkàlà léwájú wọn láti dáwọ́ sísan ìṣákọ́lẹ̀ fún Aláàfin dúró. Ìdí nìyí tí àwọn ọmọ Abẹ́òkúta ṣe ń pe ara wọn ní ọmọ Ẹ̀gbá mọ Lísàbí Àgbòǹgbò Àkàlà. Ìlú Abẹ́òkúta jẹ́ ìlú àwọn ọ̀làjú àti aláfẹ́. Ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn òyìnbó aláwọ̀ funfun ló fi bẹ̀ ṣe ìlú, pàápàá lásìkò ìjọba amúnisìn. Ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì àkọ́kọ́ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà ní St. Peters tó wà ní Aké. Ilé ìwòsàn àkọ́kọ́ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà Sacred Heart Hospital ìlú Abẹ́òkúta ló wà. Aláké lorúkọ oyè ọba ìlú Ẹ̀gbá. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni Òkè Olúmọ wà níbùdó tó tẹ́jú láti lè fi rí gbogbo ìlú Abẹ́òkúta ní orí òkè náà. Àwọn ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n àti onímọ̀ púpọ̀ ló jẹ́ ọmọ bíbí ìlú Abẹ́òkúta. Àwọn bíi ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n Wọlé Ṣóyínká, ọ̀jìnmí akọni obìnrin ní Fúnmiláyọ̀ Ransom Kuti àtọ̀pọ̀ àwọn míì. Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ àti àdìrẹ níṣẹ́ tó gbayì nílùú Abẹ́òkúta. Ẹ̀gbá mọ Lísàbí. Àbújá ni olú ìlú orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. Ọjọ́ 12 oṣù 12 ọdún 1991 ni wọ́n gbé ibùjókòó agbára Nàìjíríà kúrò nílùú Èkó lọ sílùú Àbújá lásìkò ìṣèjọba ológun ọ̀gágun fẹ̀yìntì Ibrahim Babangida. Ìlú Àbújá ni ìlú kẹjọ tí èrò pọ̀ sí jùlọ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. Ó sì jẹ́ ìlú olódi tó wà ní àárín gbùngbùn. Gbogbo àwọn ilé-iṣẹ́ àti àjọ ìjọba kọ̀ọ̀kan ló ní olú ọ́fíìsì wọn nílùú Àbújá. Gẹ́gẹ́ bó ṣe jẹ́ pé ibẹ̀ gan ni ibùjókòó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. Lọ́dún 2003 ni àjọ Commonwealth gbé ìpàdé wọn wá síbẹ̀. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni àjọ olókoòwò nílẹ̀ adúláwọ̀ ṣe lọ́dún 2014. Kódà lọ́dún 2016 àjọ tó ń rí sí ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ọmọdé ìyẹn UNESCO gbà á gẹ́gẹ́ bí ibùdó ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ wọn. Díẹ̀ lára àwọn ibùdó tó gbajúgbajà nílùú Àbújá ni àpáta agbára Aso Rock, ilé aṣòfin àpapọ̀, ilé aṣojúṣòfin ilẹ̀ yìí, àpáta Zuma Rock, Millennium Park, báńkì àpapọ̀ ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà CBN, mọ́ṣáláṣí àpapọ̀ àti ibùdó ilé ìjọsìn àpapọ̀ àwọn Kìrìsìtẹ́nì. Ẹkùn ìdìbò 6 ló wà nílùú Àbújá: Abaji, Buhari, Gwagwalada, Kuje, Kwali àti Abuja Municipal. Kílìṣì tó jẹ́ ohun ìpanu tí wọ́n fi ẹran pèsè ló jẹ́ oúnjẹ tó wọ́pọ̀ tí gbogbo èèyàn sì nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí nílùú Àbújá. Ó jẹ́ ibùdó ìsinmi fún ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn arìnrìn-àjò láti ẹkùn kọ̀ọ̀kan nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà nítorí pé àárín gbùngbùn ló wà. Ìlú Àbújá rèé o, ibùdó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà, ògo ilẹ̀ adúláwọ̀.
dẹ̀mú sí lásìkò tó yí kalẹ̀ lè jẹ́ kó kálukú fi ṣe òdiwọ̀n ohun tí ọbẹ̀ ní pé sí ìdílé kan pè ní tiẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n àtẹ́lẹwọ́ ẹni la fi ń tún yàtọ̀ sí ìgbàlódé yóò sọ bí lórí ìbò káfíkónú káfíkúlápẹ̀ lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan lórí ètò níbẹ̀ lọ́mọ Afọlábí ó ti mọ tàkó tó béèrè sí wọn kan kí lọ́rọ̀ náà wù sílẹ̀ nínú ìdílé bẹ́ẹ̀ sì làwọn àlejò náà jẹ́ mọ̀wé àti òfin dàrú tí ń tò bẹ́ẹ̀rù máa lórí ètò yìí ní gbọ́dọ̀ mẹ́ta aago mẹ́jọ ní ìwòran Western Prince ní àdó àlù StarTimes bẹ́ẹ̀ ló tọ̀sẹ̀ yìí ó máa yàtọ̀ ní kò ní yàtọ̀ fọ́.
Èkó Lagos, Èkó akéte ìlú ọgbọ́n, Èkó akéte ìlú ìmọ̀, ọmọ ọlọ́gbọ́n dorí ẹja mú, àwọn òmùgọ̀ àdìímú nírù, ẹni dèkó tí ò gbọ́n ọgbọ́n rẹ̀ dọ̀run alákejì. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí àrọ́bá ẹni tó tẹ ìṣẹ́ridó tó sì kọ́kọ́ gbé ibẹ̀ lọ́dún 1699 ló jẹ́ ọdẹ tí orúkọ rẹ̀ ń jẹ́ Ògúnfúnminíre, ọmọ ọba ìlú Ilé Ifẹ̀ ní í ṣe. Ó máa ń ṣọdẹ lọ síbẹ̀ láti Ifẹ̀ ó sì pàgọ́ tó ti máa ń sinmi ṣáájú kó tún tó lọ bẹ ilé rẹ̀ wò. nígbà tó yá àwọn ọdẹ mìíràn wá darapọ̀ mọ́ láti ṣọdẹ. nínú igbó yìí ni wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣọdẹ tí wọ́n sì ń pọ̀ sí pẹ̀lú àwọn ènìyàn wọn. báyìí ni wọ́n ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní tàn kálẹ̀ tó fi dé gbogbo ibi tí Èkó fẹ̀ dé lónìí. ìlú Èkó ìlú ńlá. ìlú Èkó yìí ni ibùdó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà wà tẹ́lẹ̀ rí pàápàá lásìkò ìjọba amúnisìn ṣáájú ọdún 1991 tí wọ́n gbé lọ sílùú Àbújá. Èkó àdèlé ọmọ agun àgẹ̀rẹ̀, Èkó ọmọ afíjú wọjà arìngbẹ́ndẹ́kẹ́, ọ̀bùn wọjà páṣíọ̀ṣíọ̀, ẹ̀yọ̀ ní bàbá Èkó, àríjó ṣe bí ọba. Èkó ọmọ odò tí ò ṣeé yájú sí, Èkó arómi sá lẹ̀gbẹ́lẹ̀gbẹ́. Ìlú Ìbàdàn. Ìlú Ìbàdàn ni olú ìlú àti ìlú tí ó tóbi jù nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ tó wà ní ẹkùn ìwọ̀ oòrùn gúúsù ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. Kò dín ní èèyàn bíi mílíọ̀nù 6 tó ń gbé nígboro ìlú Ìbàdàn nìkan ṣoṣo. Odù Ifá ọ̀sẹ̀ méjì ni àwọn Yorùbá gbàgbọ́ pé ó tẹ ìlú Ìbàdàn dó. Àwọn ọmọ ìlú Ìbàdàn jẹ́ akíkanjú, wọ́n fẹ́ràn ìdàgbàsókè, ọ̀làjú ni wọ́n. Àwọn baba ńlá wọn sì jẹ́ jagunjagun. Àbájọ tí a fi máa ń gbọ́ nínú oríkì wọn pé Ìbàdàn mèsì ọ̀gọ̀, nílé Olúyọ̀lé, ìlú Ògúnmọ́lá olódògbò kẹ̀rí lójú ogun, Ìbàdàn ọmọ àjòròsàn, ọmọ àjẹ̀gbínyó, ọmọ àfikàràhùn fọ́ orí mu. Olúbàdàn lórúkọ oyè ọba ilẹ̀ Ìbàdàn. Máyẹ̀ Okùn Adé ló kọ́kọ́ jẹ baálẹ̀ nìbàdàn. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìlú ńlá, ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn iléeṣẹ́ àti àjọ ńláńlá ló wà nílùú Ìbàdàn. Ìbàdàn tó gbonílé tó gbé àlejò. Ọmọ Ìbàdàn kí ni sóò. New York nílùú ńlá tó tóbi jù nílẹ̀ Amẹ́ríkà. Kódà iye ènìyàn tó wà níbẹ̀ ló fi ìdá méjì ju ti ìlú Los Angeles lọ. Ó jẹ́ oríṣiríṣi ìgbà iṣẹ́ ọmọ ẹ̀rọ ìlú ẹ̀kọ́ ọrọ̀ ajé kódà tó farẹ́ ìdárayá. New York yìí ló gbàlejò ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ olùdókòwò kárí ayé tó sì fẹsẹ̀ múlẹ̀ gidi gan ni. Ìdí nìyí tí àwọn kan fi máa ń pè é ní olú ìlú orílẹ̀-èdè àgbáyé. Ohun ìdámọ̀ tó gbajúgbajà jù ní New York ní ère òmìnira Statue of Liberty, eléyìí tó ń ṣàfihàn bí ìlú náà ṣe fàyè gba onílé àtàlejò. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni afárá Brooklyn kò lẹ́gbẹ́. Ó kéré tán ẹgbẹ̀rin ní oríṣi èdè tí wọ́n ń sọ ní New York. Èyí ló sì fa bí wọ́n ṣe máa ń sọ pé gbogbo èdè àgbáyé ló pé sílùú New York. Ní nǹkan ọdún 1624 ni àwọn èèyàn ẹ̀yà Dutch tẹ̀dó sí ibi tó ń jẹ́ New York báyìí. Amsterdam ni wọ́n ń pè é tẹ́lẹ̀ nígbà náà, àmọ́ lọ́dún 1664 ni wọ́n yí padà sí New York. Lẹ́yìn tí ọba King Charles kejì tilẹ̀ Gẹ̀ẹ́sì fún arákùnrin rẹ̀ ní ilẹ̀ ìyẹn Duke of York. Láti ọdún 1785 ló ti wá di olú ìlú ilẹ̀ Amẹ́ríkà títí di òní olónìí. Ó jẹ́ ìlú ńlá tó kún fún ọ̀pọ̀ iṣẹ́ ọnà àti ibùdó iṣẹ́ àtinúdá oríṣiríṣi fún gbogbo ìran ọmọnìyàn. Ìlú New York lórílẹ̀-èdè Amẹ́ríkà.
ètò yìí tún ti dán. ètò ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò ló tún gorí afẹ́. tọmọdé tàgbà ẹ̀sùn mọ́ mi ẹ̀sọ́ Adéyẹmí Ọlábọ̀dé ló sọ wípé ohun abádìjọ́rò gígùn nígùn.
ẹ ṣeun gbogbo ẹ̀yin honorable wa ibikíbi tẹ́ bá ti ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa agbègbè yòówù tẹ́ bá wà tẹ́ bá ti ń wò wá kí yín o. Ẹ káàbọ̀ sílé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò ló máa ń dé sójú ìwòran yín
láti ìkànnì Western Spring Television ìkànnì àádọ́wàá channel 190 lórí Star Times DTT ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń wò wá lórí móhùnmáwòrán lẹ́lẹ̀ mọ́ wò wá lórí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára ní orí YouTube ẹ ṣáà ti tẹ Western Spring Television. Ẹ má gbàgbé gbogbo aago 3 ọ̀sán ọjọ́ Ẹtì ní Ṣòkòtò mọ́ ń túya gbanisólóde nínú ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò. Àsìkò yìí ni gbogbo ẹ̀yin honorable máa ń kópa ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà nínú ilé ẹ̀yin náà honorable ní nídìí móhùnmáwòrán yín àbídìí fóònù yín tẹ́ wà ń àbídìí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà nídìí móhùnmáwòrán yín honorable ní ẹ má gbàgbé àwọn tó wà nínú kulu pẹ̀lú mi tá a jọ ń wòra wa sójú honorable náà ni wọ́n nínú ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò. Àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tá a mọ̀ gbé kalẹ̀ àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tá a mọ̀ sọ àwọn èrò wa àwọn ìwòye àti àwọn àbá tá a mọ̀ dá kò gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe àfihàn wa gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹni tí ò ní ìkóra ẹni ní ìjánu. Ẹ jẹ́ á tẹ̀lé ìlànà ìkóra ẹni ní ìjánu. Ẹ jẹ́ á tẹ̀lé àwọn òfin tó rọ̀ mọ́ ìjókòó ilé yìí. A gbọ́dọ̀ sọ ọ̀rọ̀ àlùfàǹsá a gbọ́dọ̀ sọ ọ̀rọ̀ tó lè dá họ́wùhọ́wù sílẹ̀ tàbí lọ́rùn iwájú pọ̀ mọ́ ti pàkọ́. Nínú ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tó bá ṣúyọ lẹ́ka ọrọ̀ ajé lẹ́ka ètò ààbò lẹ́ka iṣẹ́ ọ̀gbìn lẹ́ka ètò ẹ̀kọ́ lẹ́ka ètò ìlera àti àwọn ẹ̀ka lónìrànràn lájọ máa ń gbéyẹ̀wò nínú ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò ohun tí ó ṣe wá láǹfààní. Ẹ dẹ̀ mọ́ gbàgbé yàtọ̀ sí ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò tẹ́ ń wò lọ́wọ́ ní aago 3 sí aago 4 ìrọ̀lẹ́ kù ìṣẹ́jú díẹ̀ ní gbogbo ọjọ́ Ẹtì. Ẹ tún lè máa darapọ̀ mọ́ wa fún àtúntẹ̀ tó bá di alẹ́ ọjọ́ Ajé láti lè mọ nǹkan tí a gbé ṣe ní ọjọ́ Ẹtì. Ẹ ṣeun ẹ̀yin honorable wa tẹ́ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa ní ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò tòní. Èmi tí mo jẹ́ abẹnugan ni Right Honorable Adéyẹmí Ọlábọ̀dé. Nínú ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò tó kọjá ohun tá a gbé yẹ̀wò òun náà ní ọ̀rọ̀ tó kan gbogbo àwọn ọmọ Nàìjíríà ìyẹn nípa àtúntò tó dé bá ìṣèjọba àwọn ọmọ ìjọba ààrẹ Bọ́lá Tinubu àtúntò tó dé bá àwọn mínísítà bí ìṣípò padà ṣe dé bá àwọn mínísítà kan tí wọ́n ní kí àwọn míì ọlọ́rọ́kúnlé tí wọ́n sì tún yan àwọn míì kún àwọn tó ti wà nílẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ ní kókó ọmọ ọlọ́dún ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò tó kọjá tí ẹ̀yin honorable sì fi ojú sùnùkùn wo ìgbésẹ̀ ààrẹ Tinubu náà. Ọ̀dà honorable Adékúnlé Àríkéwúyọ̀ láti ìlú Òṣogbo ni wọ́n dá àbá kí a so ìjókòó ilé tó kọjá rọ̀. Lẹ́yìn náà ni honorable Èkó Mary láti Àgùnbẹ́léwò kéjì àbá pé kí a so ìjókòó ilé tó kọjá rọ̀. Ká tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìjókòó ilé tòní honorable wa kan wọ́n dùnà wọ́n òkè dábàá kí a bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìjókòó ilé. Lẹ́yìn àbá àkọ́kọ́ kí honorable mi bá wa kéjì àbá náà. Honorable Jamiu Semi oya o.
Kó jánu ilé mo sì kí akọ̀wé ilé náà ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò Ọlọ́run mọ̀ ní jó dàrú láíláí. Mo kí àwọn ojúgbà mi Ọlọ́run mọ̀ dúró tì wá o. Èmi ni honorable comrade Jamiu Semi láti ìlú Ìnísà tí mo ń sojú Odò Ọ̀tìn South àti Ọlọ́ndá lápapọ̀ local government tí mo tún jẹ́ mọ̀mọ́ àgbà fún gbogbo ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò pátápátá. Mo dábàá ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìjókòó ilé tòní nísànsán kọ́lọ́ ọba láàánú kó gbà fún wa.
Ọ̀dà ẹ ṣé gan-an ni àbá láti kéjì àbá náà honorable Adésèkò Michael.
Ẹ káàsán kú ètò honorable Adésèkò Michael láti ìlú Òṣogbo mo kéjì àbá ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò tòní kọ́lọ́ ràn wá lọ́wọ́. God bless Nigeria.
Àmín. Ẹ ṣé gan-an ni lẹ́yìn àbá láti ẹnu honorable Jamiu Semi láti ìlú Ìníṣà tí honorable Adésèkò Michael láti ìlú Òṣogbo kéjì àbá náà ní èmi abẹnugan lè ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìjókòó ilé tòní.
Ètò yìí tún ti dé o. Ètò ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò ló tún gorí afẹ́fẹ́. Tọmọdé tàgbà ẹ súnmọ́ bí ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ sọ. Adéyẹmí Ọlábọ̀dé ló sọ wípé ohun abádìjọ́rò gígùn nígùn.
Ètò kọjá yìí ni àwọn fọ́nrán kan lu ìgboro orí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára pa èyí tó ṣe àfihàn ibi tí ọlọ́pàá kan ti ń rọ̀jò.
Ètò yìí tún ti dé o. Ètò ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò ló tún gorí afẹ́fẹ́. Tọmọdé tàgbà ẹ súnmọ́ bí ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ sọ. Adéyẹmí Ọlábọ̀dé ló sọ wípé ohun abádìjọ́rò gígùn nígùn.
Àbújá ni olú ìlú orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. Ọjọ́ kejìlá oṣù kejìlá ọdún 1991 ni wọ́n gbé ibùjókòó agbára Nàìjíríà kúrò nílùú Èkó lọ sílùú Àbújá lásìkò ìṣèjọba ológun ọ̀gágun fẹ̀yìntì Ibrahim Babangida. Ìlú Àbújá ní ìlú kẹjọ tí èrò pọ̀ sí jùlọ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. Ó sì jẹ́ ìlú olódi tó wà ní àárín gbùngbùn. Gbogbo àwọn ilé-iṣẹ́ àti àjọ ìjọba kọ̀ọ̀kan ló ní olú ọ́fíìsì wọn nílùú Àbújá. Gẹ́gẹ́ bó ṣe jẹ́ pé ibẹ̀ gan ní ibùjókòó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. Lọ́dún 2003 ni àjọ Commonwealth gbé ìpàdé wọn wá síbẹ̀. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni àjọ olókoòwò nílẹ̀ adúláwọ̀ ṣe lọ́dún 2014. Kódà lọ́dún 2016 àjọ tó ń rí sí ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ọmọdé ìyẹn UNESCO gbà á gẹ́gẹ́ bí ibùdó ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ wọn. Díẹ̀ lára àwọn ibùdó tó gbajúgbajà nílùú Àbújá ni àpáta agbára Aso Rock, ilé aṣòfin àpapọ̀, ilé aṣojúṣòfin ilẹ̀ yìí, àpáta Zuma Rock, Millennium Park, báńkì àpapọ̀ ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà CBN, mọ́ṣáláṣí àpapọ̀ àti ibùdó ilé ìjọsìn àpapọ̀ àwọn kìrìsìtẹ́nì. Ẹkùn ìdìbò 6 ló wà nílùú Àbújá: Abaji, Buhari, Gwagwalada, Kuje, Kwali àti Abuja Municipal. Kílìṣì tó jẹ́ ohun ìpanu tí wọ́n fi ẹran pèsè ló jẹ́ oúnjẹ tó wọ́pọ̀ tí gbogbo èèyàn sì nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí nílùú Àbújá. Ó jẹ́ ibùdó ìsinmi fún ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn arìnrìn-àjò láti ẹkùn kọ̀ọ̀kan nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà nítorí pé àárín gbùngbùn ló wà. Ìlú Àbújá rèé o, ibùdó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà, ògo ilẹ̀ adúláwọ̀.
Ètò yìí tún ti dé o. Ètò ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò ló tún gorí afẹ́fẹ́. Tọmọdé tàgbà ẹ súnmọ́ mi ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ sọ. Adéyẹmí Ọlábọ̀dé ló sọ wípé ohun abádìjọ́rò gígùn nígùn.
Ẹ ṣeun ẹ dákun àtọrọ àforíjì fún ìdádúró ráńpẹ́ òun àti ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ padà nínú ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò. Òpin ọ̀sẹ̀ tó kọjá yìí ní àwọn fọ́nrán kan lu ìgboro orí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára pa, èyí tó ṣe àfihàn ibi tí ọlọ́pàá kan ti ń rọ̀jò ìgbájú ìgbámú tí kẹ́ríkẹ́rí ń bá ròde lu ọmọ ikọ̀ ààbò ara ẹni láàbò ìlú tá a mọ̀ sí civil defence lágbègbè Elizabeth Housing Estate nílùú Òṣogbo ní ìpínlẹ̀ yìí. Ìròyìn fi yé mi pé ọmọ ikọ̀ civil defence tó ń pèsè ààbò fún àwọn olùgbé estate náà ni wọ́n pe orúkọ rẹ̀ ní Owóẹ̀yẹ. Ó di mímọ̀ pé nígbà tí ikọ̀ ọlọ́pàá wá sí estate náà láti fi páńpẹ́ òfin gbé àwọn èèyàn kan ní ọmọ ikọ̀ civil defence náà ní òun ò ní gbà kí wọ́n wọlé bí wọ́n bá ti lè pèsè ìwé àṣẹ ìfòfingbéni tá a mọ̀ sí arrest warrant ní ọjọ́ àkọ́kọ́ ni wọ́n wá. Èyí ló jẹ́ kí wọ́n padà dé ní ọjọ́ kejì àwọn tí ìwé náà àmọ́ tí Owóẹ̀yẹ kọ̀ jálẹ̀. Ó ní kí wọ́n jẹ́ kóun bá ọ̀hún sọ̀rọ̀ kóun lè gbàṣẹ lọ́wọ́ rẹ̀. Kí ni òyìn fi ṣe ó lọ rí iṣu àyànyàn tí àwọn ọlọ́pàá tí wọ́n kọ́ civil defence náà lálùbami ẹ̀wà tí wọ́n sì fi ìgbésẹ̀ sínú ó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun pé ìpàdé tí àwọn ọ̀gá nílé iṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá ilẹ̀ sì ṣe kí ìwádìí òye nípa ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ náà láti rí i pé eégún irú ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ yóò tún ṣe ìpínlẹ̀. Àmọ́ láti àti fọ́nrán èyí ti gbòòrò pa nílọ́pọ̀ òwe àti ọ̀gọ̀rọ̀ olùgbé ìpínlẹ̀ yìí ti ń kọ ààhìn. Fọ́nrán náà ni ẹ ń wò ní ojú móhùnmáwòrán yìí o. Ẹ jẹ́ gbìyànjú ká gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ tó dé látara fọ́nrán náà tó ti kálẹ̀ jù nínú ìjókòó ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò.
We're coming out from the estate. Okay. I was like, I'm a part of the residential here. So when I came around here at the entrance, I saw that they are harassing the NSCDC officer at the entrance. Okay. Now I mean the security personnel that are mounted to our estate gate. So until there, I didn't even know what happened. I just saw the police van that blocked the entrance of the estate. So I told my boy to make a record because I was seeing them harassing the civil defense officer. They put handcuff on his hand. They wanted to drag him. But the estate management, they insisted of not picking him up. So after some minutes, they reinforced. They came in multiple. So that was when they are beating everybody in the estate.
Let me see that, the back of that. See, that's the one there now. You are a civil defense officer. No, sir.
Illegal duty. For what? Ever enjoy any? And don't try to make peace. Ever enjoy. DPO tó fún yín ní ọ̀dà yẹn ẹ máa tender issue yẹn court ẹ wá yìnbọn ẹ fẹ́ máa pa àwọn civilian
When they fight man to man, they were beating him here, only 10 of them on one person. He go kill him. The 10 of beating him. They come to hold him.
ti wò òun lẹ ti wò tẹ́ ẹ rí bó ṣe ń lọ ẹ̀yin honourable wa ẹ̀yin náà ti rí ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ nínú fọ́nrán yìí à ń rántí pé kì í ṣe òní kì í ṣe àná tíròyìn ti máa ń gbé nípa kí àwọn ikọ̀ elétò ààbò ó máa ṣe àkọlù sí ara wọn kí ikọ̀ elétò ààbò kan ó máa gbéná wojú ikọ̀ elétò ààbò míì bí àwọn ọmọ ológun ṣe ń ṣe àkọlù sí ọlọ́pàá níbìkan ni àwọn ọlọ́pàá àti àwọn ikọ̀ NSCDC ń gbé pẹ́rẹ́gì ìjà kaná níbòmíì èyí ni ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ òǹwòye fi ń béèrè pé kí gan ló máa ń fa ìtàpóró gan láàrin àwọn lájọ-lájọ elétò ààbò lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà tí wọ́n sì ń sọ pé irú àrokò wo gan lèyí ń pa fún ọ̀rọ̀ ètò ààbò ní orílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà wọ́n ń pé tí àwọn agbófinró bá fi lè dẹ́rù ilé ìwò mélòó gan ni àwọn tí wọ́n mọ̀ dáàbò bò nínú ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò àwọn ìbéèrè mẹ́ta tó ń tawọ́ tasẹ̀ rí o alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ kí ló máa ń fa ìtàpóró gan láàrin àwọn ikọ̀ elétò ààbò ṣé bí wọ́n ní ẹ̀fọ́ ilé ẹ̀fọ́ láwo ni àti pé ẹni mi ò ṣẹ́ ní èèyàn mi ò ṣe èèyàn kò ṣeé fi wé aláàrò lásánlàsàn ìbéèrè kejì kí ló yẹ kí àwọn aláṣẹ àti àwọn adarí iléeṣẹ́ elétò ààbò gbogbo musa lógún kí eégún irúfẹ́ ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ yóò mọ̀ padà ṣẹ́ mọ́ nípínlẹ̀ yìí àti ní orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà ṣé wọ́n ní ìtàkùn tó so agbe sójà òun ló so elégédé ọlọ́pàá tó so ti civil defence bákan náà ìbéèrè kẹta irú àrokò wo ni èyí ń pa lórí ètò ààbò ilẹ̀ yìí àti pé irú ìjìyàwó lẹ́yìn rò pé ó yẹ kó tọ́ sí èyíkéyìí àwọn elétò ààbò tí ẹran irúfẹ́ ìtàpórógan yìí bá tún há mọ́ lẹ́yìn ọ̀rọ̀ rẹ o ẹ̀yin honourable wa nù jókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò lónìí ẹ̀yin náà ti rí nǹkan tó ń lọ lọ́wọ́ lójúmọ́ òmáwòrán ẹ ti rí nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ tó fa ìbéèrè mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta nù jókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò lónìí ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá wà nílé àwọn ojú òpó tá a máa ń lò náà ni 09132599000 09132599000 tàbí 08164664844 08164664844 àwọn ìbéèrè mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta wọn ló ń fẹ́ ìdáhùn nínú ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò ẹ̀yin ọ̀nàrẹ́bù ọ̀rọ̀ rẹ o ọ̀nàrẹ́bù Adésèkò Michael ọ̀yà.
mo kí Mr. Speaker o ògbólé lórúkọ Jésù àmọ́ra ànúgbà orúkọ mi ni ọ̀nàrẹ́bù Adésèkò Michael láti ilé Òṣogbo mo fẹ́ farabalẹ̀ dá sí tò yẹn inú mi kọ́ tiẹ̀ kọ́kọ́ dùn sí fídíò tá a wò nísìn kọ́ sí ìgbà tẹ́ sọ lórí rédíò ìjọ yẹn ó ṣọ́ọ̀kì mi gan lánàá yes ó wá ń yà mí lẹ́nu gbà tí Mr. Speaker ń sọ pé àwọn civil defence àtọlọ́pàá mo wá ń wò pé ní Nàìjíríà kan tá a jọ wà yìí paramilitary ni civil defence ọlọ́pàá àwọn sójà nìkan ni military but gbogbo wọn they are working under federal government ló sanwó wọn kò yẹ kí àwọn máa jowó ara wọn gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì ló ń sanwó yín ẹ ní right àti máa jowó aya yín tí ẹ bá lọ ṣiṣẹ́ kan tẹ́ bá lọ ṣiṣẹ́ duty kan tẹ́ bá pàdé ọ́fíìsà ẹgbẹ́ yín ẹ tọrọ permission lọ́wọ́ ẹni yẹn pé báyìí ló wá civil defence pẹ̀lú nǹkan tá à ń wò yìí civil defence ń bèèrè lọ́wọ́ ọlọ́pàá pé search warrant wọn dà kí wọ́n tó wọnú Elizabeth Estate yẹn àwọn ọlọ́pàá yẹn ń gbo agbára wọn páwọn ju civil defence lọ kò dẹ̀ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ federal government ló fún wọn lágbára federal government ló fọlọ́pàá federal government ló fún civil defence ó yẹ kẹ́ ẹ fàyè gbára yín ni pé báyìí ni o kẹ́ ẹ fi ogun ètò lò tó kán dẹ̀ wọlé síbẹ̀ ẹ wá ń bára yín jà láì ṣe tọ́ọ̀gì àwọn tọ́ọ̀gì ló máa ń jà báyẹn náà ẹni tá a bá pè ní officer of the law tó wà educated kò yẹ kó máa ṣe báyẹn mo kàn fẹ́ rọ àwọn ìjọba wa ni kí wọ́n fáwọn officers yẹn ní orientation kí bí ọ̀rọ̀ tí honorable kan sọ ní last week yẹn lánàá yẹn kí civil defence mọṣẹ́ rẹ̀ kọ́lọ́pàá mọṣẹ́ rẹ̀ kí sójà kọ́níkálukú mọṣẹ́ wọn immigration officer mọṣẹ́ tiwọn so kò ní mọ̀ sí jà so àwọn méjèèjì òbí ọmọ bára wọn jà kí láwọn bloody civilian fẹ́ mọ̀ ṣe tí ẹ bá dá àwọn officer ẹgbẹ́ wọn ẹ wá ń yọ̀bẹ̀ ẹ wá ń jana yín níbọn àwọn civilian tó tún wá ń là yín kẹ́ tó là nǹkan mọ́ lórí ó dùn mí gan ẹni tí mo tẹ̀ là nǹkan mọ́ lórí yẹn dre ẹni tí mo mọ̀ dáadáa ni mo mọ̀ dáadáa lóṣogbo bọ̀ ó dùn mí gan o kí àwọn federal government kan bá wá nǹkan ṣe sí God bless Nigeria.
àmì ẹ ṣe gan ni o ọ̀rẹ́bù wa ẹ máa fún gbogbo.
orúkọ mi ni ọ̀nàrẹ́bù Karim Wasiu kọ́mílẹ̀ fọ́tò láti ìlú Ẹdẹ mo kí abẹnuganlé mo sì kí akójànú mo kí akọ̀wélé mo kí gbogbo ọmọ ilé ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò tòní kò ní jẹ́ àṣemọ́. mo ní ọ̀rọ̀ tẹ́ni adásí lónìí ọ̀rọ̀ tí ó dunni gbáà ni pé kò yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹni tá à ń pè ní agbófinró kálukú ti mọ díùtì iṣẹ́ tó dì mú kò yẹ kó á jẹ́ pé irú wọn ló yẹ ká máa bára wọn jà ó di ká máa fọ́ra wa ní ìbọn lórí ká máa gbá ara wa lójú kò yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ nítorí dẹ̀ máa kọ̀ sí ìjà ni pé ìwọ jù mí ò jù ọ́ àkọ́kọ́ ní tí máa kọ̀ sí ẹnu wọ́n ní àìfàgbàfẹ́ nìkan kò lè jà yógún irú ní báwọn ọlọ́pàá yẹn ṣe débẹ̀ ó yẹ ká kọ́kọ́ gbọ́ ohun tútù pé kí ló fa tá fi fẹ́ wọlé ó yẹ ká ní sùúrù ká jẹ gbọ́rọ̀ ẹnu ẹ̀ ká sọ tán bá wà ní tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ni pé ibi bẹ́ẹ̀ la fẹ́ wọ̀ kó tó di pé mọ́tò wa fa wàhálà ṣùgbọ́n à ń kó gbàjú bòyàn à ń fọ́ra ẹni létí kò yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ àwọn tó tún wá dá sí ládùúgbò pé kí ni tí ń ṣẹlẹ̀ láàrin gbogbo wọn ló tún wá forí kó àbí wọ́n ní àìgbélé ẹni ká fojú kẹ́ bọ ṣó yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ni àwọn ìjọba wa náà láwà bẹ́ẹ̀ kán máa bá àwọn ọ̀gá agbófinró sọ̀rọ̀ pé irú nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ kán má jẹ́ kó máa wáyé ni pé kálukú kó mọ dútì ara rẹ̀ gbogbo wọn federal government náà ṣiṣẹ́ fún Nàìjíríà kan náà gbogbo wa federal náà ní ìṣàwó wọn kò yẹ kó jẹ́ pé àwọn ara wọn táwọn aláàlú bá fi ń wò ojú kan aláàlú fẹ́ máa fi máa wò wọn àbí pé àwọn tá a gbẹ́kẹ̀lé pé àwọn aláàbò wa àwọn náà tí wọ́n ń bára wọn jà náà gbógun tira wọn sẹ́ẹ̀mọ̀ kò yẹ kó yí àwọn nǹkan bá wọn kó máa rí bẹ́ẹ̀ àwọn ọ̀gá wọn ni kí àwọn ìjọba bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ kó má jẹ́rú ẹ̀ máa ṣẹlẹ̀ pé ibi tí rẹ̀ bá ti ń ṣẹlẹ̀ bóyá rú àwọn ọlọ́pàá bẹ́ẹ̀ tàbí dípùtì fẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́ tó bá jẹ̀bi bóyá kán máa yọ́ ń sẹ́ni àbí ìtú ẹ̀ ká máa ṣẹnu irú tá bá ń ṣerú rẹ̀ kò ní sí pé ọlọ́pàá ń kọlu dípùtì fẹ́ ọlọ́pàá ń kọlu sọ́jà kò ní sí pé wọ́n jù mí ò jù ọ́ kò ní máa ṣẹlẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ a kí abẹ́rẹ́ ilé ìgbàjọ ní tòun jẹ́ àṣemọ́ ẹ kú ètò.
ẹ ṣe gan-an ni o Honorable Jamiu Semi ọ̀ya.
mo kí abẹnugan lílẹ̀ kan sí mo sì kí akójanu lé mo sì kí akọ̀wé ilé náà ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò olóòníjó dàrú o èmi ni Honorable Comrade Jamiu Semi láti ìlú Ìnísà tí mo ń sojú odò ọ̀tún south àti ọlọ́ndà lápapọ̀ local government tí mo tún jẹ́ mọ́mọ́ àgbà fún gbogbo ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò yìí pátápátá abẹnugan lé ọ̀rọ̀ tẹ́ mú wá lónìí ọ̀rọ̀ tí ó dunni púpọ̀ ni torí tí mo bá tiẹ̀ wo nígbà tá a wà ń jókòó lé lánàá ara tiẹ̀ ń jó mi nígbà mo ń nawọ́ sókè tí wọn ò pè mí ní àná nígbà tá a wà nínú ìjókòó ó ká mi lára ṣùgbọ́n ní òní ṣe rí bí mo ṣe ń wo fọ́nrán yìí n tó dùnyàn ni torí wípé n tá a bá ti pè ní agbófinró ó yẹ kí ẹ̀kọ́ ó wà ń bẹ̀ ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì ni wípé kálukú ló ní ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ̀ ní abẹ́ òfin tá a bá wo civil defence yẹn dáadáa èmi ò tí ì rò kó jẹ̀bi o ilé sọ wọn bá gbé lọ ilé ẹjọ́ o ṣùgbọ́n nínú ìjókòó létí mo wà ó níbi tí wọ́n fi sọ ó sì ní the way tí wọ́n protocol tí wọ́n lálẹ̀ fún even kálukú lọ̀gá ẹ̀ lẹ́nu sẹ́ẹ̀ torí wípé nígbà tí àwọn ọlọ́pàá yẹn fẹ́ wọbẹ̀ ó ń sọ fún wọn wípé pàmísàn tẹ́ gbà wá láti wá wo ibi tí wọ́n fòun sọ ó ń dà ó ní àwọn ọlọ́pàá yẹn ń wò wípé pàmísàn bíi bo ọ̀rá wọn mélòó gan gbogbo ara rẹ̀ ìjọ lẹ́yìn dénà ìtí wọ́n wò nìyẹn torí tá a bá wo civil defence ọ̀sán gan ni wọ́n dé ọlọ́pàá sì ti wà tipẹ́ tá a bá wá wò dáadáa civil defence yẹn ò tí ì jẹ̀bi ṣùgbọ́n mo ti ẹ̀ kọ́kọ́ dúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run pé ẹ̀mí ó sùn torí ẹni ó gbébọn lọ́hùn Honorable mi kan sọ pé tó bá jó ni irú bọn ẹ̀mí ó lọ bí nǹkan míì bá tiẹ̀ fẹ́ ṣẹlẹ̀ ẹ̀mí ó kọ́ tó gbébọn lọ́wọ́ àwọn kò bẹ̀rù bọn tẹ́nìkan bá yìnbọn nù wọn yẹn
ìbọn bẹ lọ́wọ́ ara gbogbo wọn.
ẹ tiẹ̀ pé tó bá lọ bára àta.
tàbí tó lọ bára àta kí ni wọ́n fẹ́ máa sọ pẹ̀lú gbọ́n láì ṣe tọ́ọ̀gì. èmi ó tó kàn ṣẹlẹ̀ ní wípé orílẹ̀-èdè yìí ti di ìdàkejì torí wípé nígbà kan tí a bá ń lọ rìn àjò tọ́lọ́pàá náà bá tẹ̀lé wa tàbá gbófinró kan bá tẹ̀lé wa a máa fẹ́ dírẹ́fà inú rẹ̀ máa ń dùn ní wípé òun ó gbé síwájú láti máa fi ẹskíìsì ara rẹ̀ gbogbo bí tí ó bá ń lọ ọkàn àwa tá a jérò tá a wà lẹ́yìn ọkàn wa máa balẹ̀ pé agbófinró kan ti wà wájú tó jẹ́ wípé kò sí agbófinró kan tí ó dà láàmú nígbà yẹn níjọ́ àná ni o níjọ́ àná àwọn tí wọ́n máa ń ṣe àwọn kọ́pà wa tí wọ́n máa ń ṣèjọba yẹn àwọn dírẹ́fà náà máa tún fẹ́ máa gbé wọn síwájú nítorí wípé wọ́n mú wo pé ọmọ ìjọba náà lò náà ṣùgbọ́n ní ìsìn ẹmọ́jẹ̀ ìtàn kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀ mọ́ ní àná òde ní stadium ń bẹ̀ yẹn lọ́lọ́pàá kan dá kọ́pà kan dúró pẹ̀lú lady bike ẹ̀ pẹ̀lú aṣọ tó wọ̀ lọ́rùn èmi náà wá ń kọjá mo wá ń wò kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ kí ni ó happen mò ń dọ́gbọ́n teslo díẹ̀díẹ̀ lòun náà sọ wípé ṣé ẹ̀rọ ni ọlọ́pàá yẹn kò tiẹ̀ síbẹ̀ pé ọmọ ìjọba ni tó fi ń lùlù tí fi ìjọba tó wà rẹ̀ ó ń béèrè ìwé ó ń béèrè gbàgbé àwo lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ ó dá dúró síbẹ̀ kò sí ẹ̀kọ́ rẹ̀ torí wípé ó yẹ ká mọ̀ pọnra wa lé ṣùgbọ́n kò sí àpọ́nlé yẹn mọ́ ẹ̀yẹ wọlé ìta wò nísìnyí ní tí ò bójú mu ni ẹ̀wọ̀n à ń fọ́ra yín lórí ẹ̀ ń gbára yín ní pẹ̀lú uniform ǹjẹ́ bí ìgbà lọ àsomọ́ sí ìrẹsì yẹn sọ wà lóṣèlú dèkòdèpò ọlọ́pàá yẹn ọ̀hún á ń lọ aṣọ ìjọba ìwọ́n tó fi ọlọ́mọ tí ó sì rí bẹ́ẹ̀ láì ṣe tọ́ọ̀gì èmi ò lọ àwọn ìjọba àwọn tí yẹn bá fẹ́ máa gbà fún pé ìwọ ló mọ̀ gbófinró ìwọ ló mọ̀ sọ wa ó yẹ ká tẹ̀sí dáadáa torí wípé ẹ̀bí ṣùgbọ́n mi wò tí àwọn ọkọ̀ ẹ̀sìn kò dáa gómìnà Ọ̀ṣun pẹ̀lú ní tí wọ́n sọ nílẹ̀ àná yẹn pé àwọn ó ṣègbésẹ̀ lé lórí mo wá fẹ́ kí wọ́n ó ṣègbésẹ̀ lé lórí torí wípé tírú nǹkan báyìí bá ń wáyé púpọ̀ kàn mí ò mọ̀ sẹ́ nínú rẹ̀ náà láti rí ọlọ́pàá tó yìnbọn mádájọ́ ní o ní on 25 ọ̀rọ̀ ìpọ́dún tó lọ ni bí upper one sí ni tí agbó tí sọ́jà adájọ́ yẹn tó sì kú tí ó sì yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ó yẹ ká máa bọ̀wọ̀ fúnra wa àkọ́kọ́ ni wípé gbogbo ẹ ti dàpọ̀ nígbà tí civil defence náà bá ti ń dúró lójú ọ̀nà láti mọ ìyẹ̀wé ọkọ̀ wò tí ó sì kàn ìgbà tí àwọn sọ́jà tàbí àwọn agbófinró mi tí wọ́n ń yẹ̀wé ọkọ̀ wò láì kàn àwọn ọmọ yẹ nǹkan míì kí kálukú ń ṣe rẹ̀ níṣẹ́ iṣẹ́ wo ń tiẹ̀ kí wọ́n pín iṣẹ́ tí ó fi fà ń ṣeré iṣẹ́ tí ọlọ́pàá ń ṣeré iṣẹ́ tí SARS ń ṣeré SARS àwọn SARS nǹkan kan yẹn kò sí ẹ̀sìn tó kàn wọ́n mọ́ kálukú ló lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ ẹ̀ lábẹ́ òfin SARS yóò tàdédé gba fóònù lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ jẹ́ wọn fún ọwọ́ ẹ̀ rẹ̀ òfin lábẹ́ òfin gba fóònù àwọn èèyàn lè rìn mọ́ gbogbo èèyàn ní ìní yahoo tó bá ilé bu aṣọ kan ní ìsìn wọn ti aṣọ mọ́tò aṣọ tó wọ̀ pé aṣọ yìí wọ́ ti 35,000 wọn ò dọ̀rọ̀ tásìkò mọ́ wọ̀ mọ́ yẹ kó bẹ́ẹ̀ ó yẹ kí ìlànà àti òfin kó agbófinró wa lọ́kọ̀ọ̀kan ìjèjì àti civil defence ni o àti yellow ni o àti lọ́gán yellow yẹ fífa sí ìlànà wọn ni wọ́n máa dàrẹ́tì mọ́tò kí n má bí mo lọ kí n lọ bèrè lọ yellow fífa pé àpò ẹ̀tọ́ mi sọ̀rọ̀ lójú tèmi nínú ilé ìgbìmọ̀ lónìí òfin kálukú wọn iṣẹ́ kálukú wọn tí wọ́n gbà wọ́n fún ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ní gbìmọ̀ ilé ìgbìmọ̀ yóò ní yóò dà.
àmín ẹ ṣe gan-an adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá tẹ̀ ọmọ àwòrán ṣeun tẹ́ ń wò pé kí ló ń lọ lọ́wọ́ ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò lẹ́ ń wò lórí ìkànnì Western Spring Television bá a ṣe ń ṣe lórí móhùnmáwòrán ìkànnì àádọ́wàá náà là ń ṣe lórí Star Times DTT là ń ṣe lórí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára ní orí www.Western Spring Television lórí YouTube ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa ẹ má wàá gbàgbé ẹ lè bá wa ṣọ̀rẹ́ lórí àwọn ìtàkùn ayélujára wa ní orí Instagram ní orí X tàbí lórí Facebook ẹ wá Western Spring Television kẹ́ máa bá wa ṣọ̀rẹ́ bàbá lọ sí òdì kejì tá a bá dé ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò yóò tẹ̀síwájú à ń bọ̀.
ètò yìí tún ti dé o. ètò ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò ló tún gorí afẹ́fẹ́ tọmọdé tàgbà ẹ súnmọ́ bí ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ sọ Adéyẹmí Ọlábọ̀dé ló sọ wípé ohun abádìjọ́rò gígùn ní gùn.
Gbẹ̀bíró kílẹ̀mọ̀ dàwòrò kọ́ọ̀dẹ̀ má dìbò sí. bá ṣe gbé ètò yìí kalẹ̀ láti lè jẹ́ kóníkálùkù fi ṣe òdiwọ̀n ìdílé wọn. òtítọ́ ni pé kò sí ìdílé kan tí ò ní ìpèníjà àti ẹ̀. ṣùgbọ́n àtẹ́lẹwọ́ ẹni fún tún ẹni ṣe àti oníkálùkù bá kọ sí ìpèníjà náà ìdílé yóò sọ bí ìdílé ò ṣe rí. Gbẹ̀bíró ká finúkonú ká fikùn lukùn pẹ̀lú àwọn lọ́kọláya lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan lórí ètò níbẹ̀ lọ́mọ alábí ó ti mọ tàkó tó béèrè sí wọn. láláì pé ìlú ọ̀rọ̀ ń bò wọ́wọ́ nínú ìdílé bẹ́ẹ̀ sì làwọn àlejò náà yóò jámọ̀ ọ̀nà tí wọ́n gbà sílé wọn fi tó ẹrú mọ́ ìwọ̀n lórí ètò ní gbogbo ọjọ́ kẹta fún ẹ̀ yóò sì máa wá láàrin ọ̀sẹ̀ ní ìmọ̀ Western Spring Television ìkànnì àádọ́wà lórí Star Time. Gbẹ̀bíró tọ̀sẹ̀ yìí ó máa yàtọ̀ ní kò ní yàtọ̀ fọ́.
Àbújá ni olú ìlú orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. Ọjọ́ 12 oṣù 12 ọdún 1991 ni wọ́n gbé ibùjókòó agbára Nàìjíríà kúrò nílùú Èkó lọ sílùú Àbújá lásìkò ìṣèjọba ológun ọ̀gágun fẹ̀yìntì Ibrahim Babangida. Ìlú Àbújá ni ìlú kẹjọ tí èrò pọ̀ sí jùlọ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. Ó sì jẹ́ ìlú olódi tó wà ní àárín gbùngbùn. Gbogbo àwọn ilé-iṣẹ́ àti àjọ ìjọba kọ̀ọ̀kan ló ní olú ọ́fíìsì wọn nílùú Àbújá. Gẹ́gẹ́ bó ṣe jẹ́ pé ibẹ̀ gan ni ibùjókòó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. Lọ́dún 2003 ni àjọ Commonwealth gbé ìpàdé wọn wá síbẹ̀. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni àjọ olókoòwò nílẹ̀ adúláwọ̀ ṣe lọ́dún 2014 kódà lọ́dún 2016. Àjọ tó ń rí sí ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ọmọdé ìyẹn UNESCO gbà á gẹ́gẹ́ bí ibùdó ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ wọn. Díẹ̀ lára àwọn ibùdó tó gbajúgbajà nílùú Àbújá ni àpáta agbára Aso Rock, ilé aṣòfin àpapọ̀, ilé aṣojúṣòfin ilẹ̀ yìí, àpáta Zuma Rock, Millennium Park, báńkì àpapọ̀ ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà CBN, mọ́ṣáláṣí àpapọ̀ àti ibùdó ilé ìjọsìn àpapọ̀ àwọn kìrìsìtẹ́nì. Ẹkùn ìdìbò 6 ló wà nílùú Àbújá: Abaji, Buhari, Gwagwalada, Kuje, Kwali àti Abuja Municipal. Kílìṣì tó jẹ́ ohun ìpanu tí wọ́n fi ẹran pèsè ló jẹ́ oúnjẹ tó wọ́pọ̀ tí gbogbo èèyàn sì nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí nílùú Àbújá. Ó jẹ́ ibùdó ìsinmi fún ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn arìnrìn-àjò láti ẹkùn kọ̀ọ̀kan nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà nítorí pé àárín gbùngbùn ló wà. Ìlú Àbújá rèé o, ibùdó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà, ògo ilẹ̀ adúláwọ̀.
Gbégún ò bá jáde mọ̀rìnwó la kọ́kọ́ rí, owó gẹ́gẹ́ ní síwájú ìjó, ẹsẹ̀ kàtàkàtà ní síwájú rìn. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá gbúrò wa a tún ti dé náà nù. Ẹ kò sórí ìtàn mi pé mi ò mọ olùyìn ọ̀rẹ́ yìí tó sọ̀rọ̀ ẹni tó bá wẹ̀ lómi àsọtẹ́ ìlà ìgbòho ọ̀tẹ̀ sí ìpín òní ẹ̀yìn. Ẹ farabalẹ̀ kẹ́ máa gbọ́ tí wọ́n bẹ́ẹ̀ unlimited lórí ìkànnì Western Spring ní 190 ibẹ̀ yẹn bẹ́ẹ̀ unlimited kẹ́ ẹ máa gbádùn ètò àríyá.
Sọ pé ẹ máa wò ó máa bẹ̀ unlimited lórí Western Spring Television.
ètò yìí tún ti dé o. ètò ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò ló tún gorí afẹ́fẹ́ tọmọdé tàgbà ẹ sún mọ́ bí ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ sọ. Adéyẹmí Ọlábọ̀dé ló sọ wípé ohun abádìjọ́rò gígùn nígùn.
ẹ ṣeun àdúpẹ́ ẹ̀yin honourable wa tẹ̀síwá pẹ̀lú wa tẹ̀tí gbé kúrò ní Western Spring Television táǹkọ̀ sí yín ní ìkànnì àádọ́wà channel 190 lórí Star Times DTT àti lórí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára torí YouTube bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ń tẹ Western Spring Television ẹ̀ mọ̀ wò wá kétékété. ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ń tan mọ́ òmáwòrán yín àbí ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa nínú ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò òpin ọ̀sẹ̀ tó kọjá yìí ni àwọn fọ́nrán kan lu ìgboro orí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára pa eléyìí tó ṣe àfihàn ibi tí ọlọ́pàá kan ti ń rọ̀jò ìgbájú ìgbámú tí kẹ́ríkẹ́rí bá ròde lu ọmọ ikọ̀ ààbò ara ẹni làbò ìlú tá a mọ̀ sí civil defence kan lágbègbè Elizabeth Housing Estate Òṣogbo ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun. ìròyìn fi yé mi pé ọmọ ikọ̀ civil defence yìí ló ń pèsè ààbò fún àwọn olùgbé estate náà tí wọ́n pe orúkọ rẹ̀ ní owó ẹ̀yẹ. ó di mímọ̀ pé nígbà tí ikọ̀ ọlọ́pàá wá sí estate náà láti fi páńpẹ́ òfin gbé àwọn èèyàn kan ni ọmọ ikọ̀ civil defence náà ni òun ò ní gbà kí wọ́n wọlé bí wọ́n bá lè pèsè ìwé àṣẹ ìfòfingbéni tá a mọ̀ sí arrest warrant ní ọjọ́ àkọ́kọ́ tí wọ́n wá. èyí ló jẹ́ kí wọ́n padà dé ní ọjọ́ kejì táwọn ti ìwé náà. àmọ́ tí ọmọ ikọ̀ civil defence yìí ni ó dìgbà tóun bá gba ìyọ̀ǹda lọ́wọ́ ọ̀gá òun. èyí ni wọ́n fi yé mi pé ó yọrí sí iṣu ata yanyan tí àwọn ikọ̀ ọlọ́pàá lu ọmọ ikọ̀ civil defence náà lálùbami ẹ̀wà bí wọ́n tí wọ́n sì fìdí rẹ̀ gúnlẹ̀ sí àhámọ́ bó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ pé ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun àti àwọn tí ọ̀rọ̀ kàn ti pé ìpàdé àwọn elétò ààbò tí ọ̀gá ọlọ́pàá ilẹ̀ yìí náà sì ti pàṣẹ kí ìwádìí ó wáyé láti lè rí pé eégún irúfẹ́ ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ yìí ò tún ṣẹ́ mọ́ ní ìpínlẹ̀ yìí àti ní orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà àmọ́ látìgbà tí fọ́nrán ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ yìí ti lu ìgboro pa ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ òǹwòye àti ọ̀gọ̀rọ̀ olùgbé ìpínlẹ̀ yìí ti ń kọ ààhin lórí ọ̀rọ̀ náà. Ẹ tún jẹ́ á gbọ́ díẹ̀ nínú ohùn àwọn tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ nínú fọ́nrán yìí. Bá a bá gbọ́ díẹ̀ á wá dáhùn àwọn ìbéèrè iwájú wa nínú ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò. Ó yẹ jẹ́ á gbọ́.
What happened to you? We're actually coming out from the estate. Okay. I was like, I'm a part of the residential here. So when I came around here at the entrance, I saw that they are harassing the NSCDC officer at the entrance. Okay. In our estate. I mean the security personnel that are mounted to our estate gate. So on getting there, I don't even know what is happening. I just saw the police van that blocked the entrance of the estate. So I told my boy to make a record because I was seeing them harassing the civil defense officer. They put handcuff on his hand. They wanted to drag him. But the estate management, they insisted of not picking him up. So after some minutes, they reinforced. They came in multiple. So that was when they are beating everybody in the estate.
Let me see that, the back of that here, okay?
See, that's the one there now.
You are you a civil defense officer?
No, sir.
Listen to my own advice.
Legal duty. For what? And don't try to make peace. Enjoy.
Àwọn rántí pé kì í ṣe òní tí kì í ṣe àná tí àwọn elétò ààbò ti máa ń gbéná wojú ara wọn. Kí àwọn elétò ààbò kan máa gbéná wojú ikọ̀ elétò ààbò míì. Bí àwọn ọmọ ológun ṣe ń ṣe àkọlù sí ọlọ́pàá níbìkan ni àwọn ọlọ́pàá àti àwọn NSCDC ìyẹn civil defence náà ń gbéná wojú ara wọn láwọn apá abòmíì. Èyí ni ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ òun fi ń béèrè pé kí ló ń fa ìtàkùrọ̀ gan láàrin àwọn lájọlájọ àti ikọ̀ elétò ààbò ní orílẹ̀-èdè yìí tí wọ́n sì sọ pé irú àròkù wo ni eléyìí ń pa lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ètò ààbò àwọn èèyàn àwùjọ tí wọ́n ń dáàbò bò gan. Ìbéèrè àkọ́kọ́, kí ló ń fa ìtàkùrọ̀ gan láàrin àwọn ikọ̀ elétò ààbò? Ṣé bí wọ́n ní ẹ̀fọ́ ilé ẹ̀fọ́ láwo bẹ́ẹ̀ sì rèé ẹni mi ò ṣẹ́ ní èèyàn mi ò ṣe èèyàn kò ṣeé fi wé aláàárò lásánlàsàn. Ìbéèrè kejì, kí ló yẹ kí àwọn aláṣẹ àti àwọn adarí iléeṣẹ́ elétò ààbò gbogbo ó mú sáà lóògùn kí eégún irúfẹ́ ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ yìí ó mọ̀ bá a padà ṣẹ́ ní ìpínlẹ̀ yìí àti ní orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà? Ṣé wọ́n ní ìtàkùn tó so àgbẹ̀ ọlọ́pàá òun náà ló so elégédé sójà so elégédé ikọ̀ civil defence àti àwọn elétò ààbò míì? Ìbéèrè kẹta, irú àròkò wo ni eléyìí ń pa lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ètò ààbò àwọn aráàlú àti pé ìjìyàwó gan ló yẹ kó tọ́ sí èyíkéyìí àwọn elétò ààbò tí ẹran irúfẹ́ ìwà yìí bá há mọ́ lẹ́yìn láwùjọ? Ọ̀rọ̀ yóò yan rébù wánú ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò ọ̀ṣunùkù ojú sùnùkùn la fi wò ó àwọn ojú òpó tá ń lò náà la ṣe ń lò. Ó dà, ẹ jẹ́ kí a wo ọ̀rọ̀ rébù tó wà ní ojú ìlà náà. Hello.
Honourable Speaker.
Ẹ kú ìrọ̀lẹ́ o.
Honourable Táíwò Àtá Iléjìrẹ́ ni láti ìlú Ẹdẹ. Ọ̀rọ̀ tẹ́ ní ká pẹ́ pẹ̀lú yìí ọ̀rọ̀ gidi ni. Tẹ́ rí àwọn agbófinró wa látòrí àwọn civil defence, àwọn ọlọ́pàá, àwọn àmì, gbogbo àwọn tó já agbófinró pátápátá lórílẹ̀‐èdè yìí, ó yẹ kí wọ́n fìmọ̀ ṣọ̀kan. Gbogbo wọn ìjọba ni wọ́n ṣiṣẹ́ fún. Ọ̀wá yẹ kó jẹ́ pé ní èmi mo jù ọ́ ìwọ ló jù mí, ó wà láàrin ara wọn. Tó bá ti jẹ́ pé ní bóyá ìwọ ló jù mí èmi ló mo jù ọ́, ìní wọn bá fi ń ṣe gbogbo tí wọ́n ṣe. Àwa tá a já ráàlú tá a jẹ́ agbófinró, a kàn máa mú wọn tí a máa fi hàn ṣe yẹ̀yẹ́ ni. nígbà tí ẹnìkan bá wà níbì kan tí ẹlòmíì lára wọn bá débẹ̀ dandan nìkan pọ́nra wọn lé gẹ́gẹ́ bí agbófinró lórílẹ̀‐èdè nàìjíríà nígbà ẹnìkan bá wá débẹ̀ tẹ́nìkan ṣàbùkù rẹ̀ lójú aráàlú bóò ni wọ́n ti fẹ́ káràlú náà máa fojú ogun àwọn tí wọ́n jágbófinró èmi kàn gba gbogbo wọn nímọ̀ràn kò yẹ kó wọ́n máa yẹpẹrẹ ara wọn ẹni tó yẹ kéèyàn wá àwòkọ́ṣe látara wọn ni làwọn agbófinró èèwọ̀ yẹ wípé ní bóyá ẹni tó bá ti lè wòran àwòjù òun náà ó tún dáràn lẹ̀ kò yẹ kó lè rí bẹ́ẹ̀ èmi kàn rọ̀ wọ́n tí wọ́n jọ wọn fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ ẹ tí wọ́n bá fi ṣẹ́ka kan tọ́jà gbófinró tágbófinró míì bá débẹ̀ tí wọ́n bá ti jọ sọ̀rọ̀ tí wọ́n lo ológun ara wọn tí wọ́n sì gbà fúnra wọn ẹ kó ètò Western State Television níbàjẹ́ iléeṣẹ́ réfò níbàjẹ́.
àmì ẹ ṣe gan-an ni adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín Honourable Taiwo Hassan Elejire láti ìlú Ẹdẹ ẹ̀yin yòókù tẹ wà nù lé tẹ́yìn náà fẹ́ dá sí ọ̀rọ̀ tí à ń gbé yẹ̀wò lónìí àwọn ojú òpó tẹ́lẹ̀ máa lò ní ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn Honourable mi ẹ̀yà o.
hello.
ẹ kú dédé àsìkò yìí o.
hello mọ fún iṣẹ́ o.
àmì o.
mọ̀nyàn níjọba ilé iṣẹ́ oníbàjẹ́ o.
àmì o.
mo kí àwọn èèyàn mi níbi máa jọ o.
àwọn náà ń gbọ́ wọ́n lẹ̀ ń dá yín lóhùn.
yes sir èmi ni Honourable Adékúnlé Aríkéwúyọ̀ láti ààfin ẹ̀sìn nílùú Òṣogbo. ọ̀rọ̀ tẹ ní ká fojú wò lé mi ọ̀rọ̀ sùnùkùn ni ìbádẹ́ ní ọ̀rọ̀ sùnùkùn ojú sùnùkùn la fi wò. because sẹ́rí tọmọ ẹni bá ṣe tí ò dáa ó ti là á mọ́ wí. because irú wà tí àwọn ọlọ́pàá yẹn wò wà tí ò dáa ni torí pé ní orí ẹyẹ kan ríra wọn bí nǹkan kan náà ni. ojú tí àwọn ọlọ́pàá fi wo iṣẹ́ yẹn tán fi wò àtọ́wò yẹn pé ní àwọn ti wà àti pé àwọn dẹ̀ ju àwọn ará bíi lọ ó jẹ́ civil defence yẹn tó ṣe kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ìbádẹ́ dábàá ta ara lè lọ́pọ̀ ni àlè rà bó bá dọ̀ wọ́n mọ́. so ìwà tí ò dáa ni wọ́n hù ó wá yà mẹ́nu pé ní ẹ̀rí pé àwọn ará mi gan tá a bá ní sùn pẹ̀lú àwọn ọlọ́pàá yẹn gan tá a bá wù bàbá yẹn tá a wá tá a jọ pé tá a bára wa jà kankan a mọ bílíìmù wa pé ní àkílẹ̀ wa fẹjọ́ sùn ìkankan ìkàtà sí ìbòfin mú kankan tó wá sí àwa lẹ́nu pé ní ẹni tó tún já gbòfin lónìí náà tún wá tún tẹ̀ tó fi yí lédè ẹ kó máa rí bẹ́ẹ̀ tó torí ìdí èyí ìfẹ́ dẹ̀ tó ọ̀nù tó torí ìdí èyí yẹn tó mọ lò fẹ́ láàrin ara wọn ọlọ́mọ fún ìṣe ilé táyì níbàjẹ́ o.
ẹ ṣé gan ni o adúpẹ́ fún èrò tí àwọn náà dá yín lóhùn àmì ẹ ṣé gan ni o ẹ ṣeun Honourable Adékúnlé Aríkéwúyọ̀ orí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára tẹ́ bá ń wò wá ẹ̀yin náà lè dá sí nǹkan tá à ń gbé yẹ̀wò tó bá jórí móhùnmáwòrán lẹ tí ń wò wá ojú òpó tá à ń lò tó wọnú kulu ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò 09132599000 tàbí 08164664844 08164664844 nínú ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò ẹ̀yin Honourable wa ó yá Honourable Usman.
mo kí abẹnuganlé mo kí akójanu mo dẹ̀ kí akọ̀wélé mo dẹ̀ kí àwọn Honourable tó wà ní inú ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò tòní àti àwọn tó wà nílé tọ́jú Honourable tí wọ́n ń wò wá. orúkọ tèmi ni Honourable Usman Akorede Adélù tí mò ń ṣojú agbègbè Àgùnbẹ́lẹ́wò. ṣe rí tí ìbọ̀wọ̀ fúnra ẹni tó bá ti sọnù kò sí àwọn kan tí ò ní máa tẹ̀yìn ẹ̀ jáde. àwọn bàbá wa tí wọ́n jẹ́ ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n wọ́n dẹ̀ sọ wípé ibi tí ẹ̀ka ti bá ọgbọ́n tá a bá bá ìwà òmùgọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ á máa dùn ni. wọ́n dẹ̀ sọ pé ìlú tí ò bá ti sí òfin kò sí ẹ̀ṣẹ̀. tá a bá wá ní ìlú tí òfin wà ìyẹn ni pé tí ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ dẹ̀ ti wà tí ẹni tá a tún wá yàn gẹ́gẹ́ bí agbófinró bá wá tàpá sírò òfin yẹn ẹjọ́ bá ló yẹ ká ṣe fíìl báwo ló yẹ kó ṣe rí lára wa.
mo fọwọ́ àtọmọdé yín lẹ́nu Honourable wa Honourable kan náwó sókè nulẹ̀ ẹ jẹ́ ká gba ìpè wọn kẹ́tù tẹ̀ wájú. hello.
ẹ káàsán o.
ẹ káàsán.
Honourable Lawal S.A. láti ìlú Ẹdẹ ló ń sọ̀rọ̀ ló ń dá títò.
à ń gbọ́ yín. ẹ máa bọ́rọ̀ yín lọ.
mo kí olóòtú àti abẹnugan Ọlọ́run ó lẹ̀kùn làákàyè yín.
àmín. ẹ máa à ń gbọ́ yìí ó yá ṣẹ́ẹ̀ṣì wà ń bẹ̀ honorable wa ẹ má bínú tẹ bá wò wá ẹ̀yin náà lè padà náwó sókè ibikíbi tẹ bá wà láti lè fi dá sí ohun tá à ń gbé yẹ̀wò ó yá ẹ tẹ̀wájú honorable Usman.
gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ṣe ń sọ lọ nígbà tí a bá sọ pé òfin rèé ìlànà rèé tá a wá ní kí àwọn kan máa jẹ́gẹ́ bí olùṣọ́ olùdáàbòbò òfin yẹn tó wá jẹ́ pé àwọn yẹn gan ni wọ́n máa ń rò òfin yẹn báwo ló ṣe jẹ́ kó ṣe rí lára àwọn àlò. tí ìjà bá ṣẹlẹ̀ láàrin àwọn aráàlú honorable kan sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan pé tíjà bá ṣẹlẹ̀ láàrin àwọn aráàlú tó bá dọ́dọ̀ àwọn tá à ń sọ yìí wọ́n á ní kílódé tẹ̀ wá fẹjọ́ sùn. ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹni tó ń sọ pé kílódé tẹ̀ wá fẹjọ́ sùn tá a wá ń ba tó wá ń wúrú wà yẹn kódà kó tó ẹ̀ tún ṣe ju míì gan lọ.
àwa là ń fẹjọ́ rẹ̀
táwa gan la máa fẹjọ́ ẹ̀ sùn. ó dàbí bí ká sọ pé pásítọ̀ àbí àfà tó ń wàásù nǹkan tí òun ò ṣe nǹkan tó ń wàásù ni. ìyẹn wá mú mi padà sí nǹkan tí mo fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ mi pé tí ọ̀wọ̀ bá ti sí láàrin ara wa irú àwọn irúfẹ́ ìwà báyìí ló máa ṣẹlẹ̀. ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn honorable ti sọ̀rọ̀ ìlàkàyè wọn dẹ̀ ní dọ́bà. tá a bá ní àwò àṣèdájọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ o ṣùgbọ́n tá a bá ní àwò bó ṣe jẹ́ ká fojú wò pẹ̀lú ìlàkàyè ọmọ èdè èèyàn ìlàkàyè wa sọ fún wa pé ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ni pé ìjà èmi jù ọ́ ìwọ jù ọ́ ni. kò sí pé àṣèdájọ́ o ìyẹn wà lọ́dọ̀ àwọn adájọ́ tó bá délé ẹjọ́ ṣùgbọ́n ìlàkàyè ọmọ èèyàn ó ṣàfihàn wípé ìjà èmi jù ọ́ ìwọ jù mí ohun lọ̀rọ̀ tó ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí. tá a bá dé wo bí ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ṣe jẹ́ torí ìròyìn yìí ìgbà tó jáde èmi kà ìjọ́ tó jáde gangan mo kà ròyìn yẹn ṣùgbọ́n fọ́nrán yìí mo ṣe é fúngbà àkọ́kọ́ ni ìgbà tó wọ́n wo fọ́nrán yìí ó tún wá ń bà mí nínú jẹ́ ju ohun tí mo tẹ̀ tún kà lọ. ìgbà tẹ́ ẹ débẹ̀ ṣọ́bọ́ níyàn kì í kéré nídìí nǹkan ẹ̀ ni wọ́n fi ṣe olùṣọ́ ibì kan ni ẹ̀tọ́ ẹ̀ ni láti béèrè pé ó da ẹ fẹ́ wá ṣiṣẹ́ ìwé ẹ̀rí àṣẹ pé a fẹ́ wá mú nǹkan bàyà ẹ̀tọ́ ẹ̀ ni ìgbà tẹ́ ẹ wá lọ tẹ́ ẹ wá padà dé ó tún wá ní ẹ jẹ́ ń bá ọ̀gá mi sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ṣó ti jẹ̀bi ọ̀rọ̀ ni kò tí ì sọjù ní èròǹgbà tèmi kò tí ì sọjù ṣùgbọ́n ohun tó yẹ káwọn wá pé kí wọ́n fẹ̀ sọ kọ́dẹ̀ fegun òtòlótò ìtọ́jú àti wá fi bà á jẹ́ pátápátá àwọn aráàlú wọ́n ṣe wọ́n lè ṣe. ṣé wọ́n láwọn yẹn ìpọ̀jẹ̀ lẹ́nu ìkan ń ṣẹ̀jẹ̀ lórí àròkòwò ni wọ́n ń pa fún àwọn ará ìlú gẹ́gẹ́ bí agbófinró èròǹgbà tèmi rèé kí àwọn ìjọba ọ̀rọ̀ pé ṣẹ́rí òní nàìjíríà tá a bá fẹ́ bára wa sòótọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ pé báyìí ẹja ṣe báyìí àwọn ẹlòmíín inú wa alétílápá ni wá tí ẹ̀wọ̀n báyìí tí ìfẹ́ ẹlòmíín jófin kí n mọ̀ lọ́rùn. ẹ mọ̀ pé ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ẹ má bínú abẹnugan o torí bọ́ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ṣe ń ka mi lára ni mo ṣe ń sọ o ṣe rí ọ̀rọ̀ pé lẹ́nìí àwọn ọmọ ológun àtọlọ́pàá ọ̀la àwọn ọlọ́pàá àtàwọn kan àtúnla àwọn ó ti ń pọ̀ jù láwọn tá a sọ pé ẹ̀ṣọ́ aláàbò kọ́ máa ṣe ààbò lórí wa kí ìjọba gbé ìgbésẹ̀ pé ẹni tá a bá tún ká gẹ́gẹ́ bí agbófinró àbọ̀mọ ológun o tó di pé wọ́n wá kojú ìjà kọra wọn ìgbésẹ̀ báyìí la máa ṣe kó wà nínú òfin ìyẹn gangan lèmi gẹ́gẹ́ bí ohun tó lè mú òpin dé bá ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí ẹ ṣe gan.
ẹ ṣe gan ni honourable ẹ ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀yin ọmọ ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò adúpẹ́ gidigidi ṣé ó lẹ́ni ẹ̀yin ẹ jẹ́ kí a gbọ́ ìwòye tí ó yá ìkànnì ẹ bá wa gbóhùn sókè káwọn ará lè gbọ́ àwọn èèyàn gbọ́ yín o. ọ̀dà ẹ bá wọn gbohùngbohùn bóyá.
a kí gbogbo ìgbìmọ̀ ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò.
mọ bọ́rọ̀ yìí lọ bá wọn.
Karim Rasheed láti ìlú Ẹdẹ. àmì ìṣàn tèmi lórí tó ṣẹlẹ̀ yẹ ó yàtọ̀ fún gbogbo tí àwọn èèyàn mi fún wò látàárọ̀.
ó yẹ ìjà gbọ́ ìwòye tí.
tó sì fi yàtọ̀ ni pé èmi jù ọ́ èmi ò jù ọ́ mo bìlíìfù pé kíní ẹ̀ ti ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ti pẹ́ gan ní Nàìjíríà wa yìí ẹ worú tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní last week pẹ̀lú máa honorable kan pẹ̀lú máa nǹkan tó sọ pé ó fẹ́ bá òun gbé ẹrù èmi jù ọ́ ẹ rí i pé ó lo agbára lórí máa yẹn
awakọ̀ taxi.
títún fi ń sọ pé ọ̀gá yín gan ọlọ́pàá gan lọ pè é ẹni gbogbo tó dákọ̀ ọlọ́pàá lọ̀rọ̀ ẹ fi lágbára tó bá yẹ pé kò dákọ̀ ọlọ́pàá sí i kò sí tí wọ́n ṣe sí i ó bìlífù pé ipò tó ń wà kò síbi tó ń lè lo agbára ń sí pé tó máa sì tàtẹ̀gbé ni mo dẹ̀ bìlífù pé outside country bá ní tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ló ti ṣẹlẹ̀ máa yóò lo ẹ̀wọ̀n rẹ̀ yóò ní máa ti tọ̀sùn yín ni o tọ́lọ́pàá yẹn yóò lo ẹ̀wọ̀n rẹ̀ tó bá yẹ pé ìlú òyìnbó ni tàkúdàkú sí South Africa gan bẹ̀ àmọ́ Nàìjíríà wà yìí agbára lórí agbára ni kò dẹ̀ sẹ́nìkan tó fẹ́ bọ̀ fófin síbáwọn tán pè mẹ́ńtọ̀ nu àwòkọ́sí wọn náà aráàlú mọ̀ wò pé bọ́lọ́pàá bá ti débi nǹkan yìí àgbà pé kíní yìí ó ti sẹ́tù àwọn ganan tó jẹ́ domestic violence àbẹ́ẹ̀dẹ́ bá bí Nàìjíríà bá sì ń lọ báyìí Ọlọ́run nìkan ló lè tó Ọlọ́run nìkan
ló lè tó
àbẹ́ẹ̀dẹ́ bá Ọlọ́run nìkan ló lè tó lẹ́yìn Ọlọ́run ètò rí pé ẹnìkan lè tó
lẹ́yìn Ọlọ́run náà tó lè
tó lọ́ bá gbé délé ẹjọ́ bó ṣe wà yẹn mo nígbà pé àwọn ọ̀gá rẹ̀ náà ó dà sí kò dẹ̀ yẹ kán dá sí ju pé kán fi òfin tó ọ̀rọ̀ lọ
ẹ ṣe gan ni
ìgbìmọ̀ ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrọ̀ kò ní dàrú.
àmín ẹ ṣeun àti di kò mú òkú ọ̀rọ̀ yín àti dì mú nínú ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò lónìí ẹ jẹ́ kí honourable wa kan bá wa dá àbá kí a so ìjókòó ilé rọ̀ lẹ́yìn àbá àkọ́kọ́ kí honourable míì bá wa kéjì àbá náà honourable Adeseko Michael ẹ ti gbé gbòǹgbò.
ó yá bọ́sọ̀ four bosses honourable Adeseko Michael láti ìlú Òṣogbo mo dábàá ká parí ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò yìí ká mú wá sí ká so ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò the next week kọ́ ló ràn wá lọ́wọ́ God bless Nigeria.
àmín ẹ ṣé gan ni o.
honourable Karim Wasiu comrade photo láti ìlú Ẹdẹ mo kéjì àbá pé ká mú ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò tó ní wá sí ìparí ayọ̀ àtàláfíà ní wọ́ ọ̀gbàdé.
àmín ẹ ṣeun gbogbo ẹ̀yin honourable wa adúpẹ́ gidigidi ní ọwọ́ yín ẹ̀yin tẹ́ fi àsìkò ńlẹ̀ tẹ́ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa lórí móhùnmáwòrán tàbí ẹ̀yin tẹ́ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa lórí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára ẹ ṣé púpọ̀ mo mọ rírì àwọn amójú ẹ̀rọ mi àwọn ọlọ́wọ́ idán àwọn tájọṣe àwọn ayàwòrán ẹ ṣé púpọ̀ ọpẹ́ mi pàtàkì lọ sí ọ̀dọ̀ olóòtú ìjókòó ilé ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò yìí olóòtú àgbà Fẹ́mi Adéfìlà èmi tí mo jẹ abẹnugan fún ìjókòó ilé náà ní right honourable Adéyẹmí Ọlábọ̀dé lẹ́yìn àbá látẹnu honourable Adeseko Michael tari wọn lónìí alérùpá àtúrí wọn lọ́sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ honourable Adeseko Michael chinchin látòṣogbo tí honourable Karim Wasiu comrade photo láti Ẹdẹ náà kéjì àbá náà ni mo ń so ìjókòó ilé rọ̀ títí di ọjọ́ Ẹtì ọ̀sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀.
ètò yìí tún ti dé o. ètò ìgbìmọ̀ àjọrò ló tún gorí afẹ́fẹ́ tọmọdé tàgbà ẹ súnmọ́ mi ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ sọ Adéyẹmí Ọlábọ̀dé ló sọ wípé ohun abádìjọ́rò gígùn nígùn.
ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan ló ń kojú àwọn ará àdúgbò àwọn ará àwùjọ tí ohun ò dẹ̀ dókè ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìnira ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìyà làwọn èèyàn ń kojú rẹ̀ ní àdúgbò ojú ọ̀nà tó kù díẹ̀ káàtó iná ọba tó mẹ́ẹ̀ tó ń ṣe ségesège àwọn tó ń wíwá àbàṣejẹ́ obì tí ń sun lẹ́rùn àti àwọn nǹkan tí ò tí ì dé tí gbọ́ ìjọba ṣé wọ́n ní etí ọba nílé etí ọba lóko èèyàn náà ló ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ òun náà ló jẹ́ kí ìkànnì Western Spring Television gbé ètò tí ó jẹ́ kẹ́yìn ara lé ẹ̀yin ará àwùjọ kẹ́lẹ́ mọ́ sọ bí tí bàtà bá ti ń ta yín lẹ́sẹ̀ fún àwọn aláṣẹ ìjọba ohun tẹ́ ẹ ṣe ni wípé ẹ mú fóònù yín ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yín ẹ dàbù rẹ̀ ẹ mọ̀ yá ní gbọ́rọ̀ ẹ dàbù rẹ̀ ẹ ṣe àkàálẹ̀ ohun tó ń fi àmójútó ìjọba ohun tó ń fi àmójútó àwọn aláṣẹ ohun tó ń fi àmójútó àwọn elétò ìlera àwọn elétò ààbò àti àwọn míì tí ọ̀rọ̀ kàn ẹ má jẹ́ kí fọ́nrán náà ìyẹn fídíò tẹ́ máa ṣe àkálẹ̀ rẹ̀ kó mọ̀ ju ìṣẹ́jú 2 tàbí 3 lọ ẹ má fi ṣọwọ́ sí wa ní orí WhatsApp lórí ẹ̀rọ 0803 865 1049
0803-865-1049. ẹ jẹ́ kí gbogbo àwọn fọ́nrán yín àwọn àwòrán yín kó máa wọlé. Orí ètò Ojú Ẹlẹ́rìí ẹ̀yin gangan lẹ jẹ́ ojú ẹlẹ́rìí. Ohun táwọn èèyàn nílò, ohun tó ń jẹ àwọn èèyàn láwùjọ níyà, ilé tí ò nílé ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀, ibi tí ò níbi tó ti ń dẹ ẹ̀gbin nù, tó wá jẹ́ pé ẹ̀gbin wọn ní àwọn ará àdúgbò, àwọn aráàlú lára, gbogbo ẹ̀ ẹ fi tó àwọn aláṣẹ létí. Ohun tẹ́ ẹ nílò ní agbègbè yín, ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn aláṣẹ mọ̀. Orúkọ mi ni Adéyẹmí Ọlábọ̀dé, èmi ni atọ́kùn ètò Ojú Ẹlẹ́rìí lórí Western Spring Television, ìkànnì 100 ní gbogbo ọjọ́ Ajé láago 2:30 ọ̀sán.
ìlú Abẹ́òkúta gẹ́gẹ́ bí orúkọ rẹ̀ ìlú tí a tẹ̀dó sábẹ́ Olúmọ ó jẹ́ ibùgbé àwọn ẹ̀yà Ẹ̀gbá àti Òwu tó jìjàǹgbara lọ́wọ́ Aláàfin Ọ̀yọ́ àtijọ́. Láàrin ọdún 1775 sí 1780 ni akọni Lísàbí Àgbòǹgbò Àkàlà léwájú wọn láti dáwọ́ sísan ìṣákọ́lẹ̀ fún Aláàfin dúró. Ìdí nìyí tí àwọn ọmọ Abẹ́òkúta ṣe ń pe ara wọn ní ọmọ Ẹ̀gbámọ Lísàbí Àgbòǹgbò Àkàlà. Ìlú Abẹ́òkúta jẹ́ ìlú àwọn ọ̀làjú àti aláfẹ́. Ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn òyìnbó aláwọ̀ funfun ló fi bẹ̀ ṣe ìlú, pàápàá lásìkò ìjọba amúnisìn. Ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì àkọ́kọ́ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà ní St. Peters tó wà ní Aké. Ilé ìwòsàn àkọ́kọ́ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà Sacred Heart Hospital wà Aláké lórúkọ oyè ọba ìlú Ẹ̀gbá. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni ní ibùdó tó tẹ́jú láti lè fi rí gbogbo ìlú Abẹ́òkúta ní orí òkè náà. Àwọn ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n àti onímọ̀ tó mọ̀ Òkúta àwọn bíi ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n Wọlé Ṣóyínká, ọ̀jìnmí akọni obìnrin Fúnmiláyọ̀ Ransom Kuti àtàwọn míì. Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ àti àdìrẹ níṣẹ́ tó gbayì nílùú Òkúta. Ẹ̀gbámọ Lísàbí. Onírúurú ọ̀kan òjọ̀kan ni àwọn oúnjẹ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá bí wọ́n ti wuyì lójú bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wọ́n sì kún fún adùn àti ìtẹ́lọ́rùn tí kò lẹ́gbẹ́. Pàápàá nígbà tí ọbẹ̀ tó dọ́ṣọ̀ pẹ̀lú ẹran oríṣiríṣi àti àwọn ẹja bá ń ṣe alábàárìn àwọn oúnjẹ òkèlè bíi ẹ̀bà àbí iyán funfun lẹ́lẹ́. Ẹ ó máa gbọ́ àwọn ìpèdè bíi iyán lóúnjẹ, ọkà lóògùn, àìrí rárá là ń jẹ̀kọ, kẹnu ó mọ̀dílẹ̀ ní ti gúgúrú. Ètò akọ́mọlédè ló ń dé sójú ìwòran yín láti iléeṣẹ́ móhùnmáwòrán WSTV ìkànnì 100 channel 190 lórí StarTimes. Yorùbá dùn púpọ̀, Yorùbá ò lè kú, Yorùbá ò lè parun, tiwa làṣà, tiwa lèdè, tiwa nìṣẹ̀ṣe akọ́mọlédè. Àbújá ni olú ìlú orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. Ọjọ́ 12 oṣù 12 ọdún 1991 ni wọ́n gbé ibùjókòó agbára Nàìjíríà kúrò nílùú Èkó lọ sílùú Àbújá lásìkò ìṣèjọba ológun ọ̀gágun fẹ̀yìntì Ibrahim Babangida. Ìlú Àbújá ní ìlú kẹjọ tí èrò pọ̀ sí jùlọ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà, ó sì jẹ́ ìlú olódi tó wà ní àárín gbùngbùn. Gbogbo àwọn ilé-iṣẹ́ àti àjọ ìjọba kọ̀ọ̀kan ló ní olú ọ́fíìsì wọn nílùú Àbújá, gẹ́gẹ́ bó ṣe jẹ́ pé ibẹ̀ gan ni ibùjókòó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. Lọ́dún 2003 ni àjọ Commonwealth gbé ìpàdé wọn wá síbẹ̀. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni àjọ olókoòwò nílẹ̀ adúláwọ̀ ṣe lọ́dún 2014. Kódà lọ́dún 2016 àjọ tó ń rí sí ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ọmọdé ìyẹn UNESCO gbà á gẹ́gẹ́ bí ibùdó ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ wọn. Díẹ̀ lára àwọn ibùdó tó gbajúgbajà nílùú Àbújá ni àpáta agbára Aso Rock, ilé aṣòfin àpapọ̀, ilé aṣojúṣòfin ilẹ̀ yìí, àpáta Zuma Rock, Millennium Park, báńkì àpapọ̀ ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà CBN, mọ́ṣáláṣí àpapọ̀ àti ibùdó ilé ìjọsìn àpapọ̀ àwọn Kìrìsìtẹ́nì. Ẹkùn ìdìbò 6 ló wà nílùú Àbújá: Abaji, Buhari, Gwagwalada, Kuje, Kwali àti Abuja Municipal. Kílìṣì tó jẹ́ ohun ìpanu tí wọ́n fi ẹran pèsè ló jẹ́ oúnjẹ tó wọ́pọ̀ tí gbogbo èèyàn sì nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí nílùú Àbújá. Ó jẹ́ ibùdó ìsinmi fún ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn arìnrìn-àjò láti ẹkùn kọ̀ọ̀kan nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà nítorí pé àárín gbùngbùn ló wà. Ìlú Àbújá rèé o, ibùdó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà, ògo ilẹ̀ adúláwọ̀. ṣeun akínyìn èèyàn wa ẹ tún kú dédé àsìkò yìí gbogbo bí tí ẹ bá ti ń láǹfààní láti máa darapọ̀ mọ́ wa níkànnì Western Spring Television ìkànnì àdọ́wà lórí StarTimes tàbẹ́yìn tẹ bá wà lójú òpó ìbánidọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ gbogbo yín náà la kí o pé ẹ ṣeun gan ni tẹ tún darapọ̀ mọ́ wa onílọ́jọ́ ajé òbó ní sálàáfíà lẹ́wà ṣe ṣàárò àwa fẹ́ńdọ̀ yín jù torí láti ọjọ́ ẹtì náà ni ọlọ́pàá aláǹfààní àti padà lónìí sójú ọjọ́ kẹrin ẹ̀rín ayọ̀ lámọ̀rin o torí pé ẹ̀rín báyìí ni àgbàrá rin ro kòtò bó bá ti fẹ́ wọ kòtò tẹ̀rín tọ̀yàyà ni ó fi mọ́ kó bẹ́ẹ̀ eléyìí tó jẹ́ wípé ẹ̀rín lọ́dọ̀ ẹnìkan tó wá yọrí sí ìbànújẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ ẹlòmíì kò ní jẹ́pin tiwa o torí tẹ̀rín tọ̀yàyà báyìí nínú àmọ́ jógijó dúkìá ẹni tó ní nìkan ni ó bà lọ́kàn jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni nínú àmọ́ jogi àti dúkìá ń tiẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n ẹni tó ní nìkan ni ó bù ẹkún lágbára ọlọ́run ohun tí ó fà bànújẹ́ ọlọ́run ò ní jẹ́ kó ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wa o ẹ káàbọ̀ ẹ kú dédé àsìkò yẹ kú gbúrò wa lórí àtótó àrèrè
kò ṣeé má gbọ́ ìròyìn àtótó àrèrè mà ní.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kan ní tiyín náà la wà yìí kan ní rí àjọwà lórí StarTimes níbi tẹ̀ tí ń wò wá Western Spring Television ẹ̀ ṣoṣo bàbá ti gbadé àkọlé àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ ìtàkùwádìí àfarabalẹ̀ wálẹ̀ jìkan tó wà ń bẹ̀ fún yín kó tó di pé kálukú wá síbẹ̀ tí ẹ fi mọ tó wà nínú àwọn ìròyìn ọ̀hún tá a fi jọmọ tààtà pínṣẹ̀ Folúṣọ́ Òjó ló kọ mi fẹ́ńdọ̀ yín obìnrin ní kìyín ẹ̀ káàbọ̀.
ọ̀dà fẹ́ńdọ̀ lóbìnrin okú ohun látọ̀dọ̀ fẹ́ńdọ̀ yín ni ọkùnrin Zaccheaus Adéyẹyè ló kọ mi nítorí pé ẹyẹ tí ẹ rí hùn kì í fi apá kan kì í fi fò bẹ́ẹ̀ bá sì rí ọ̀kadà tàbí bẹ́ẹ̀ tẹ́ ẹ bá rí mọ́tò náà táyà rẹ̀ ó gbọ́dọ̀ dọ́gbandọ́gba ni yóò sì dúró tán láàárọ̀ òní a ti dúró tán fún yín o a sì mọ̀ mú àwọn ìròyìn tí ó jáde ẹ ti lè gbọ́ àwọn ìròyìn kan tẹ́lẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n bẹ́ẹ̀ bá sì wàá gbọ́ níbí yìí kò tí ì pé Zaccheaus Adéyẹyè ló kọ mi fẹ́ńdọ̀ yín ní ọkùnrin ìwé ìròyìn bíi mẹ́ta ló wà lọ́wọ́ mi ìwé ìròyìn The Punch wà lọ́wọ́ mi ìwé ìròyìn Guardian àti ìwé ìròyìn Daily Post ó wà ní ọwọ́ mi ní àyín.
ó dáa lọ́dọ̀ tèmi mẹ́ta náà ní Daily Trust The Punch àti Vanguard ni o.
àjẹ́ pé mẹ́ta ọ̀hún bí eyín bá ti mọ ní mẹ́ta àrò mẹ́ta kì í sì yẹ ọbẹ̀ síná ká mú àwọn àkọlé ẹ̀ wá fún yín bá bá ka àkọlé àwa padà wá túṣu dé ìsàlẹ̀ kòkò láti ọ̀dọ̀ mi o wọ́n ní àtakò èyí tí Àtíkù Abubakar tó ṣe sí ààrẹ Bọ́lá Tinubu ó mọ̀ kù díẹ̀ káàtó wọ́n ní nígbà tó ń gan wà ní ipò ìjọba gan ipò àṣẹ kí ni dáúdà rẹ̀ kí ni ó dà ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú APC ni wọ́n wí báwọn.
pẹ̀lú ipò tílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà wà ẹ wo àdúrà nígbà agbára kọ́ o obìnrin àkọ́kọ́ aya ààrẹ Tinubu yóò léwájú àti rìbádù láti gbàdúrà fórílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà bó o ní.
àdúrà nígbà agbára náà bọ̀ a jẹ́ pé káwa náà ká mú àmùrè wa bá a bá ṣe tán ká darapọ̀ mọ́ wọn. lórí ọ̀rọ̀ tó ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú pé àdúrà ní gbogbo ìgbà ẹ máa lọ ìṣòru Peter Obi mọ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ ó ní ohun tí òun sọ yìí pé kì í ṣe dandan ìṣòru ni ká máa lọ nìkan ká máa ṣe ìṣọ́ ọ̀sán tó jẹ mọ́ ti iṣẹ́ náà ó ní wọ́n sì ohun gbọ́ ni o tí àwọn èèyàn ń gbé kiri ọ̀rọ̀ burúkú ni wọ́n ń sọ ṣùgbọ́n tó ń sọ ni pé ìgbàgbọ́ láìsí iṣẹ́ òkú ni.
ó dáa lónìí ò nílò ní jẹ́ o wọ́n ní ààrẹ Tinubu yóò búra wáṣẹ́ fún àwọn mínísítà tuntun tí wọ́n ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ yàn.
a jẹ́ pé lọ́dọ̀ ìjọba àpapọ̀ náà ni a wà wọ́n ní ìjọba àpapọ̀ ti ṣètò owó kan tí ó jẹ́ pé bílíọ̀nù 18 náírà ni fáwọn tí wọ́n ní dúkìá níbi àkànṣe òpópónà ti etídò ti ìlú ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó sí Calabar wọ́n ní àwọn sí ojú ọ̀nà tó jẹ́ ilé wọn ìjọba ti ṣètò pé kí wọ́n mọ̀ sanwó gbà má bínú fi wọn.
ìyẹn náà dáa lórí ọ̀rọ̀ tó kàn jọba àpapọ̀ wọ́n ní ìjọba àpapọ̀ ti san ìdá 25 owó oṣù 4 tí wọ́n jẹ àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ fásitì o àwọn náà bá sọ pé a ti gbọ́ o àwọn iṣẹ́ ní ìrànwọ́
àwọn náà juwọ́ á padà sí ẹnu iṣẹ́ wọn. ẹ máa gbọ́ eléyìí ó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú ọ̀rọ̀ epo pẹtiróòlù iléeṣẹ́ epo ti Dangote ó mọ̀ ké gbàjáre ó ní ayédèrú epo pẹtiróòlù tí wọ́n àwọn ẹbu ìfọ epo kan tí ò ní orúkọ àwọn ni wọ́n ń fọ́n káàkiri kí àwọn aráàlú kí wọ́n ó ṣọ́ra fún un.
eléyìí ó rọ
ìjọba àpapọ̀ àtàwọn gómìnà ń bẹ̀bẹ̀ ní ogún ẹjọ́ torí ọlọ́run ìlú le ọmọ nàìjíríà tó lówó gan wọn ọ̀rọ̀ oúnjẹ jẹ owó olùtẹ̀ náà ti pọ̀ jù ẹ dín ikù díẹ̀díẹ̀.
lórí ọ̀rọ̀ tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú owó ni ṣùgbọ́n ọlọ́run ní já jẹ́ gbèsè àjọ ayánilówó kàwé tá a mọ̀ sí nelfund fún àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ó ní ẹ̀yin akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ẹ mọ̀ jáyà o bí a bá ti ń ya yín lówó tẹ̀ ń ka ìwé yín bẹ́ẹ̀ bá wá parí ẹ̀kọ́ iye àjọwọ́ mọ̀ ṣèrànlọ́wọ́ fún yín láti mọ rí iṣẹ́ tí a ṣe kẹ́ ẹ lè rí owó san.
ọ̀dà yẹn ní jẹ́ pé adásọ̀fọ́lẹ̀ apalaro alájà àtúnṣìndélé kẹrù mọ́ bàbá ni. eléyìí jọni lójú o áwò kí ni bá àdé kí ni bá àṣẹlẹ̀ àmọ́ ṣá fàgò kẹ́yìn apárò ní o.
ntójú ń wá ní ojú
rẹ̀ ti padà rí ilé ẹjọ́ ti rán ọkùnrin kan lẹ́wọ̀n ọdún 15 péré o wọ́n nítorí wọ́n fipá bá ọmọ ọdún 5 lò pọ̀.
ó kù díẹ̀ káàtó kọ́ lọ kọ́ bọ̀ ọdún 15 ìgbà ni ó fi pé ẹgbẹ́ ẹ̀yà ìjọ kan ó ti fi àwọn èèyàn ìpínlẹ̀ Rivers lọ́kàn balẹ̀ lórí ìdájọ́ ilé ẹjọ́ gíga tó sọ wípé kí wọ́n dá owó ti ìpínlẹ̀ Rivers owó tí ń wọlé látọ̀dọ̀ ìjọba àpapọ̀ kí wọ́n dá dúró ná ẹgbẹ́ ẹ̀yà ìjọ kan wọ́n ní kí wọ́n fọkàn balẹ̀ ọsàn pàpà wá so dídùn fún wọn ni.
gbogbo abiyamọ ẹ sàmì àdúrà o Ọlọ́run ní já bímọ tí ó pa wá ẹni burúkú ò ní wọnú àwọn ọmọ wa o
àṣẹ Ìdùmarè.
ọmọ kan bẹ lọ́kẹ̀tà àwọn agbófinró báyìí nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun o ẹ̀sùn tí ń bẹ ń wájú ẹ̀ ni pé wọ́n lòun ló gbẹ̀mí bàbá tóbi lọ́mọ sí orí oko lásìkò ìgbà tí wọ́n fẹ́ lọ rèé kórè.
kòkó ni wọ́n lọ káwọn bóyá wọ́n lọ ká kòkó ni kí Ọlọ́run Olódùmarè kó ṣàánú ayé wa ń bẹ wọ́n sì ní kíní kòkó ọ̀hún ó sì gbówó lórí ẹ má wàá jẹ́ àti torí pé owó ká máa gbẹ̀mí èèyàn mọ́ bí ẹlòmíì ní pàtàkì jùlọ àwọn ẹni wa bí eléyìí ó kù díẹ̀ káàtó ẹ jẹ́ ká sẹ́mi mu bá a bá sẹ́mi mu gbogbo àwọn kókó tí a ti kà fún yín a wà á nà án lẹ̀ ń bẹ́ẹ̀ a tùsù dé ìsàlẹ̀ kòkò à ń padà bọ̀ láìpẹ́ jọjọ. bẹ́ẹ̀ ni a kí ẹ káàbọ̀ padà atótó arére
kò ṣeé má gbọ́ ìròyìn atótó arére ní jẹ́bẹ̀ o
bá a bá ti débi iṣẹ́
ṣíṣe náà là á ṣe
iṣẹ́ ọ̀hún kágbéra sọ lókun.
ẹ má gbàgbé pé yàtọ̀ síbẹ̀ ṣé ń wò wá níkànnì àdọ́wà channel 190 kẹ́tẹ́kẹ́tẹ́ lójú mọ́lẹ̀ o ẹ sì lè láǹfààní àti pín fẹ́ lómi láwọn ojú òpó ìbánidọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ gbogbo tó gbajúgbajà bẹ́ẹ̀ ti mọ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ tó fi dórí YouTube Western Spring Television ẹ láǹfààní láti wò wá ń bẹ̀ ó yá ẹ jẹ́ ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìrìn láàárọ̀ tòní ìwé ìròyìn Daily Trust ń lèmi ò kọ́ náwó gan ọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀hún sì ní ṣe pẹ̀lú àdúrà torí pé àdúrà nígbà agbára kọ́ wọn ni aya rẹ̀ ilẹ̀ yìí olùdámọ̀ràn àpapọ̀ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ètò ààbò Ribadu ni yóò lè wájú àwọn tó kù o ní tìlànà Kìrìsìtẹ́nì àti tìlànà Mùsùlùmí láti gbàdúrà wá ojú Ọlọ́run fúnlẹ̀ Nàìjíríà gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìròyìn tí Daily Trust ti kọ síta wọ́n ní nítorí bí ìlú ṣe le lásìkò yìí wọ́n ní ìjọba àpapọ̀ ti wá wòye rẹ̀ nípa ìgbìmọ̀ tó rí sí ọ̀rọ̀ ètò àdúrà lápapọ̀ nílẹ̀ yìí pé kí á ṣètò àdúrà o láti fi wá ojú Ọlọ́run tó dá wa sórílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà pàápàá jùlọ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ètò ọrọ̀ ajé ètò ààbò àtàwọn ìpèníjà míì tí Nàìjíríà ń bá fà lọ́wọ́ ó ti wá di mímọ̀ báyìí pé ìgbìmọ̀ àwọn tí wọ́n jẹ́ adarí ẹlẹ́sìn nínú ẹ̀sìn Kìrìsìtẹ́nì àti ẹ̀sìn Islam ni wọ́n ti fohùn ṣọ̀kan tí wọ́n sì sọ pé ọ̀nà àbáyọ lásìkò yìí náà ni àdúrà o pé àwọn ò jókòó àdúrà láti wá ojú Ọlọ́run nítorí orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà gẹ́gẹ́ bí wọ́n ṣe sọ nínú ìròyìn ọ̀hún wọ́n ní aya ààrẹ ilẹ̀ yìí ìyẹn sẹ́nẹ́tọ̀ Olúrẹ̀mí Tinubu àti ẹni tó jẹ́ olùdámọ̀ràn fẹ́tò ààbò lápapọ̀ ẹ̀ Nuhu Ribadu ni yóò léwájú ètò àdúrà náà láti fi bẹ Ọlọ́run lórí àwọn ìpèníjà oríṣiríṣi tó ń kojú Nàìjíríà nínú àtìjáde àti àlàyé kan eléyìí tí ẹni tó jẹ́ ọ̀gá àgbà olùdarí ìgbìmọ̀ tó ń rí sí ọ̀rọ̀ ètò àdúrà fúnlẹ̀ yìí ìyẹn olóyè Ṣẹ́gun Balógun tó buwọ́lù ló ti kéde rẹ̀ nígbà tí ó ń bá wọn oníròyìn sọ̀rọ̀ nílùú Àbújá pé láríjà àti kókó ń táwọn fún ètò ọ̀hún ni pé ọ̀nà láti wá ojú Ọlọ́run kó lè dá sí ọ̀rọ̀ orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà ó wá tẹnumọ́ pàtàkì pé kí gbogbo wa ríra wa gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹyọ kan ṣoṣo ó nítorí àti ẹ̀sìn Islam àti ẹ̀sìn Kìrìsìtẹ́nì kò sí eléyìí tó fọwọ́ sí ìtúká o bẹ́ẹ̀ sì rèé méjèèjì ló tẹ́ ń pẹlẹ mọ́ wíwà níṣọ̀kan àti gbígbàdúrà fún orílẹ̀-èdè ẹni láti lè borí àwọn ìṣòro àti ìpèníjà ó ní ìjà àbájọ rèé tí àpapọ̀ ẹgbẹ́ àwọn tí wọ́n jẹ́ adarí nínú ẹ̀sìn Kìrìsìtẹ́nì àti ẹ̀sìn Islam fi wá wòye pé ó yẹ ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní gbàdúrà fún orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà pàápàá kó tó di pé a wọ ọdún 2025 láti lè jẹ́ kí ìdúró rẹ̀ kó bá ilẹ̀ yìí ní ẹ̀ka ọrọ̀ ajé ẹ̀ka ààbò àti gbogbo ẹ̀ka yòókù pàápàá jùlọ kí ìrètí ọ̀tun eléyìí tí ìṣàkóso ààrẹ Bọ́lá Tinubu gbélé wọ́ ó lè di mímúṣẹ fún wa o nígbà tá a bá fi wọnú ọdún 2025 wọ́n nítorí bẹ́ẹ̀ mọ́ṣáláṣí àpapọ̀ nílẹ̀ yìí àti ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì àpapọ̀ l'Àbújá ibẹ̀ ni ó kù fọ́fọ́ o bí aya ààrẹ Olúrẹ̀mí Tinubu bá ṣe ń léwájú àwọn kìrìsìtẹ́nì ìbádùn ó mọ̀ ṣáájú àwọn tí wọ́n jẹ́ mùsùlùmí o láti ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ kí wọ́n lè gbàdúrà fún orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà kódà wọ́n ní àwọn adarí ẹlẹ́sìn bíi ààrẹ ẹgbẹ́ CAN àti Sultan Sokoto ni wọ́n wà ńbẹ̀ láti ṣe kò kárí ètò àdúrà ọ̀hún.
àdúrà nígbà agbára kọ́ a jẹ́ pé kí àwa náà kí a yà gbé ìgbésẹ̀ nítorí pé bá a bá sì lè lọ síbẹ̀ ká máa gba àdúrà fún orílẹ̀-èdè wa Nàìjíríà ní inú ẹ̀mí. ìwé ìròyìn The Punch ni ó wà ní ọwọ́ wa báyìí ọ̀rọ̀ tó sì ní ṣe pẹ̀lú ẹnìkan tó jẹ́ pé ó ní olùdíje sípò ti ààrẹ lábẹ́ àsíá ti ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú Labour nínú ètò ìdìbò gbogbogbò tí ó kọjá yàn Peter Obi sọ di mímọ̀ ní àná lánàá pé ọ̀rọ̀ kan tí òun ti sọ tẹ́lẹ̀ tí ó gba ìgboro kan ní pàtàkì jùlọ ìtàkùn ayélujára tí wọ́n sì ní Peter Obi sọ wípé àwọn ọmọ Nàìjíríà àsìkò tí wọ́n ń lò ní ilé ìjọsìn ní pàtàkì jùlọ ìṣòro tí wọ́n ń ṣe káàkiri ó ti pọ̀ jù ó ní àwọn ẹlòmíì láti ọjọ́ ajé sí ọjọ́ Friday ọjọ́ ẹtì ni wọ́n mọ̀ pé àwọn lọ sí ìlọ ìṣòro wọn káàkiri láwọn gba àdúrà ní àdúrà gbogbo ìgbà ni wọ́n sọ pé àwọn ńgbà tí wọn ò sì ní múra sí tí wọ́n ń ṣe ìṣọ́ fi ń jẹun ní ó ń sọ̀rọ̀ àtẹ̀jáde kan fi síta tó ti ní àwọn èèyàn ti gbọ̀ náà bí igba ọtí wọ́n sì ti si òun gbọ́ oníkódà gan ọ̀rọ̀ tí wọ́n ń sọ gan wọ́n ti tú sí bá míì Peter Obi sọ di mímọ̀ yìí pé ṣáájú àsìkò ló ń sọ pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìyà tí ó ń jẹ ọmọ orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà ló jẹ́ èyí tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú pé àìbìkítà nípa ti iṣẹ́ tá à ń ṣe gan nítorí pé àsìkò tó yẹ kí wọ́n máa fi ṣiṣẹ́ gan nínú ilé ìjọsìn ni wọ́n wà tí wọ́n ti ń gba àdúrà ń gbogbo gbà onílòótọ́ àti lódodo àdúrà nígbà agbára kọ́ ṣùgbọ́n tí wọn ò ka Bíbélì tiwọn ni nínú ìwé mímọ́ ó ní Jésù Kristi Olúwa wa gan nígbà tí ó ń wá àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀yìn rẹ̀ káàkiri tó mú wọn ní ọ̀kọ̀ọ̀kan àti èjèèjì tó ń pè wọ́n ó ní iṣẹ́ apẹja ni ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọn ń ṣe tí wọ́n ń da àwọn káàkiri tí wọ́n ń da àwọn sí odò ó ní àwọn míì gan nínú àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀yìn Jésù Kristi Olúwa wa ó ní iṣẹ́ agbowó orí agbowó òde ni àwọn ń ṣe oníbẹ̀ bá wá ka ìwé Jákọ́bù ó sọ di mímọ̀ yìí pé ìgbàgbọ́ tí ò bá ní iṣẹ́ òkú ni iṣẹ́ àáṣe olóṣe pàtàkì.
ó já eléyìí ó sì wà lọ́dọ̀ ìjọba àpapọ̀ àmọ́ mo ti kúrò inú ìwé ìròyìn Punch ni mo wà báyìí wọ́n ní lọ́wọ́ yìí ìjọba àpapọ̀ ti ṣetán lónìí gangan nípasẹ̀ ààrẹ Bọ́lá Tinubu láti ṣe ìbúrawọ́ṣẹ́ fún àwọn tí wọ́n ṣẹ̀yàn lákọ̀tún sípò mínísítà lórílẹ̀‐èdè yìí gẹ́gẹ́ bí ohun tí ìwé ìròyìn The Punch kọ síta wọ́n ní òní ọjọ́ ajé ọjọ́ 4 oṣù kọkànlá ni ààrẹ Tinubu yóò ṣe ìbúrawọ́ṣẹ́ fún àwọn 7 tí wọ́n ṣẹ̀yàn lákọ̀tún láti jẹ́ mínísítà gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ ìgbìmọ̀ alákòóso orílẹ̀‐èdè yìí gẹ́gẹ́ bí àlàyé kan eléyìí tí olùdámọ̀ràn pàtàkì fẹ́tò ìròyìn àti ìlànà àtẹ̀lé sí ààrẹ Báyọ̀ Ọ̀nànúgà fìlédè ní orí ìkànnì ìbánidọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ X ó ṣàlàyé pé ètò ayẹyẹ ọ̀hún àti ìbúrawọ́ṣẹ́ fún wọn yóò wáyé ní gbàgede ilé ìjọba nílùú Àbújá ó ní ààrẹ Tinubu yóò búra fún àwọn 7 tí wọ́n ṣẹ̀yàn ní mínísítà ìyún ní tó bá di láàárọ̀ tòní ó ní àwọn wọ̀nyí gẹ́gẹ́ bí wọ́n ṣe kéde orúkọ wọn tẹ́lẹ̀ láti 30 ọjọ́ nínú oṣù kẹwàá náà ni ó ti di mímọ̀ báyìí pé wọ́n ti fọwọ́ sí i tí wọ́n sì bẹ̀rẹ̀ iṣẹ́ lẹ́yẹ ọ̀ṣọ́ká àwọn tí wọ́n ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ búra fún ọ̀hún náà la rí ọ̀mọ̀wé Nentawe Yewatda tó jẹ́ mínísítà fọ́rọ̀ abójútó ọmọnìyàn àti ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ pàjáwìrì òun kíka ẹ̀ ní ìṣẹ́ òun òṣìńlẹ̀ bákan náà yóò kan mínísítà fún ọ̀rọ̀ òṣìṣẹ́ ìyẹn Muhammadu Maigari Dingyadin bákan náà wọ́n ní wọ́n búra fún mínísítà kejì fọ́rọ̀ ilẹ̀ òkèèrè Bianca Odinaka Odumego Ojoko bákan náà lọ́rọ̀ ọ̀hún kan ọmọwé Jùmọ̀kẹ́ Òjúwọlé eléyìí tí wọ́n búra fún gẹ́gẹ́ bíi mínísítà fọ́rọ̀ okòwò àti ìdáṣẹ́sílẹ̀ bákan náà Idi Mukhtar Maiha òun náà yóò jẹ́ mínísítà fún ìdàgbàsókè àwọn ohun ọ̀sìn ìyẹn livestock development Yusuf Abdullahi Atta ni wọ́n búra fún bíi mínísítà kejì fọ́rọ̀ ilégbèé àti ààtò ìlú ohun ìdàgbàsókè bákan náà ọmọwé Shuaiba Sahad Ahmad ni wọ́n búra fún gẹ́gẹ́ bíi mínísítà kejì fọ́rọ̀ ètò ẹ̀kọ́ lórílẹ̀‐èdè yìí àwọn wọ̀nyí náà ni ààrẹ Tinubu yàn lẹ́yìn ìgbà tó jọ síra wọn wò lọ́tún lọ́sì tó sọ pé tó ẹ̀yin mínísítà mi kan tá a jọ ṣiṣẹ́ láti bí ọdún kan sẹ́yìn ẹ mọ̀ rélé ẹ̀yin tuntun yìí ó dà ìpolúwa ní yín fi ṣe mo nílò yín tó sì ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ tó pààrọ̀ iléeṣẹ́ fún àwọn mìíràn àwọn 5 ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ nínú wọn ló jẹ́ pé wá wulẹ̀ júwèlé fún ẹṣẹ́ o ibi tẹ́ ẹ sinmi dé yìí náà ó ti tó ẹ̀wà mọ̀rẹ̀lẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n lónìí gbàgede nílùú Àbújá ńlẹ̀ ìjọba ayẹyẹ ìbúra wọṣẹ́ fáwọn mínísítà tí ń lọ.
àjẹ́ pé báwa náà bá kúrò ní orí ètò ká lọ darapọ̀ mọ́ wọn náà nà. ìwé ìròyìn The Punch ni a wà ń bẹ̀ àti ìkó ń bẹ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú ìjọba àpapọ̀ náà ni a sì ń gbé yẹ̀wò báyìí. ẹ̀yin náà ẹ gbá ìwé ìròyìn mú kí ẹ láǹfààní láti kà á. wọ́n ní owó kan tó jẹ́ pé ó tó bílíọ̀nù 18 náírà 18 billion naira ní ìjọba àpapọ̀ ti yà sọ́tọ̀ báyìí láti máa fi san owó gbàmọ́bínú fún àwọn tí wọ́n ní dúkìá kan tàbí òmíì níbi iṣẹ́ àkànṣe òpópónà ti Etídò ti ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó sílùú Calabar èyí tí ìjọba àpapọ̀ dáwọ́lé àmọ́ tó jẹ́ pé abala àkọ́kọ́ níbi iṣẹ́ àkànṣe náà ni nígbà tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ mínísítà tó wà fún ọ̀rọ̀ iṣẹ́ òde David Umahi ní àná lánàá ló fi eléyìí léde oníṣáájú àsìkò yìí owó kan tó tó bílíọ̀nù 8 náírà ní ìjọba àpapọ̀ ti yà sọ́tọ̀ àmọ́ nígbẹ̀yìngbẹ̀yìn wọ́n ṣe àfikún rẹ̀ sí bílíọ̀nù 18 náírà ó ní bó bá ti tó láàrin ọjọ́ kan sí ọjọ́ kẹwàá ó náà ni owó náà yóò bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí máa bọ́ sí àsùnwọ̀n àwọn tọ́rọ̀ kàn tí wọ́n sì máa san owó náà fún àwọn tí wọ́n ní dúkìá gẹ́gẹ́ bí owó gbà má bínú pé agbẹ́sẹ̀lé dúkìá agba ilé rẹ̀ tàbí agba ṣọ́ọ̀bù tàbí èyíkéyìí ó sọ di mímọ̀ yìí pé òpópónà ọ̀hún yóò di èyí tí ìjọba àpapọ̀ yóò ṣe àgbéǹde rẹ̀ tí yóò sì jẹ́ pé kánmọ́nkíá ni wọ́n parí rẹ̀.
ó dáa nínú ìwé ìròyìn Vanguard ẹ kúkú mọ̀ pé ojúlówó fẹ́ńdọ̀lẹ́ ní àhín àríléyọká sì ní wá láàrin àwọn ìwé ìròyìn.
ó dáa báwo.
mo ti wà nínú ìwé ìròyìn Vanguard báyìí ọ̀rọ̀ tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ ní àwọn fásitì orílẹ̀-èdè yìí ni ṣèrántí iṣẹ́ gbàgbé pé lọ́sẹ̀ tó kọjá ni wọ́n lérí lẹ́ka dandan pé dandan tó bá di ọjọ́ 5 oṣù kọkànlá àwọn ogun lé ìyanṣẹ́lódì ìbíjọba àpapọ̀ bá fáwọn lówó àmọ́rọ̀ ti yí báyìí o ìlú ti yí orí ti yàtọ̀ ijó gan ó ti yé padà wọ́n ní nǹkan ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní padà bọ̀ sípò báyìí ní àwọn ilé ẹ̀kọ́ fásitì yíká orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti ọ̀la nítorí pé wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí padà sẹ́nu iṣẹ́ kódà àwọn ní ìyanṣẹ́lódì tí wọ́n fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ́la tẹ́lẹ̀ ní òní lè wáyé mọ́ o gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìròyìn látọ̀dọ̀ àpapọ̀ ẹgbẹ́ àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ ọ̀hún ìyẹn tó jẹ́ ìgbìmọ̀ alápapọ̀ nínú ètò àti rí ẹgbẹ́ àwọn tí kì í ṣe olùkọ́ NASUN ẹgbẹ́ àwọn olùkọ́ àgbà yẹn SANU àtàwọn òṣìṣẹ́ yòókù ní fásitì tí wọ́n sọ pé àwọn ò lọ sí ìyanṣẹ́lódì nítorí owó oṣù 4 eléyìí tí ìjọba àpapọ̀ tó pawọ́ mọ́ ṣùgbọ́n ní báyìí wọ́n ní kò ní í sí ìyanṣẹ́lódì kankan mọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti ọ̀la ọjọ́ 5 oṣù kọkànlá o nínú ìwé tuntun nẹ́nẹ́ tí wọ́n fi síta ẹni tó jẹ́ akọ̀wé gbogbogbò ìyẹn ọmọọba Peters Adéyẹmí fún ti igun NASU àti comrade Muhammad Ibrahim tó jẹ́ ààrẹ àpapọ̀ fẹ́gbẹ́ SANU ni wọ́n ti kéde rẹ̀ pé àwọn ò ṣetán láti lọ yanṣẹ́lódì ọ̀mọ́ níwọ̀n ìgbà tí ìjọba àpapọ̀ ti gbé ìgbésẹ̀ nípa sísan ìdá 15 nínú owó oṣù 4 eléyìí tí wọ́n jẹ àwọn pẹ̀lú ẹ̀jẹ́ àti ìlérí pé wọ́n san ilé tó bá kù ṣùgbọ́n ní titi wọn àwọn ẹgbẹ́ onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ ìyẹn náà àti láwọn fásitì àwọn níláyé kọ̀jọ́ o wọ́n ní bọ́ tí ò bá tán àlejò tàwọn lọ wọ́n lóṣù mọ́ ló làwọn ò dúró gangan láti gbowó àwọn kó pé pérépéré wọ́n nítorí pé owó oṣù 5 èyí tí ìjọba àpapọ̀ san fáwọn tí wọ́n jẹ àwọn bí wọn ò bá san owó oṣù 5 kó pé tán àwọn ò ṣetán láti padà síbì kankan wọ́n ní gbèdéke táwọn fún ìjọba àpapọ̀ láti ọjọ́ 30 ọjọ́ oṣù kẹwàá ni yóò wá sópin ní ọjọ́ 13 oṣù kọkànlá o wọ́n ní bí wọn bá dá wọn lóhùn àjẹpéyànṣẹ́lódì ò bẹ̀rẹ̀ ààrẹ ẹgbẹ́ àwọn onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ láwọn fásitì yẹn náà ti Ìbẹ́jì Nkwoma ló sọ̀rọ̀ òun di mímọ̀ fáwọn oníròyìn Vanguard ó sì jó di mímọ̀ pé kí ni kókó nígbà wọ́n jẹ àwọn ní owó oṣù bíi 4 tó wá sọ yan kan ṣoṣo 3 tó kù ńkọ́ kí ni káwọn ò fi kún un wọ́n ní bówó àwọn ò bá pé o àwọn ò ṣetán láti padà sẹ́nu iṣẹ́ ṣùgbọ́n ẹgbẹ́ NASU àti SANU ní tiwọn wọ́n láwọn ò lọ kò yanṣẹ́lódì lọ́la mọ́ o torí pé ìjọba àpapọ̀ ó ti gbìyànjú gbégbésẹ̀ kọ̀ọ̀kan láti dá sí ọ̀rọ̀ náà ní báyìí wọ́n ní ìgbìmọ̀ olùjíròrò tíjọba gbé kalẹ̀ òun ló ní aṣojú ìjọba àpapọ̀ aṣojú iléeṣẹ́ ètò ìṣúná aṣojú iléeṣẹ́ ètò ẹ̀kọ́ tó fi mọ́ aṣojú ẹni tó jẹ́ olùṣírò-owó àgbà lórílẹ̀‐èdè yìí pèsè kí wọ́n ṣàyanjú ọ̀rọ̀ tó bẹ́ ńlẹ̀ yìí.
àṣẹ pé èèyàn ó dáa báwọn ẹ já lọ sí ìwé ìròyìn Guardian nítorí pé bó ti wílẹ̀ kan àríléyàn káàkiri òní wá ìwé ìròyìn Guardian ó kọ ìròyìn kan ó sì ní ṣe pẹ̀lú àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó jẹ́ ti ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga ní orílẹ̀-èdè wa Nàìjíríà èyí tó jẹ mọ́ ti ẹ̀yáwó kàwé gẹ́gẹ́ bí wọ́n ti wí àjọ tó wà fún yíyáwó kàwé ní orílẹ̀-èdè wa Nàìjíríà tá a mọ̀ sí NELFund wọ́n ní gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n jẹ àǹfààní owó yá láti fi mọ́ ka ìwé àti àwọn tí wọ́n jẹ àǹfààní ọ̀hún wọ́n ní orí ọ̀fẹ́ láti mọ́ san owó ọ̀hún padà kó má bàa nira fún wọn àjọ náà yóò ṣe àwọn ètò kan tí wọ́n fi máa rí iṣẹ́ àṣe bí wọ́n bá parí ẹ̀kọ́ kíkọ́ wọn lẹ́yìn ọdún méjì tí wọ́n bá ti parí ètò kí wọ́n ó sin ìlú tán òun ni wọ́n máa dá owó ọ̀hún padà díẹ̀díẹ̀. Nígbà tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ ń tiẹ̀ ẹni tó jẹ́ pé òun náà ní Gíwá tó sì jẹ́ pé ó ní olùdarí ètò nelfund ọ̀hún ẹ̀yáwó fún àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ láti fi kàwé ọ̀gbẹ́ni Akíntúndé Sọ́yà sọ di mímọ̀ yìí pé àgbékalẹ̀ ètò ọ̀hún ni pé bí àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ bá ti ya owó nítorí pé ẹni tí ò bá ní iṣẹ́ lọ́wọ́ bó ni yóò ṣe wá máa rí owó tí ó yá gbèsè tó jẹ bó ni yóò ṣe máa rí san. Òní bí wọ́n bá ti parí ẹ̀kọ́ wọn tán tí wọ́n sì lọ sin ìlú ìjọba láti pàṣẹ àjọ nelfund yóò ṣe àwọn ètò kan fún wọn tí wọ́n fi máa gbà wọ́n sí iṣẹ́ tí wọ́n ó máa ṣe bí wọ́n bá ti wá ń ṣiṣẹ́ wọn ó lóore ọ̀fẹ́ láti máa dá owó tí wọ́n yá tí wọ́n fi ka ẹ̀kọ́ wọn kí wọ́n máa dá padà díẹ̀díẹ̀. Ó ní lásìkò tí a wà yìí owó ìyá náà kò ní èlé rárá àwa lè sọ bó bá di ọjọ́ iwájú.
ẹ ṣeun ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa fún bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣiṣẹ́ wa pẹ̀lú wa àwọn ìròyìn sì kúnlẹ̀ kódà ẹnìkan ti kìlọ̀ fúnjọba àpapọ̀ pé owó olùtẹ̀ náà yìí olóòpapọ̀
kí wọ́n ó dínkù díẹ̀.
ẹ láǹfààní láti gbọ́ délẹ̀délẹ̀ nígbà bá padà dé.
ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan ló ń kojú àwọn ará àdúgbò àwọn ará àwùjọ tí ohun ò dẹ̀ dókè ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìnira ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìyà làwọn èèyàn ń kojú rẹ̀ ní àdúgbò ojú ọ̀nà tó kù díẹ̀ káàtó iná ọba tó mẹ́ẹ̀ tó ń ṣe ségesège àwọn tó ń hu ìwà àbàṣejẹ́ obì tí ń sun lẹ́rùn àti àwọn nǹkan tí ò tí ì dé tí gbọ́ ìjọba ṣé wọ́n ní etí ọba nílé etí ọba lóko èèyàn náà ló ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ òun náà ló jẹ́ kí ìkànnì Western Spring Television pé ètò tí ó jẹ́ kẹ́yìn ara lé ẹ̀yin ará àwùjọ kẹ́lẹ́ mọ́ sọ bí tí bàtà bá ti ń ta yín lẹ́sẹ̀ fún àwọn aláṣẹ ìjọba ohun tẹ́ ẹ ṣe ni wípé ẹ mú fóònù yín ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yín ẹ dábù rẹ̀ ẹ mọ̀ yá ní bọ̀rọ̀ ẹ dábù rẹ̀ ẹ ṣe àkàálẹ̀ ohun tó ń fẹ́ àmójútó ìjọba ohun tó ń fẹ́ àmójútó àwọn aláṣẹ ohun tó ń fẹ́ àmójútó àwọn elétò ìlera àwọn elétò ààbò àti àwọn míì tí ọ̀rọ̀ kàn ẹ má jẹ́ kí fọ́nrán náà ìyẹn fídíò tẹ́ máa ṣe àkàálẹ̀ rẹ̀ kó mọ̀ ju ìṣẹ́jú 2 tàbí 3 lọ ẹ máa fi ṣọwọ́ sí wa ní orí WhatsApp lórí ẹ̀rọ 0803 865 1049 0803 865 1049 ẹ jẹ́ kí gbogbo àwọn fọ́nrán yín àwọn àwòrán yín kó máa wọlé orí ètò ojú ẹlẹ́rìí ẹ̀yin gangan lẹ jẹ́ ojú ẹlẹ́rìí ohun táwọn èèyàn nílò ohun tó ń jẹ àwọn èèyàn láwùjọ níyà ilé tí ò nílé ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀ ibi tí ò níbi tó ti ń da ẹ̀gbin nù tó wá jẹ́ pé ẹ̀gbin wọn ní àwọn ará àdúgbò àwọn aráàlú lára gbogbo ẹ̀ ẹ fi tó àwọn aláṣẹ létí ohun tẹ́ ẹ nílò ní agbègbè yín ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn aláṣẹ mọ̀ orúkọ mi ni Adéyẹmí Ọlábọ̀dé èmi ni atọ́kùn ètò ojú ẹlẹ́rìí lórí Western Spring Television ìkànnì 150 ní gbogbo ọjọ́ ajé láago 2:30 ọ̀sán.
Àbújá ni olú ìlú orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. Ọjọ́ 12 oṣù 12 ọdún 1991 ni wọ́n gbé ibùjókòó agbára Nàìjíríà kúrò nílùú Èkó lọ sílùú Àbújá lásìkò ìṣèjọba ológun ọ̀gágun fẹ̀yìntì Ibrahim Babangida. Ìlú Àbújá ni ìlú kẹjọ tí èrò pọ̀ sí jùlọ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà ó sì jẹ́ ìlú olódi tó wà ní àárín gbùngbùn. Gbogbo àwọn ilé-iṣẹ́ àti àjọ ìjọba kọ̀ọ̀kan ló ní olú ọ́fíìsì wọn nílùú Àbújá gẹ́gẹ́ bó ṣe jẹ́ pé ibẹ̀ gan ni ibùjókòó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. Lọ́dún 2003 ni àjọ Commonwealth gbé ìpàdé wọn wá síbẹ̀. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni àjọ olókoòwò nílẹ̀ adúláwọ̀ ṣe lọ́dún 2014 kódà lọ́dún 2016. Àjọ tó ń rí sí ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ọmọdé ìyẹn UNESCO gbà á gẹ́gẹ́ bí ibùdó ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ wọn. Díẹ̀ lára àwọn ibùdó tó gbajúgbajà nílùú Àbújá ni àpáta agbára Aso Rock, ilé aṣòfin àpapọ̀, ilé aṣojúṣòfin ilẹ̀ yìí, àpáta Zuma Rock, Millennium Park, báńkì àpapọ̀ ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà CBN, mọ́ṣáláṣí àpapọ̀ àti ibùdó ilé ìjọsìn àpapọ̀ àwọn Kìrìsìtẹ́nì. Ẹkùn ìdìbò 6 ló wà nílùú Àbújá: Abaji, Buhari, Gwagwalada, Kuje, Kwali àti Abuja Municipal. Kílìṣì tó jẹ́ ohun ìpanu tí wọ́n fi ẹran pèsè ló jẹ́ oúnjẹ tó wọ́pọ̀ tí gbogbo èèyàn sì nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí nílùú Àbújá. Ó jẹ́ ibùdó ìsinmi fún ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn arìnrìn-àjò àjò láti ẹkùn kọ̀ọ̀kan nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà nítorí pé àárín gbùngbùn ló wà. Ìlú Àbújá rèé o, ibùdó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà, ògo ilẹ̀ adúláwọ̀. Èkó Lagos. Èkó akéte ìlú ọgbọ́n, Èkó akéte ìlú ìmọ̀, ọmọ ọlọ́gbọ́n dorí ẹja mú, àwọn òmùgọ̀ àdìímú nírù. Ẹni dẹ́kò tí ò gbọ́n ọgbọ́n rẹ̀ dọ̀run alákejì. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí àrọ́bá, ẹni tó tẹ ìṣẹ́ridó tó sì kọ́kọ́ gbé ibẹ̀ lọ́dún 1699 ló jẹ́ ọdẹ tí orúkọ rẹ̀ ń jẹ́ Ògúnfúnminíre, ọmọ ọba ìlú Ilé Ifẹ̀ ní í ṣe. Ó máa ń ṣọdẹ lọ síbẹ̀ láti Ifẹ̀, ó sì pàgọ́ tó ti máa ń sinmi ṣáájú kó tún tó lọ bẹ ilé rẹ̀ wò. Nígbà tó yá, àwọn ọdẹ mìíràn wá darapọ̀ mọ́ láti ṣọdẹ. Nínú igbó yìí ni wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣọdẹ tí wọ́n sì ń pọ̀ sí pẹ̀lú àwọn ènìyàn wọn. Báyìí ni wọ́n ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní tàn kálẹ̀ tó fi dé gbogbo ibi tí Èkó fẹ̀ dé lónìí. Ìlú Èkó, ìlú ńlá. Ìlú Èkó yìí ni ibùdó agbára ìṣàkóso ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà wà tẹ́lẹ̀ rí, pàápàá lásìkò ìjọba amúnisìn ṣáájú ọdún 1991 tí wọ́n gbé lọ sílùú Àbújá. Èkó àdèlé ọmọ agun àgẹ̀rẹ̀, Èkó ọmọ afíjúwọjà arìngbẹ́ndẹ́kẹ́, ọ̀bùnwọjà páṣíọ̀ṣíọ̀, ẹ̀yọ̀ ní bàbá Èkó, àríjó ṣe bí ọba. Èkó ọmọ odò tí ò ṣeé yájú sí, Èkó arómi sá lẹ́gbẹ́lẹ́gbẹ́.
Ajá mọ̀rìnwó la kọ́kọ́ rí owó gẹ́gẹ́ ní wọ́n ẹ̀sìn kàtàkàtà ní síwájú rìn bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti ń gbúrò. àtúntẹ̀ náà nù ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wọn bẹ́ẹ̀ òní tẹ̀ pé mi ọmọ ẹ̀yìn ọmọ tí ilé ẹ̀kọ́ ilé ìlú sùn lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀kọ́ àríyá ló ẹ̀ bá pè é lórí ìkànnì kan 19 ibẹ̀ náà ló dé ẹ̀ máa bá sàmì àwọn.
ó pé ẹ máa wo ó wà ń bẹ́ẹ̀ òní tẹ̀ lórí Western Spring Television.
Akínyìn ẹ káàbọ̀ padà atótó arére
kò ṣe má gbọ́ ìròyìn atótó arére ní jẹ́jẹ́.
a jẹ́ pé ìròyìn ò tán àwa ò lọ́n ti wá ní o.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o a sì wà ní àyín ẹjẹ́ tẹ̀wájú ìròyìn kẹ̀kan ìwé ìròyìn Vanguard kọ síta gẹ́gẹ́ bí tí wọ́n kọ sínú ìròyìn ọ̀hún. Àjọ ajàfẹ́tọ̀ọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ kan rèé tí wọ́n rọ ààrẹ Bọ́lá Tinubu àti àwọn gómìnà pé kí wọ́n ṣe àdínkù iye àwọn tó ń bá wọn kọ́wọ́ rìn ní àwọn ọkọ̀ tí wọ́n ṣe pààpùn tẹ̀lé wọn àti pé iye tí wọ́n ná lówó ìrìn àjò kí wọ́n lọ rèé dínkù. Àjọ ọ̀hún náà ló jẹ́ àjọ tó ń pè fún ìṣàkóso rere tó sì ń jàfẹ́tọ̀ọ́ aráàlú nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun, The Ọ̀ṣun Mastermind. Àjọ náà ló ti rọ ààrẹ Bọ́lá Tinubu tí wọ́n sì tẹnumọ́ pé ó ṣe pàtàkì o kí wọ́n ṣe àdínkù iye àwọn ọkọ̀ akọ́wọ̀ọ́rìn tá a mọ̀ sí convoy tó ń tẹ̀lé àwọn mínísítà èyí tó ń tẹ̀lé àwọn gómìnà àti ti ààrẹ Bọ́lá Tinubu fúnra rẹ̀ gan. Wọ́n nítorí lásìkò yìí ìgboro rẹ́rìn ìlú lé ọmọ Nàìjíríà lọ́pọ̀ wọn ò róúnjẹ jẹ bí ọrọ̀ ajé wa sì ṣe rí yìí wọ́n ní bíjọba bá nànà kò kàn mí bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n ní kò ní í dáa rárá. Ẹgbẹ́ náà ló fọ̀rọ̀ yìí síta. Wọ́n ní kíjọba tiẹ̀ wo ti ìnira tí aráàlú kojú lásìkò yìí kí wọ́n tiẹ̀ fi hàn pé lóòótọ́ àwọn náà mọ̀ lára o. Nínú àtẹ̀jáde tí olùdarí àgbà àjọ The Ọ̀ṣun Mastermind tó ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n Wàsíù Oyèdòkun Àlí tó fi léde ló ti rọ ààrẹ pé ó pa aláṣẹ fún àwọn mínísítà rẹ̀ pé kí wọ́n ṣe àdínkù iye ọkọ̀ akọ́wọ̀ọ́rìn tí yóò máa bá wọn rìn kó jẹ́ ẹyọ 3 péré kó mọ̀ mọ̀ jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Yàtọ̀ síyẹn wọ́n ní eléyìí yóò lè ṣe àdínkù iye tí wọ́n mọ̀ ná lórí ìṣèjọba kù. Oyèdòkun Àlí tún wá ní àwọn bẹ̀ gbogbo àwọn tó bá yẹ pé wọ́n dipò òṣèlú mú láwùjọ pé kí wọ́n ṣe àdínkù iye tí wọ́n ná lórí rírìnà ìrìn àjò. Ó ní látòrí ààrẹ, igbákejì rẹ̀, àwọn gómìnà àtàwọn tó kù nípò pé gbogbo ohun tó bá yẹ kí wọ́n máa ṣe lábẹ́lé wọ́n máa lo ìmọ̀ ẹ̀rọ láti ṣe dípò fífi owó ìlú wọkọ̀ lọ́wọ́ kọ̀bọ̀ bí wọ́n ṣe ń fò bí wọ́n ṣe ń rìn lórí ilẹ̀. Ó ní owó ló ń lọ torí pé àkùkọ bàbá mi kan láéláé akọ bàbá mi kan láéláé owó ní mọ̀ jẹ́ ìmọ̀ jàgbàdo. Ó ní bẹ́ẹ̀ gẹ́lẹ́ ní ọ̀rọ̀ ìrìn àjò tí àwọn gómìnà àti ààrẹ tí wọ́n bá ń rìn o wá ní àwọn tún bẹ gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun Adémọ́lá Adélékè pé kó rí dájú pé ó ṣe àfikún iye tí wọ́n mọ̀ ná sí ìlú kára kó lè tu aráàlú níwọ̀n ìgbà tó jẹ́ pé àfikún ti ń dé bá iye táwọn náà rí gbà látòkè gẹ́gẹ́ bí owó náà látọ̀dọ̀ ìjọba àpapọ̀. Ó láwọn ké sí ìjọba àpapọ̀ àti ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun ní pàtàkì pé ní kíákíá kí wọ́n tètè gbé ìgbésẹ̀ láti yọ ọmọ Nàìjíríà kúrò lọ́fìn ìṣẹ́ àti òṣì ilé tí wọ́n wáyé. Wọ́n ní torí òótọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ ọbẹ̀ ni pé ebi ń pa ọmọ Nàìjíríà o ìyà ń bẹ nílùú ìṣẹ́ àtòṣì gògò gan ni pé dípò nínànà àpà níjọba kí wọ́n ṣàdínkù owó yẹn kán wá darí ẹ̀ sọ́dọ̀ aráàlú tó jẹ́ pé àwọn gangan ni wọ́n nílò owó ọ̀hún.
ọ̀dẹ alátọ̀dọ̀ iléeṣẹ́ ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè wa nàìjíríà ìwé ìròyìn the punch náà ni agbámú ànígbá iná mú ní agbára ọlọ́run olódùmarè ọ̀rọ̀ kan tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú bí àtíkù abubakar tó jẹ́ pé ó ní igbákejì ààrẹ tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ ní orílẹ̀-èdè wa nàìjíríà tó tún jẹ́ pé ó ní olùdíje sípò ààrẹ lábẹ́ àsíá ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP nínú ètò ìdìbò gbogbogbò tí ó kọjá tó fi síta léyìí tó ti sọ di mímọ̀ yìí pé ìṣèjọba ààrẹ bọ́lá tinubu igi tó pọ̀ igi ńláńlá ló kó bọnú ààrò lẹ́ẹ̀kan náà tí igi ọ̀hún tó sì ń da iná rú nípa ti ètò ti ọrọ̀ ajé orílẹ̀-èdè wa nàìjíríà léyìí tó ní àwọn ìlànà ètò ìjọba rẹ̀ ó mú kí ara ó mọ́ ní àwọn aráàlú ni nígbà tí àtíkù abubakar sọ̀rọ̀ ó ní tó yẹ kí ààrẹ bọ́lá tinubu ṣe ni pé kó mọ́ ṣe àwọn ètò náà ní díẹ̀díẹ̀ sísẹ̀ntẹ̀lé dípò pé lẹ́ẹ̀kan náà ló kó gbogbo nǹkan lu iná o nígbà tí ó wá ń sọ̀rọ̀ olùbádámọ̀ràn pàtàkì sí ààrẹ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú ti ètò ìròyìn àti ìlànà àtẹ̀lé ọ̀gbẹ́ni Báyọ̀ Ọ̀nànúgà sọ di mímọ̀ yìí pé àtíkù abubakar ó ti ṣe ìwọ náà rí nígbà tí ó wà ní orí ìjọba gẹ́gẹ́ bí igbákejì ààrẹ tí olóyè olúṣẹ́gun ọbásanjọ́ náà sì jẹ́ ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè nàìjíríà oníṣe bí ẹ̀yin gan ló yẹ kẹ́ ti gbé àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ kan tí tinubu wá ń gbé lásìkò tá a wà yìí wá ní bí ó bá jẹ́ pé ìwọ gan ni ó wà ní ipò ààrẹ lásìkò tá a wà yìí gan nǹkan yóò ti bó tẹ́tẹ́ mọ́ ọmọ nàìjíríà lọ́wọ́ oníkódà gan ààrẹ tinubu tó ń ṣe ìjọba lọ́wọ́ yìí ó ń ṣe gudugudu méje yàyà mẹ́fà ó ń ṣe dáadáa ni ó wá sọ di mímọ̀ yìí pé ọ̀rọ̀ burúkú tó ti ẹnu àtíkù abubakar jáde tó fi ní ètò ìjọba ààrẹ bọ́lá tinubu ó ní àwọn aráàlú lára kó mọ̀ tiẹ̀ kó gbogbo nǹkan bọná lẹ́ẹ̀kan náà kó mọ̀ ṣe ní sísẹ̀ à ń tẹ̀lé wọn ni tí àtíkù abubakar tó sọ yìí ó kù díẹ̀ káàtó.
inú ìwé ìròyìn punch ni mo wà báyìí ẹ já bójú wo àwọn ìròyìn nígboro ayé ìròyìn eléyìí ọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀hún ti di àfàgò kẹ́yìn àparò
ohun tó jó ń wá
rẹ̀ ń wá náà ni ó lè ṣeun o ilé ẹjọ́ gíga kan tó jẹ́ ti ìpínlẹ̀ Kano ó mọ̀ ti ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ dájọ́ o nípasẹ̀ onídàájọ́ Miriam Sabo tó sì pa á láṣẹ pé kí ọgbẹ́ni kan Shamsu Adamu kó lọ lu ọdún 15 nínú ọgbà àtúnṣe tẹ́ ń pè lọ́gbà ẹ̀wọ̀n ó sì mọ̀ ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ kó mọ̀ ṣiṣẹ́ inú ọgbà bí bá ṣe ń gbálẹ̀ ọgbà àtúnṣe kọ́mọ roko bẹ̀ pẹ̀lú títí ọdún 15 ó fi pé nítorí pé wọ́n ló jẹ̀bi ẹ̀sùn fífipá bá ọmọ kékeré ọmọ ọdún 5 lò papọ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìròyìn wọn ní Àdàmú ló jẹ́ olùgbé ní abúlé Kùntúrè níjọba ìbílẹ̀ Ngogo wọ́n ní ó sì jẹ̀bi ẹ̀sùn ìfipábánilòpọ̀ ilé tó jẹ́ pé ìjìyà tó le ló wà fún lábẹ́ òfin tó de ìwà ọ̀daràn nípínlẹ̀ Kano gẹ́gẹ́ bí àlàyé ẹni tó jẹ́ agbèfọ́ba barista ya mòfin AU Àdàmú ó kó ẹlẹ́rìí 3 ọmọdébìnrin ọ̀hún aládùúgbò kan àti ìyá rẹ̀ tó fi mọ́ ọlọ́pàá tó ń ṣe ìwádìí nípa ọ̀rọ̀ náà ló mú wálé ẹjọ́ o wọ́n ní ọ̀rọ̀ yìí náà ló ṣẹlẹ̀ ní nǹkan bíi aago 4 ìrọ̀lẹ́ lọ́jọ́ 7 oṣù kẹfà lọ́dún 2021 wọ́n ní ṣe ni Àdàmú mọ̀ ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ tọ́jọ́ ọmọ ọlọ́mọ ríboríbo tó sì pé wọnú yàrá tiẹ̀ níbi tó ti fipá bá a lò pọ̀ wọ́n ní lójú ẹsẹ̀ ló ti ọmọ ọ̀hún síta lẹ́yìn tó ti bá a lò pọ̀ tán tó sì ní kó mọ̀ sálẹ̀lẹ̀ lọ lé àmọ́ nígbà tí ọmọ ó délé wọ́n ní ìyá rẹ̀ ló yẹ ara rẹ̀ wò ló sì rí pé ẹpọ́n ń ṣẹ́ jáde látara ojú ara rẹ̀ tó fi hàn pé nǹkan ti ṣe lẹ́yìn ọ̀rẹ́ yìí ló béèrè lọ́wọ́ ọmọ pé kí ló dé lọ́mọ ṣàlàyé pé bọ̀dá Àdàmú ló ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ tó dá nǹkan sí òun lágbádá lójú ẹsẹ̀ wọ́n gbọ́mọ lọ ilé ìwòsàn wọ́n sì ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n lọ fẹjọ́ sùn ní àgọ́ ọlọ́pàá láti ọdún 2021 ni wọ́n ti wà lórí ẹjọ́ ọ̀hún bí wọ́n ti ń mú Àdàmú ló yọrí bẹ́rẹ́ o àmọ́ ní báyìí wọ́n ti wá padà mú lọ́rùn ọwọ́ ọ̀wá ríbi sá sí torí pé aládùúgbò jẹ́rìí sí pé lóòótọ́ òun rí nígbà tó dọ́gbọ́ pé ọmọ wọ yàrá tọmọ sì tún sá eré jáde lẹ́lẹ́lẹ́ òun náà sì rí nígbà tí ó sọ fọ́mọ pé kó mọ́ ọ lọ kí ó sá eré kẹsẹ̀ rẹ̀ kọ́kọ́ pàkọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ nìyá ọmọ náà jẹ́rìí pé bó ti dé tààrà lọ́dọ̀ Àdàmú lòun rí i pé ẹ̀kọ́ ń ṣẹ́ jáde lójú ara o gbogbo àwọn ẹ̀rí tí wọ́n wá kó kalẹ̀ yìí àti ọ̀rọ̀ tó jáde lẹ́nu ọlọ́pàá olùwádìí nípa tí Àdàmú tó sọ nígbà wọn pọ̀ lọ́fun yọ̀yọ̀ ló fi hàn pé lóòótọ́ ó jẹ̀bi ẹ̀sùn ìfipábánilòpọ̀ o eré ló wá mú kí adájọ́ Mariam onítọ̀ kò sẹ́sùn lẹ́yìn àpò bí abábágugi là bá sọ èèyàn tó bá ṣerú tó ṣe yìí ó ti lu òfin ìjọba ẹ̀wọ̀n ló sì tọ́ sí onídìí abájọ rèé o lọ́ọ́ lu ọdún 15 nínú ọgbà àtúnṣe kó sáré lọ kó padà dé.
ẹ pé láràárọ̀ ni wọ́n máa laago fún un pé
aago tí nìkan wá gbálẹ̀ òun yóò wá joyè agbálẹ̀ ọgbà àtúnṣe
nígbà bá tó bá parí.
wọ́n wà fún lámì ẹ̀yẹ ẹ̀tọ́mọlẹ̀ gbájú.
èèyàn wọ́n sì tún kọ orúkọ rẹ̀ sí inú ìwé orúkọ burúkú pé ọ̀dà o ẹni bí tó hùwà burúkú ọkọ rẹ̀ ti wà nínú ìwé orílẹ̀-èdè wa Nàìjíríà.
yóò bá wa jáde lọ́la pé àwọn fẹ́ sòṣèlú o mo fẹ́ ru àpótí alága
wọ́n yẹ àkọọ́lẹ̀ wò pé Ádámù ọmọ tí hùwà burúkú kan jò ní.
ètò ìdàrú láàmú òtún lè wá dàrú.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni ẹ jẹ́ pé ká máa hu ìwà rere nítorí ọ̀la ìwà rere sì ni ẹ̀ṣọ́ èèyàn. ẹ jẹ́ á lọ sí ìwé ìròyìn Daily Post láàárọ̀ yìí ká wo ohun tí ó wà ń bẹ̀. ọ̀rọ̀ tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú epo pẹtiróòlù náà ni iléeṣẹ́ tó jẹ́ ti ẹbu ìfọ epo pẹtiróòlù Dangote ó ti sọ ọ̀rọ̀ kan jáde ó ní àwọn ti ṣàwárí ilé ibùdó epo kan tí wọ́n ti ń gbé epo pẹtiróòlù jáde àmọ́ tí kò lórúkọ ó ní kódà gan kò jìnnà sí ibùdó tí ẹbu ìfọ epo tàwọn ti Dangote tó wà ní ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó nígbà tí iléeṣẹ́ Dangote tí ó ń sọ̀rọ̀ láti ẹnìkan tó jẹ́ pé ó ní agbọ̀rọ̀sọ rẹ̀ èyí ni Anthony Chijiena ní àná lánàá ní ọjọ́ ìsinmi ó ní ẹbu ìfọ epo tí àwọn ń sọ nípa rẹ̀ yìí ayédèrú ni eléyìí ló fi ń sọ ọ̀rọ̀ ní ìsọ̀rọ̀ǹgbèsì sí ọ̀rọ̀ kan tó tẹnu àwọn ikọ̀ ẹgbẹ́ tó jẹ́ pé àwọn ni wọ́n ń ta alágbàtà epo pẹtiróòlù tí ọ̀rọ̀ gbọ̀kúlé ìjọba IPMAN tí wọ́n sọ lẹ́nujọ́ mẹ́ta yìí pé epo pẹtiróòlù tó ń jáde ní iléeṣẹ́ epo ti Dangote ohun jọjọ pé èyí tí àwọn ń gbé wọlé láti ilẹ̀ òkèrè wọ́n ní ọrọ̀ ju ó dínwó díẹ̀ nígbà tí iléeṣẹ́ epo Dangote wá ń sọ̀rọ̀ ó ní epo èyí tí wọ́n fẹ́ máa kó jáde yìí ayédèrú mọ̀ ni èyí tí ó máa ba ẹ́ńjìnì ọkọ̀ ẹ́ńjìnì alùpùpù àti ti èyíkéyìí ọkọ̀ akẹ́rù jẹ́ ni o Dangote wá sọ di mímọ̀ pé kí àwọn aráàlú kí wọ́n ṣọ́ra ṣe nítorí pé àwọn tí à ń wí ẹni àná ó ní ara ń ta ni ọ̀rọ̀ wọn fẹ́ jẹ́ o ayédèrú epo ni wọ́n fẹ́ máa kó wá àti pé epo tí Dangote tí ó ń gbé jáde o epo pẹtiróòlù tí ó dára ni.
ó dá ẹ jẹ́ kí n yà Daily Trust ní kọ̀ròyìn kan yàjó kí n jó léyìí mọ nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun níròyìn ọ̀hún kan níbi tí gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun sẹ́nẹ́tọ̀ Adémọ́lá Adélékè tó ti sọ pé tó lọ́wọ́ yìí ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú People's Democratic Party wọ́n lé lájú wọn lẹ̀ o kí tàlùbọ̀ kò wọ́ pé àwọn gbọ́dọ̀ fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ pàápàá jùlọ káwọn lè ṣe àṣeyọrí nínú àwọn ètò ìdìbò tó ń bọ̀ lọ́nà gẹ́gẹ́ bí àtìjáde tí agbẹnusọ gómìnà Malam Ọláwálé Rasheed tó fi síta ó ní gómìnà Adélékè sọ̀rọ̀ onílùú Ìbàdàn tó jẹ́ olúlu ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ lásìkò tí wọ́n ń ṣe lójú sẹkítẹ́rìà àti ẹgbẹ́ PDP fún ẹkùn ìwọ̀ oòrùn South West èyí tí wọ́n ṣí tí wọ́n sì fi sọrí àwọn lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ àtàwọn àtẹ̀lé ẹgbẹ́ pé ẹ mọ̀ jà wá ràn kí ni bá àbá fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ kí omi mọ̀ wọ̀ ìpínlẹ̀ mọ̀ pé ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP gbọ́dọ̀ sowọ́pọ̀ láti rí dájú pé àwọn lè ṣàṣeyọrí nínú àwọn ètò ìdìbò tó ń bọ̀ lọ́nà o kí gbogbo ohun tó bá sì ń rùn nǹkan kó lè tètè tán lẹ̀ kí wọ́n gbà fúnra wọn kí lọ síwájú kó lè dé bá ẹgbẹ́ PDP.
ọ̀dà ìwé ìròyìn The Guardian náà ni agbámú láàárọ̀ ẹ̀kọ́ tó di pé a mọ̀ díẹ̀ ní ẹkùn ìjọ nípínlẹ̀ Rivers ni à ń lọ ẹgbẹ́ kan tó jẹ́ ti ẹ̀yà ìjọ tá a mọ̀ sí NIC wọ́n ti sọ di mímọ̀ báyìí pé ọ̀dà o kí àwọn aráàlú ní pàtàkì jùlọ àwọn èèyàn ìpínlẹ̀ Rivers kí wọ́n mọ̀ kọminú kí wọ́n sì mú sùúrù lórí ìdájọ́ ilé-ẹjọ́ gíga ilẹ̀ yìí tí ó pàṣẹ pé kí wọ́n dá owó àsùnwọ̀n tí ó máa ń bọ́ sí àsùnwọ̀n ti ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Rivers látọ̀dọ̀ ìjọba àpapọ̀ dúró náà nítorí àwọn àgbékalẹ̀ àti ètò tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú ìlànà ètò ìjọba tiwantiwa ní pàtàkì jùlọ èyí tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú ìṣọwọ́ṣiṣẹ́ ti gómìnà ti ìpínlẹ̀ Rivers eyín Fubara wọ́n ní ó ń fọwọ́ pa ìdá ìlànà òfin tó jẹmọ́ ti ìṣèjọba ó ń fọwọ́ pa ní ojú nígbà tí ó ń sọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀kan lára àwọn èèkàn tó jẹ́ ti ẹ̀yà ìjọ tá a mọ̀ sí ẹgbẹ́ ìjọ National Congress ANC èyí ni ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n Benjamin Okaba ó ní kí àwọn èèyàn ti ìpínlẹ̀ Rivers kí wọ́n mú sùúrù ó ní ìdájọ́ ilé ẹjọ́ yìí kò ní lọ kò ní pẹ́ tí yóò di èyí tí ó di gbàǹtú ẹ̀yọ̀ nítorí pé àwọn ọ̀nà kan á gbà tí à á tẹ̀lé wọn ó ṣàmúlò rẹ̀ tí wọn ó fi jẹ́ pé kìíní ọ̀hún kò ní nira fún àwọn èèyàn ìpínlẹ̀ Rivers tí ìjọba tí ó fi máa rí owó àti pé dídùn ní ọsàn yóò padà so láìpẹ́ jọjọ.
mo gbàdúrà kan lẹ́ẹ̀kan pé kí gbogbo abiyamọ ṣàmì pé kọlọ́mọjà bímọ tí ó pa wá ọmọ bímọ tí ó gbẹ̀mí wá o ẹ̀mí burúkú ò sì ní wọnú àwọn ọmọ tá a bí. ìròyìn kan wà nínú ìwé ìròyìn Punch àgbọ̀fikọ́gbọ́n ni ẹja fi ṣe kélédùà kó ṣàánú arákùnrin kan rèé tí wọ́n lórúkọ rẹ̀ jẹ́ Saidi ó ti wà lákàtà àwọn agbófinró níbi tí wọ́n gbé ṣèwádìí rẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìròyìn wọ́n nídìí abájọ tí wọ́n fi fòfin gbé ni pé wọ́n fura sí opó olóògbẹ̀mí bàbá tó bí lọ́mọ bàbá rẹ̀ tí wọ́n pè ń bá léyìí ni wọ́n ní wọ́n jọ lọ sórí oko lọ́jọ́ Jímọ̀ tó kọjá ìyẹn tí wọ́n sì ní wọ́n lọ rí ẹrẹ ní agbègbè Ìlúsìn nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun ni o gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìròyìn àwọn ará abúlé tí wọ́n bá oníròyìn sọ̀rọ̀ wọ́n ṣàlàyé pé àwọn sì rí bàbá rẹ̀ pé kódà gan-an àwọn rí nígbà tí ń dágbére pé à ń lọ sórí oko afẹ́ lọ rè kórè gbogbo ń ta àgbẹ̀ wọ́n ní àmúngbà tó yá tí wọ́n tètè rí kó darí dé tí wọ́n sì gbogbo abúlé tí wọ́n rí wọ́n wá wa lọ sọ́nà oko wọ́n ní wọ́n mọ̀ balábẹ́ gbó sùúrù o níbi tí wọ́n ti gbẹ̀mí ẹ̀ sí kódà wọ́n ní wọ́n ti fèwé bò lórí lẹ́yìn ọ̀rẹ́ yẹn nìkan tórúkọ rẹ̀ ń jẹ́ Sàkárì Yahu ló sọ fáwọn oníròyìn The Punch pé ó mọ̀ dẹni táwọn wá o láti alẹ́ ọjọ́ ọjọ́bọ̀ lẹ́yìn ìgbà tó ti dágbére pé òun lọ sórí oko pé ṣùgbọ́n ìgbà tí ó di àárọ̀ ọjọ́ Jímọ̀ Ẹtì ni àwọn wá bá o níbi tí òkú rẹ̀ wà tí wọ́n ti fèwé bò lórí wọn láwọn sì wá mọ ẹni tó ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ tí ó gbé kódà gan-an wọ́n pé wọ́n ti gé orí kúrò lọ́rùn rẹ̀ eléyìí ló wá fa ìdí abájọ tí wọ́n fi lọ rèé fẹjọ́ sùn wọn láwọn mẹ́ta tí wọ́n fura sí òun náà ni ọmọ rẹ̀ ọkùnrin ló wà nù wọn o wọ́n ní ìdí abájọ rèé tí wọ́n fi lọ rèé mú pé ó yá wá ṣàlàyé kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ lórí pé bàbá rẹ̀ fẹ́ lọ rèé kórè kòkó tí wọ́n gbìn wọ́n wá nítorí bàbá yìí ó ti sọ tẹ́lẹ̀ pé àwọn ń lọ rèé ká kòkó nínú oko wọ́n ní ṣùgbọ́n lílọ tí wọ́n lọ ni wọ́n mọ̀ padà rí o ó wá di pé òkú rẹ̀ ni wọ́n rí tí wọ́n sì gé orí lọ kúrò lọ́rùn rẹ̀ lójú ẹsẹ̀ ni wọ́n wá fa Saidi léwọ́ ọlọ́pàá pé ẹ̀yin ọlọ́pàá ní ìpín Ìdó ẹ̀ mọ̀ bá wa ṣèwádìí ẹ̀ bèrè lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ bàbá rẹ̀ ń kọ́ ta lọ́pàá ta ló gé orí kúrò lọ́rùn rẹ̀ ọgbà bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹni tó jẹ́ alukoro iléeṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun SP Yẹmisí Ọ̀pálọ́lá ó fi jẹ́ ìmúlẹ̀ pé lóòótọ́ àwọn ti gbọ́ sí o pé ó sì wà lákàtà àwọn agbófinró lórí pé àwọn fura pé ó ṣeéṣe kójò ló pa bàbá rẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n àwọn ò tí ì rí ẹ̀rí àti pé ìwádìí ó sì ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́.
Kí Ọlọ́run Olódùmarè kó gbà wá lọ́wọ́ àwọn ẹni ibi ni a jẹ́ pé ká mọ̀ tá a daṣọ bo ìtàgé díẹ̀díẹ̀ láàárọ̀ yìí.
àdúpẹ́ ibi tá a dé yìí náà láti máa kí yín pé yòókù tún di lọ́la tẹ́mọ̀ pàdé àwọn akin ẹgbẹ́ wa mìíràn lórí àtótó àrèrè
kò ṣeé má gbọ́ ìròyìn
kò ṣeé má gbọ́ ìròyìn
àtótó àrèrè mà ní.
gẹ́gẹ́ bí fẹ́ńdọ̀ yín àwa ti jẹ́jẹ́ àṣìṣe lérí fún yín pé gbogbo tó yẹ kẹ́ ẹ gbọ́ àwọn ò mọ̀ mọ́ wá fún yín gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìròyìn bá bá ti dìde ẹ mọ̀ gbàwọ̀ ètò ìkéde oríṣiríṣi orin títí di aago 12 tẹ́ padà rí wa lórí ìròyìn àgbáyé bákan náà àwọn ètò yòókù yóò mọ̀ tẹ̀léra wọn ní tẹ̀lé Western Spring Television lélẹ́jì o ẹ̀mọ́ yìí kú òun bẹ́ẹ̀ adúpẹ́ fún bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń gbọ́ wa ká tó wá máa lọ lórí ètò fún tòní akọ́mọ̀nà wa fún tòní náà ni pé àárọ̀ kùtù báyìí la gbé sáà ìmọ̀ gbígbẹ o bó bá ìdọ̀sán yọmọ ọ̀run mọ́ni lọ́wọ́ ni tètè múra síṣẹ́ òwúrọ̀ lọ́jọ́ Folúṣọ́ Òjó ló kọ mi fẹ́ńdọ̀ yín obìnrin kì í ẹni ọjọ́ rere o.
lágbára Ọlọ́run Lódùmarè òní ni ọjọ́ ajé àárí ajé àáfi jẹun Zaccheaus Adéyẹyè ló kọ mi ó dìgbà kan mo kí yín ẹ kú kalẹ̀.
Since as number of vision trustee gets no one in doubt about commitment to the overall development, the footprints of his transformative agenda span through education, transportation, health, staff welfare, social among others. Living Spring Update, a weekly on Ray 1 and Western Spring Television. Child 90 Saturday will extract Governor Adeleke's development for your listening and viewing pleasure. Busting with two innovative agricultural initiatives from the testimonies of servants and retirees. The shares of artisans across the Living Spring. Discover how Adelaide's administration is driving the economic growth of the state. Start and Living Update. We'll deep into the following productive education and other info strides made across the state. Tune in every West on TV and every day bring 1 at exactly 2:30 p.m. You can follow us on all our social media platforms at Western Spring Television and at Rave 917 FM as we tell the story of how Governor Adeleke is shaping Osun into the beacon of development and opportunity.
Living Spring Update is a production of the Office of the Spokesperson to the Governor, Governor's Office, Osogbo.
Can you imagine the feeling when you get your news as they break with facts and clarity? And all those must have been plastics in order to project to the world. Produce to you in a unique way in Western television, in home, in color and culture.
Hello guys, I'm here again with Dr. Mark Ofua, a wildlife conservationist and a veterinarian, to discuss the challenges of illegal bushmeat in Nigeria. Nice to be here again with you, Dr. Mark. So in our last chat, you explained how illegal bushmeat was negatively affecting the animals. Can you shed more light on that?
So there's one aspect of it which is eating bushmeat locally, local consumption. Then bushmeat also is being exported to countries like in Asia and all that. That is a problem because exporting, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 animals. You're looking in large numbers to make your profit. So that is already also a problem. And this is what is driving extinction. We're losing our animals at an unprecedented rate.
Specific animals that have been more affected than the others.
We have whole species that are disappearing. Our pangolins are endangered, our gorillas are endangered, our chimpanzees are endangered, and gorillas and chimpanzees are very unique species. So if we lose them, it's lost to the world forever.